The most expensive is the best. This is a truth that everyone in the small town believes. Even injured adventurers passing through town are advised by inn residents to borrow gold coins from the Adventurers Guild and then seek out the best priest at the church for healing. Although I am a healer who cannot use healing magic, I cannot let the gold coins before my eyes slip away, so I stop the man. With your current physical condition, it's best to let me help you with treatment now. However, the man expresses doubt about my identity and asks me to show a healer's badge to prove myself, only because he was told at the Adventurers Guild that since healers are a rare profession, people seek to profit, creating many unauthorized bootleg healers without healing qualifications. For this reason, the Adventurers Guild specifically issues badges to healers. Hearing this, I curse inwardly. This guy is too cautious, but I still smile and tell him that since I cannot demonstrate healing magic, the guild hasn't issued me a badge. Before I could finish speaking, the man turns and leaves, cursing as he goes, saying today's scammers are too low, pretending to be healers without knowing healing magic. For this outcome, I was mentally prepared, but truly, I am a healer. I follow the man's footsteps, talking to myself, judging from your wounds. You were probably injured nearby, and your right arm wound comes from a black-maned wolf. The scratches on your right leg were caused by some kind of branch, am I right? The man turns to look at me. How did you know this? Seeing this, I immediately display my professional smile as I introduce myself. Even without a badge, I am still a healer. Then I gave him a rough price estimate as reference. If you go to a high-level priest, you'll probably be charged 600,000 gold coins, but you only need to spend 300,000 gold coins to find an adventurer healer to help you. The man was confused by my analysis. So what are you trying to say? This is exactly what I was waiting for. You only need to pay 150,000 gold coins, and I can help you heal, and payment is after treatment. When the man heard about a price difference of 4 times, he immediately became angry. Indeed, listening to the town residents is never wrong. Scammers often use low prices to attract customers. Expensive is best. You really are a scammer. I never imagined that in just a few hours the alien adventurer in front of me would also be assimilated into the crooked reasoning of the townspeople. But I know very well, he will definitely come back to find me. Before leaving, I extend a final olive branch. I understand if you don't believe me. I can only tell you that healing magic won't help your injury. If you feel painful while sleeping at night, welcome to finding me. I'm staying at the inn up ahead. The man looks at my back, muttering, "What kind of scammer are you, staying at the same inn as me?" Soon the man arrives at the church, receiving treatment from a high-level priest. Under the power of healing magic, the wounds on the man's body visibly knit together. Then the priest puts his hands together. "Pilgrim, you are completely healed. Buddha bless you. Please pay 620,000 gold coins. God will bless you too." Hearing this, the man's face darkens. "Sitting here for a moment cost me 620,000 gold coins. No wonder they say you healers have the most profitable industry." Then the man walks out of the church, continuously stretching his muscles. Though it's expensive, there's a reason for it. But the foot still itches a bit, but I believe it will be fine soon. In the early hours of the morning, the sound of a man's heartrending roar came from the inn, and Julia, the waitress, ran quickly to the man's room. As Julia opens the door, the man is sitting paralyzed on the bed, his entire body trembling uncontrollably. The excruciating pain from his foot has reduced this tall man to tears. The man begs the waitress loudly, "Quickly find me a doctor. I feel like I'm about to die." He still hasn't figured out what the problem is, having paid 620,000 in healing fees without getting properly healed. Now he's in pain like he's about to die on the spot. At this moment, the man suddenly remembers the fake healer he met on the street. He had said, "Your injury won't be helped by healing magic. If you feel pain while sleeping, come find me anytime." The man was like grasping at straws which can save his life at the moment. That healer who can't use healing magic, he said he would come, but soon he realizes, "I'm such a fool. I don't even know his name." At the same time, a voice seems to pull the man from hell. "I told you, healing magic cannot cure you. I appear at the doorway. A healer who can't use healing magic is here to see you." Then I calmly walk toward the man. "Nice to see you again, adventurer. I also don't forget to wink at the waitress, Miss Julia. I'll handle this." The man trembles as he crawls toward me, and I smile looking at him, planning to say something to help ease his emotions. Feeling better after receiving expensive treatment, however, the man remains silent, either too moved or in too much pain to speak. I hold up 3 fingers. "Treatment fee is 300,000 gold coins. Please pay in advance." Unexpectedly, the man trembles even more. Then gritting his teeth, he squeezes out, "Wasn't it 150,000 gold coins before? Why has it doubled?" Just as he finishes speaking, the man collapses to the ground in severe pain. I clearly state, "Given your current injury, it's at least 3 times worse than before. If you think the price is unreasonable, you can find another healer." I turn to leave, and the man desperately grabs my clothes. "I'll give you my great sword. This is all the assets I have right now. It's worth at least 200,000 gold coins." Hearing this, I take the sword. Though it's a bit roughly made, it has been well maintained. I know the man has already spent all his borrowed gold on the priest, so today I'll just earn 200,000 gold coins. The sword disappears from my hand. The man sees the sword vanish but doesn't dare say anything. After all, he still needs this healer to save his life. Next, I help the man to the bed. As you can see, some things cannot be healed, one of which is poison. Seeing the man's face is full of wise courage, I toss him a fruit, then explain. "This is black bilberry fruit. The leaves and stems of this plant are poisonous. Scratching the skin will cause paralysis. This plant must be on the path you took to town, and unfortunately you scratched your right foot. So your symptoms are from poisoning, and this is also one reason why black-maned wolves live nearby. The black bilberry leaves and stems can trap their enemies in desperate situations, which is very useful for them." Hearing this, the man becomes nearly hysterical, thinking he's about to be paralyzed. Cut to another scene scene, I pull out a purple liquid from thin air. This is for your treatment. At this moment, the man suddenly breaks into a cold sweat, because I not only take out 3 bottles of antidote, but also a sharp surgical knife. Looking at the man's leg swollen from poison, the next treatment plan is to cut open the healed wound and pour in the antidote. I smile and speak leisurely. Originally, I didn't want to operate. Who knows which guy helped you seal up the wound? Now the man truly experiences what it means to be beyond tears, blaming himself for not listening, insisting on treatment from a high-level priest. Then I raise my small 2-meter knife. This might hurt a bit. Please be mentally prepared. When it comes to morning, I wipe the blood from my hands. The man now sits pale-faced on the bed. He'll be able to get up and walk in a few days. The entire operation was perfect. The wound was sutured successfully. The man looks at the neat suturing technique, shedding tears of gratitude, having undoubtedly experienced an unforgettable night. Then the man lowers his head and apologizes to me, because last night he even thought I was a scammer. Hearing this, I smile at the man. I completely understand his feelings. I suppose nobody would believe a healer who can't use healing magic, right? Seeing my magnanimous attitude, the man is deeply moved. It seems the most expensive things aren't necessarily right for oneself. Then I walk to the inn's first floor. Miss Julia, please bring me breakfast. Miss Julia quickly responds. Mr. Jiang, please have a seat. Just a moment. Then I take out my notebook that I always carry. I've developed the habit of writing a diary since coming to this world, hoping that one day I can return to Earth. My name is Jiang Zia. 3 years ago, one day, I opened my eyes and found myself in this cave. Fortunately, I'm not the only Earth traveler. This is a place where survival is difficult. Monsters are everywhere. Everything is heavily polluted. We call it the Azure Continent. In order to survive, we had to take up weapons to resist. People who come to this world will awaken to their professions, but I am the only healer. This place is like a scene from a fantasy novel. Request to open skill window. Incision cuts something with a sharp object. Communication of God automatically translates languages. Observational eye can observe things. To be precise, I'm not a real healer because I don't have healing skills. Suddenly a noise interrupts my thoughts. It turns out Julia accidentally cut her finger. Seeing this, I hurry forward to ask if she needs help, which startles Miss Julia. Julia quickly shakes her head, explaining it's nothing. I can sense this is going to be a meaningless argument, so I activate my skill, Observational Eye, only to see a flash of blue light from my eyes. Miss Julia's current physical condition appears before me. Body abnormality detected. Left index finger cut by a knife. It seems I only need to help stop the bleeding. I extend my hand. I'm very hungry now, but let me treat you. Hearing this, Miss Julia guiltily extends her left hand. Using the control bleeding skill, I successfully stop the bleeding for Miss Julia. Healing point +1. As you can see, I gain points for healing people. Currently, I have 103 healing points. Every 20 points can be exchanged for 1 spin of the wheel. Looking at my ample points, I directly choose to gamble 5 times. Your points will be used. A giant wheel appears before me. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining 2 strength points and 20 gold coins from 4 spins. I have to spit out the fact that gold coins would be here is pretty ridiculous. However, the prompt for the 5th spin makes my blood pressure shoot up to 180. Roulette result, new skill acquired. Skill spray, convert absorbed potions into energy and sprays it in a mist. 30% boost to portion effects when used. This new skill surprised me. After breakfast, I eagerly take out a small bottle of physical potion. Activate absorb skill, life potion absorbed. Then activate spray skill, stamina in the surrounding area is restored. I look at the restoration energy overflowing from my hands. This effect is much better than directly pouring potions. However, just as I walk around the corner, suddenly a man collides with me. He seems to think I was trying to ambush him. Next, the man draws his 10-meter great sword and launches into a barrage of trash talk. I hurriedly wave my hands in apology. I just restored your stamina, so we're even, right? Now the man notices his health bar is full again. Seeing that I'm a healer, the man's attitude changes 180 degrees. With a face full of smiles, he apologizes. I'm so sorry, sir. My name is Rick. Just came from the countryside and haven't seen these things. Out of politeness, I quickly reply, I can tell, no problem. Then Rick changes the subject. Respected healer, sir, as they say, a fight leads to friendship. Would you like to join our adventure team? We happen to need a healer. I believe with your addition, sir, we will certainly be like a tiger with wings and invincible. And what we're going to hunt this time is a rare grade monster. Hearing this, I only ask one question. How much is the total reward? The man holds up 2 fingers, 1.2 million gold coins. Hearing this number, I can't help but ponder. The reward is quite substantial, and they just happen to need a healer. Should I join their team? Meanwhile, at the Adventurers Guild, a man has cut himself 99 times just to test the healer before him, seemingly indicating this journey won't be smooth. This rat produces 999 offspring every day, only because adventurers come to take its life every day. It turns out Rick found me just to eliminate this rare grade monster, to exchange for the high bounty of 1.2 million gold coins. But when the team met, they discovered the team had recruited 2 healers, but faced with the high bounty, no one would withdraw. So the 5 of us set out together. But the other healer, Matt, harbored deep resentment toward me, only because when demonstrating healing magic, Matt Bello could perform basic healing, even mid-level healing, blessing shield, restoration, resurrection, and 99 other skills. Thus receiving the adoration of team members, Matt enjoyed this feeling of being worshipped, but I merely released the newly learned spray skill, a method no one had ever seen before, and stole Matt's spotlight. However, I don't care about Matt's emotions. I urgently ask the captain what monster we're targeting. The captain casually responds, it's a sewer rat. The team members all think so. 1 sewer rat can be exchanged for 1.2 million gold. This gold is too easy to earn, but hearing the mission insufficient target, I stand still. This mission isn't simple, there must be a trap. Then I interrupt everyone. Have you never hunted a rare grade monster before? The team members all indicate this is their first time. I turn to look at the other healer, Matt. Matt indicates he's just a trainee healer of less than 2.5 years. At this point, a bold idea forms in my mind. Then I tell everyone, fighting rare monsters requires a lot of potions. Why don't we go back to the village and make long-term plans? But the captain thinks there's nothing to fear from a sewer rat and politely refuses my request. Matt sees an opportunity to criticize. Isn't it your responsibility to prepare potions? If you're afraid, you can go back first. Hearing this, I grin. The fish took the bait. Then I choose to withdraw. At this time, the captain still wants to persuade me to stay, but I say very confidently, you will definitely fail, but I can help you. However, each person needs to pay 300,000 gold coins. With that, I leave alone. The scene changes, and the team has arrived at the monster cave. The huge rat before them is the target of this trip. At this time, Matt steps forward. I'll give you all a blessing, aiming to defeat it in one strike. Under Matt's blessing, everyone rushes quickly toward the giant rat monster. However, the monster had already discovered their intentions. The captain is seen leaping through the air. A pair of iron fists slams down. The entire ground seems to shake. But when the smoke clears, the monster has disappeared. While everyone is confused, the monster flashes behind the team's archer. It lets out a piercing roar upward, its entire body emitting an eerie purple light. Under the purple light's effect, everyone's magic consumption rate doubles. Matt quickly activates attack buff enhancements, telling others to interrupt the monster's casting. But just then, the ground starts shaking continuously. The scene before Matt chills him to the bone. Behind the rare giant rat are countless small rats. Countless small rats then pounce on the team members. Soon only Matt and Rick survive. Rick is so scared that he abandons Matt and runs. A purple vortex appears in front of Rick. The next second, Rick's figure appears in front of Matt. Rick seems to realize they're trapped here. Suddenly a rat pounces on Rick's cerebellum, killing him instantly. Trainee healer Matt has never experienced this kind of situation. Now he can only pray for divine intervention. All he hears is a bottle of potion breaking. Green energy appears around Matt, wrapping him up. I make a flashy entrance. You should really think about who would give you so much money for just a rat. I originally planned to charge each of you 500,000 gold coins. Matt once asked his master if there was a skill in the world to restore magic power. The master told him to stay grounded and not daydream, because using skills itself consumes magic power, and only the great god could do this. But when I learned Matt had exhausted his magic power, I casually crushed a mana potion, using the compound absorb and spray. Then magic power fused into Matt's body. The miraculous effect made Matt exclaim it was a miracle. Then he prostrates himself before me. Please forgive this despicable person for being so rude to you. At this moment, Matt is full of energy, then casts God's shield, blasting all rats within 2 kilometers away. Seeing this, I was about to praise Matt for a job well done, but Matt kneels devoutly on the ground. Great Lord, thanks to you for bestowing power upon me. I immediately retract my foolish thought. Do whatever you want, don't bother me. The reason this mission has a bounty of 1.2 million gold coins is because rare monsters possess the special ability to control their own kind. If adventurers become afraid and try to escape, they will be trapped in a mini dungeon with spatial abilities. For this, I prepared this world's pesticide, Mint Concentrate. Mint is even deadly to small animals. Although not enough to kill hundreds of rats, its actual function is skill spray activated. This is different from the dispense skill. It can find the monster's weakness. Right here, I raise my dagger and stab down hard. The giant rat goes berserk when its defense is broken, slamming me hard into a tree stump. Fortunately, I dodged in time, otherwise my fate would have been miserable. The giant rat stares at me viciously. The familiar purple light surges again. It's going to summon minions. Meanwhile, Matt is kneeling on the ground, devoutly praying for me, because I had just told him not to bother me. These damn rats crawl all over my body. Countless bites make my health bar instantly bottom out. Then I crush a recovery potion in my left hand. Using recovery potion, effect, restore health. Rejuvenation will last for a period of time. Just as I'm relieved to be alive, the giant rat suddenly launches a sneak attack, biting my left leg. I take the opportunity to cut another opening in the giant rat's wound. The giant rat flings me to the ground in pain. Being bitten by a monster and bleeding, health recovery potion effect cancelled. The rare grade monster is smarter than I imagined, using bleed to interrupt my recovery effect. At this moment, the giant rat emits even more potent energy. You are affected by the negative conquest. Skill, damage, and magic consumption will be doubled. Then the giant rat rushes toward me at high speed. For an adventurer affected by this negative buff, it would undoubtedly be a death sentence. But what you don't know is, I don't even use skills in a fight. The scene changes. I pull my dagger out from the giant rat. The giant rat crashes to the ground, completely losing its breath. Then I examine my own body. Finding all indicators normal, I thought I was done for this time. The system sends a prompt. Congratulations on achieving the rare solo duelist achievement. Players can earn this achievement by hunting rare monsters alone. Now you can claim your reward. A giant wheel appears before me. Looks like another luck-based reward. Congratulations on acquiring the skill throw, plus 100% accuracy, plus 100% damage, plus 25% additional effect. I can understand the accuracy and damage bonuses for throwing, but what does this additional effect mean? If the poison I throw has a 1% chance of causing immediate death, Does it mean this additional effect will increase the chance to 26%? Life is indeed full of surprises. At this time, Matt runs up to me. Thanks to your grace, we survived. I will keep this secret until death. I hurriedly interrupt him. Let's skip these pleasantries, quickly resurrect them, otherwise the corpses will start to smell. Following Matt's skill light flashing, the other 3 team members wake up. The captain just raises his head, only to be scared by the giant rat corpse and screams. I take the opportunity to lean in, sleep well. The captain looks at me in disbelief. Did you do all this? I retort irritably. Or did it die of natural causes? Hearing this, everyone still can't believe what they're seeing. Seeing this, I quickly change the subject. Please pay 300,000 gold coins each. You didn't forget our agreement, right? Then I pick up my dagger and walk toward the giant rat corpse, beginning to search through the giant rat, because the most valuable item from rare grade monsters is the bead before me. Ding, rare item obtained, detailed information pending appraisal. The scene changes. We arrive at the Adventurers Guild to claim the bounty. 5 people went together, but I alone collected the money. This feeling is beyond your imagination. Since they provided the information, I should still show some courtesy, treating them to a glass of wheat juice. But the archer girl says they're returning to their hometown tomorrow. The journey is quite far, so they'll pass on the drink. It turns out that except for Matt, the other 3 are from the same village, originally wanting to earn big money in the city. They almost got killed by a giant rat, so they plan to give up adventuring and return to farming. Looking at the 3 before me, I can't help but sigh. After all, I've been fighting through monster piles for 2.5 years. This kind of experience of repeatedly dancing on the edge is common. After bidding farewell to the 3, I turn to look at Matt. Unexpectedly, Matt claims he's under 18 and can't enter the bar. Since that's the case, we'll part ways here. From now on, we pretend not to know each other. Hearing this, Matt enters fanatic mode again. It's my honor. I'll help you hide your identity. With that, Matt quickly leaves. Watching Matt's back, a sense of powerlessness rises from the bottom of my heart. A perfectly good child. How did he suddenly go crazy? But now the pressing matter isn't this. Then I take out the rare item, the purple bead. Now I need to get this item appraised. Then I arrive at the appraisal shop. A seemingly professional appraiser stands at the counter. Welcome to the Adventurers Association's appraisal shop. Most items dropped from monsters are in an unidentified state. They must be appraised before use. So I place the bead on the tray before me. The moment the appraiser touches the bead, a flash of surprise crosses his face, quickly returning to normal, but I still catch it. Then the appraiser begins a long appraisal process. After 2.5 minutes, appraisal successful. This is a C-grade item containing the charm of small life. Hearing this, I feel confused. A rare monster dropped only a C-grade item? At this time, the appraiser continues to introduce. Its value is 80,000 gold coins, but if you sell it to our shop, I can give you 120,000 gold coins. After hearing the owner's introduction, I ignore it. I take out a bottle of green potion from my pocket and pour it on the bead the owner just appraised. However, the bead shows no reaction. Then I pick up the potion and explain to myself, this is a potion I brought from the north, Latasia Bouillon. Once it contacts blood, it will have a crazy reaction. At this point, the owner is confused. He doesn't know why I suddenly said this. Then I take out a dagger from my pocket. Next, I pour the bouillon potion on the dagger. The dagger shows some marks. This knife is what I used to hunt that rare monster. Even though I've cleaned it, it still retains invisible blood traces. And this bead that I scavenged from the monster's body doesn't have a trace of blood. This is really interesting. So there's only one truth. How dare you secretly switch it? The man was punched 32 times consecutively, yet showed no injuries. At this moment, he regretted his actions deeply, only because he had provoked a healer who could treat wounds. After each beating, the healer immediately restored his injuries. The man became much more compliant after the beating, obediently handing over the bead he had switched. So this is actually a B-class artifact. With an A-class mental focus ring, its value is approximately 6.4 million gold. Hearing this, I coldly stared at the man who had earlier tried to buy it for 120,000 gold, wondering if I should kill him on the spot to vent my anger. The mental focus ring, when worn, allows the user to concentrate, increases magic power, enhances damage, improves casting speed, and boosts mental strength by 50%. The man continued with his professional explanation, saying this item is a magical artifact for mages, as mental power is their essential attribute. I was very satisfied with its functions. Since I had earned so much through hard work, I definitely needed to treat myself to a drink. The scene changes. I arrived at the town tavern, which was already packed with people. The tavern keeper hurriedly came over to tell me there were no seats left. Suddenly, a familiar voice called out, "It's really you, Jiangxia." I looked carefully at the man before me, my heart filled with joy. Jin, another traveler from Earth like me. Then my fellow countrymen and I shared a table. It's been about 2 months since we last met, and today I earned quite a bit of money. Hearing this, I curiously asked Jin, "What a coincidence. How much did you earn?" Jin mysteriously adjusted his glasses, holding up 2 fingers. "Today I earned 2 million gold, so order whatever wheat juice you want. All expenses are on me." I picked up the menu and asked, "I'd like this one." Seeing the price, Jin spat out his soda. "This costs 1.9 million per bottle." Seeing his reaction, I could only laugh awkwardly. "Let me pay this time," and time passed quickly. The Bellotto raspberry honey wine had been served. I chose this wine because it could restore my physical stamina, because normal people can use mana to release skills, but I cannot. Only because I am a healer without mana. I've had no mana since arriving in this world. I think it might be because I'm a traveler from Earth, but everyone except me has mana. Soon Jin became completely intoxicated. Then I interrupted Jin. "I recently acquired a new skill, but it seems to have an issue. The skill panel shows it has an asterisk, and I don't quite understand what that means, only because I hunted a rare monster alone. thereby obtaining this reward. Do you know what it means? Hearing this, Jin said he had never hunted a rare monster alone, but he remembered someone in his team mentioning asterisk skills. He was also an earth traveler, another person surnamed Jin, but the gap between us and him was too great. He even fought all the monsters alone. I once asked him how he accomplished these feats, and he told me it was because he possessed asterisk skills. On the last day I saw him, he screamed frantically, standing in place muttering, "This is the 4th asterisk skill now. Perhaps this is a path back to Earth." Since I didn't have a medical license, to quickly build a reputation, I focused on serving common folk. I attracted villagers at the marketplace with low prices, but without a license, my career hit a major setback. Suddenly a farm woman approached me. I quickly turned with a smile to welcome her. The woman was carrying a basket of potatoes. Trembling, she asked if I could help with treatment. Facing my first customer, I naturally wouldn't refuse. It turned out the woman's arm had been cut by a sharp tool, but due to poverty, she couldn't afford expensive treatment. The woman had heard that a neighbor's finger was cut by a hoe and died from serious injuries a few days later. She was very worried that her wound would also be fatal. I knew it was because the wound was infected with tetanus, and in this world tetanus couldn't be cured because there aren't any vaccines. Then I asked the woman to show her wound. I activated God's eye to observe her condition, detecting an abnormal state, arm injured by a hoe 2 days ago, and bandaged with easily infected old bandages. Seeing this, I breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it wasn't tetanus yet. I took out the ointment I had prepared and handed it to the woman. She only needed to apply the ointment to the wound after each meal, then bandage it with clean wrappings. But the woman awkwardly told me she had no bandages. Hearing this, I hurriedly ran to one side. I took 50 grams of weeds from a nearby farmer. With a wave of my hand, using weaving technique, the weeds were instantly woven into a smooth, white cloth. I hadn't realized that villagers couldn't afford expensive bandages. Soon I had finished bandaging the woman's wound, and she looked satisfied. The reason I was willing to put in so much effort was because each treatment would give me 1 treatment point. Enough points would allow me to start the roulette game. This was a part I really looked forward to. Soon my healing deeds spread throughout the village. Villagers came in streams carrying items to exchange for treatment. It seemed my goal would be achieved soon, as the healing points continued to accumulate. In the end, I had saved a total of 172 points. This was much faster than hunting monsters for rewards. Suddenly my medicine box was kicked over. I saw a lavishly dressed man walking toward me, arrogantly asking me to provide healing potions. Looking at the medicine box on the ground, even though I was seething inside, I still politely asked what type of potion he needed, but the man's arrogant demeanor was truly detestable. He didn't look like someone from a poor family. Why would he appear at my shop? Though I didn't know what he wanted. I picked up my homemade ointment and told him this was the only potion available, but the other party looked surprised. They hadn't expected I could actually make potions. After all, this skill was quite extraordinary across the entire Azure continent. Then the man stood up and revealed his identity. It turned out he was ELR, one of the 3 sons of Richard Erev. I remembered the Richard Erev family had significant influence here, but why would they seek me out? The guard explained there was nothing strange about it, because they were the lords of this city. The purpose of coming here was to hire me. It turned out the city lord had contracted a virus while clearing monsters around the city. He had heard from a servant that I could produce potions. The eager young master Eller had rushed over immediately, but I firmly rejected his request. Although I could earn many gold coins from this job, I was not specifically a potion maker. There were many people who needed my healing help, and I really disliked someone being more arrogant than me. Suddenly, hurried footsteps sounded from afar. A young man appeared carrying his sister, the woman's hand wrapped in bandages. I quickly activated God's eye, detecting an abnormal state. A finger was cut by a sharp sickle and bleeding, the wound deep enough to expose bone. Without timely treatment, it could lead to death from blood loss. I looked at the completely severed finger, which was barely hanging on. Then I laid the girl flat on the table. There were many bacteria on the sickle. The wound must be cleaned immediately. The boy looked at me anxiously. "Dr. Jiang, you must save my sister." But behind me, the city lord's son Eller began to mock. "A potion maker can cure diseases or poisons, but cannot heal wounds. Only priests like me can treat her." I was surprised to see the healing light in Eller's hand. What surprised me was that he was actually a healer. Then I asked Eller to help treat the girl's finger, but Elr dispersed the healing light from his hand. "If you beg for my forgiveness for your arrogance and decide to submit to our destiny, I might consider it." Hearing this, I looked at the girl nearby. How could a nobleman truly care about healing a child from the slums? But it seems this bastard really needs my potion-making ability. Then I refused Elr's proposal and turned to the girl lying flat. Immediately, Elr's face turned red with anger. He wanted to see how a potion maker would treat a wound. Then I took out my prepared medical kit. I just needed to suture the wound, didn't I? Fortunately, I had prepared saline solution in advance. After cleaning and disinfecting, only the final step remained. Just as I was about to suture, Elr once again started his mockery, even threatening to bet his lucky pendant that I couldn't do it. Hearing this, I quickly agreed to Elr's wager. If I couldn't do it, I would make potions for them without compensation. But if Elr lost, I would take the pendant, and he would have to treat commoners for free for 3 days and provide free food. Elr immediately accepted the bet. Then I took out a mana potion to cast the threading skill, thus creating the thread needed for the suture surgery. Activating God's Eye, the next part was the most difficult, using the thread made from mana potion to suture the nerves and blood vessels of the finger. At this moment, Elr was still thinking about how to retaliate against my arrogance later. Suddenly, a cry from the boy brought him back to reality, because I was simultaneously casting hemostasis, God's Eye, and stitching skills. The severed finger was visibly being sutured. This is one of my rules for survival in this alternate world. Fully utilize all skills and techniques you possess. The surgery took 2.5 hours without no noticing. Finger reattachment surgery is very complex. Connecting severed nerves one by one requires a lot of mental strength. Fortunately, I had identified mental imprinting when hunting rare rats earlier, allowing me to concentrate on doing all this. But as I continued to suture the skin, a problem occurred. Sustained high mental concentration had almost depleted my stamina. Just needed to hold on a bit longer to complete the surgery. I exhaled deeply, finally succeeded in reattaching the finger. Looking at the meager stamina value, I almost fainted from exhaustion. Better drink some stamina potion to recover first. Then I cast complete recovery skill to increase the patient's recovery speed. A dazzling light enveloped the girl's hand. Eller's face turned ashen. He hadn't expected I would actually reattach the finger, but he still didn't believe the girl's severed finger had been healed. He then raised his hand to cast revival skill to awaken the girl. Next, the girl slowly opened her eyes. With my and Eller's prompting, she tried waving the finger that had been cut off. Seeing this, Eller realized he had completely lost this bet. I quickly reminded him to be responsible for his words. Otherwise, I would let him feel the power of public opinion. Then, Eller took out the lucky pendant and angrily threw it to the ground. Then left the tent with the guards without looking back. I hurriedly picked up the pendant from the ground. Detecting item, lucky pendant. Wearing it will increase your luck. The boy looked at me puzzled. Will Eller really fulfill the promise he just made? Hearing this, I smiled faintly. You just need to spread this news. Tell everyone that if they go to the city square, they can get free treatment and food. Soon night fell, and I returned to the inn where I was staying. The attendant, Miss Julia, rushed over to me. Dr. Zhang, have you heard? The city lord's son has opened a clinic in the city square, and the food is free too. Now many people are gathering there. I raised my head tiredly, looking at Julia, indicating I knew about this. But Miss Julia was worried this would reduce the number of my patients. But I didn't feel troubled by this. Many people getting free treatment was good enough for me. Then I took out the potatoes I had received during the day and handed them to Julia. Seeing this, Julia confidently promised to make delicious food to help me recover energy. I wanted to thank her for thinking of these things, but I wouldn't be energetic today because I had spent 200 treatment points during the day, opening the roulette game 10 times. Even the lucky pendant couldn't stop my terrible luck. I lost miserably, and most of my various skills and techniques came from this system roulette. Luckily, 2 of the items could still comfort my wounded heart, a vitality crystal and a system inventory expansion card. The inventory expansion card provides more space in the inventory, and this vitality crystal, I only knew it was an item used for crafting equipment. Isn't that a crystal? A familiar voice came from beside me. It was Mr. Jin from Earth. Surprisingly, he was also staying at this inn. Then Jin took out a crystal enhancement card and wanted to give it to me, which surprised me. If sold, it might fetch quite a few gold coins. So you don't want it? Forget I said anything. Soon Jin saw the mental ring on my hand. He was puzzled why I hadn't sold it yet. I stated I didn't have good sales channels. After all, its value was high. The scene changes. I came to the town's weapon shop. Since Jin recommended it, it shouldn't disappoint. Then the weapon shop owner warmly welcomed me. I took out the lucky pendant I had obtained earlier. It didn't seem very useful to me. Unfortunately, that bastard Eller had created a crack when he threw it. But fortunately, the shop owner was willing to buy it for 3 million gold. Next, I took out the mental ring, and the owner immediately recognized its extraordinary nature, not quoting a price right away. So he consulted recent transaction records. Seeing this, I decided to browse around the shop. If I could find a suitable weapon, that would be a good choice too. A crossbow in the corner caught my attention. As a healer, having a ranged weapon for self-defense was reasonable. Suddenly, a powerful energy emanated from the crossbow. As I stood frozen in place, a voice sounded in my mind. No matter what, you must obtain it. Hearing this, I was stunned. In the 2.5 years since being transported to this parallel world, the system's voice had always been mechanical reminders, never communicating with me personally. The feeling was as if I was being watched. At this moment, the shop owner hurriedly came over, interrupting my thoughts. I immediately asked him about the crossbow's origin. It turned out the crossbow was called Priya's crossbow, a precious antique recently discovered by humans. Also paired with the crossbow was this magic pouch. If you put an item in this pouch, what you shoot out is the item you just put in. After the owner finished introducing this ridiculous yet seemingly powerful function, this Priya's crossbow would probably cost a lot of gold. Hearing this, the owner showed me one finger and calmly said, "Not expensive, just 15 million gold. But young man, since we have a connection, I can sell it to you for 14 million. Hearing the price, I wasn't surprised, but according to the owner, the buyback price for my 2 items added up to only 9.6 million. Even if I took out my 2 million private savings, it wouldn't be enough. At this point, I looked up and muttered, "Mysterious person, I know you're watching. I'm 4 million short. You know what to do, right?" But only the chilly air responded to me. At this moment, the owner seemed to notice my predicament. So he suggested he could reserve the crossbow for me, and I could come back for it when I had enough funds. Hearing this, I was overjoyed, as expected from a shop my good brother Jin recommended. To show my gratitude, I took one of the owner's brooches as I left. The scene changes to the Adventurers Guild the next day. I was constantly selecting tasks in front of the guild's bounty board. Actually, last night I thought I could borrow some money from friends. But my good brother Jin searched his entire body and only produced 5,000 gold. Looking at him like a beggar, my thought of borrowing money instantly vanished. Then I told Jin that I might have found a way for us to return to Earth. Perhaps after I got the crossbow, it would be a turning point. Back to the Adventurers Guild, I was searching through the crowded people for bounty tasks related to healing. Then I picked several tasks and was about to examine them carefully. Suddenly, a guild staff member informed me these tasks all required a healer's badge to accept. Hearing this, I smiled and said, "Miss, you're really kind. I almost forgot I don't have a healer's badge. Then I ignored her reminder and continued checking the task descriptions. At this moment, an emergency bounty caught my eye. Surprisingly, the client's address was at the inn where I was staying. After 2.5 minutes, I arrived at the inn to inquire with Julia. Then I opened the lounge's door. A man dressed in priest attire appeared before me. What seemed strange was that ordinary priests couldn't accept personal commissions from the Adventurers Guild, unless he was a wandering priest. Then the priest asked the injured woman to unwrap the bandage on her leg. Seeing this, I immediately activated God's eye to check her condition. Detected severe bleeding, blood infection caused by a sharp wound, small bite marks on the wound. At this moment, the priest impatiently started holy light healing. Seeing this, I hurriedly stepped forward to stop the priest's hand, and kindly told him that using healing magic now would have no effect. Hearing this, the man glared at me with an unpleasant expression. In his 50 years of practice, no one had dared to interrupt his treatment. I was about to continue explaining to everyone, when suddenly the patient's companion stood up from the ground. She was very concerned about his companion's safety, but at this time, someone dared to stop the doctor from treating her. The next second, I was roughly pushed out of the room. Then the door was slammed shut. Seeing this, I smiled faintly. The plot always goes this way, doesn't it? Just wait and you guys will be regret. With my obstruction removed, the priest successfully cast healing spell on the patient. After the man cast 98 times of healing light, the wound on the woman's left leg hadn't even stopped bleeding. This was extremely embarrassing for a priest with 50 years of experience. Under the illumination of the healing light, the patient's condition hadn't improved at all. The blonde girl couldn't help but doubt the priest's abilities. Would her companion die from excessive blood loss? At this moment, Lena called out to her from the bed. That man just now said healing spells wouldn't work on me. Perhaps he has a way to cure me, doesn't he? Hearing this, Liz felt somewhat embarrassed, as she had rudely driven the man away just 2.5 minutes ago. But for her sister's life, she was willing to put aside her pride to seek a lifeline. Then Liz rushed to the inn's front desk, anxiously asking Julia if she had seen a tall, thin man in white robes. Hearing this, Julia pointed behind her. Are you talking about Dr. Zhang? Seeing this, I calmly asked, is the treatment progressing smoothly? Even though I was outside, I saw that glorious holy light, but it doesn't affect my high EQ questioning. Hearing this, Liz confirmed with me again that I could heal her sister's wound. Then she fell into a struggle within herself. She mustered up courage to bow deeply and apologize to me, hoping I could put aside the grudge and help her companion, but no one responded to her words. She saw I had almost reached the door, and I hurriedly urged Liz to walk faster. Isn't your companion in a critical condition? At this moment, Liz realized all this was due to her too vivid imagination. After entering the room, I first shared my treatment philosophy with the priest. We should first identify the cause of the patient's injury before starting targeted treatment. Hearing this, Priest US analyzed that the reason healing spells failed might be poisoning. He had studied over 100 poisons and was proud of his expertise. But unfortunately, there were no signs of poisoning in the woman's leg wound. I ignored Huese's showing off. Then turned to Lena and asked her to describe how she was injured. It turned out the two sisters were attacked by stone moles on their way to the village a week ago. Although moles aren't very powerful monsters, their claws can easily cause injuries. But what seemed strange to Liz was that both of them were injured at the time. Hearing this, I asked if anything else happened on their way to the village. So the two sisters told everything about being chased by monsters in the forest and being attacked by alligators in the swamp. Based on their descriptions, I basically grasped the source of Lena's injury. So I asked Lena one last question. Does this wound hurt? This question obviously enlightened Priest Hues. He had completely failed to notice this point. Then Lena indicated she didn't feel pain, but her head was dizzy. Hearing this, a terrifying idea formed in the priest's mind. Could this be dark magic opposed to holy light magic? Then I mercilessly interrupted the priest's speech. If it were dark magic, it would have a counter effect when meeting holy light magic. So there's only one truth. Then I took out the mint potion I had used when capturing sewer rats before, with the consecutive casting of allocation skill and absorption skill. The mint potion dispersed as mist throughout the room. At this time, the bleeding from Lena's left leg wound mysteriously stopped. Mint potion has a certain confusing effect on all insects in this world. Hearing the word insects, the woman was obviously panicked. Then I pointed out the subtle insect bite marks on the woman's leg. This was because the swamp was the habitat of many stink bugs and monsters. But Lena raised a question to me. Why didn't Liz, who was with her, have the same symptoms? Hearing this, I asked if the wound from the mole scratch was on her upper body. At this moment, Liz finally realized that Lena had dragged her injured leg through the swamp, so only Lena's wound that contacted the water was infected by insects. Seeing this, the priest also realized that the reason healing light couldn't stop the bleeding was because of foreign objects infected in the leg. Hearing this, Liz hurriedly asked if the treatment was over. I calmly took out a scalpel and said, "This is just the appetizer. Don't forget that a wound that doesn't hurt at all means the insect has anesthetic techniques, which is a problem many people overlook." Then I suddenly cut open the woman's leg wound that had stopped bleeding. Suddenly, a bizarre scene appeared. A huge insect crawled out of Lena's injured left leg. Then the monster dropped heavily to the ground. Seeing this, I raised my scalpel and turned to run toward the monster. Black swamp leech, a leech-type monster that lives near water. The leech seemed to sense the threat and immediately became agitated. Then it fled at a rapid speed toward the other side. Not good, it's trying to escape through the drain. Then I quickly chased after the monster. Next, I raised my scalpel and swung at it. Unexpectedly, the leech monster suddenly changed direction and met my attack with its toothy head. It forcefully carefully deflected my arm, then continued to flee toward the drain. The powerful force made my arm tremble continuously. Seeing this, Liz suddenly jumped up and grabbed the wardrobe. With a loud bang, the wardrobe fortunately hit the escaping monster. However, before Liz could be excited for 2 seconds, the monster appeared before her unharmed. Seeing this, I kicked the monster away fiercely. Taking advantage of the leech hitting the wall, I quickly drew my knife to seize the initiative. One strike hit the monster's mouth precisely. As I increased the pressure, the scalpel was caught by the monster's hard teeth. Suddenly, the leech monster erupted with extraordinary strength, violently deflecting me. After several rounds of confrontation, the monster's body had shrunk by a full size. Its tail tentacles constantly moved back and forth, like eyes exploring everywhere. By the time we realized what was happening, it had already found a new escape route. Then, the monster quickly escaped through the window. This is bad. How will I explain the broken window to Miss Julia? Oh no, that's not right. This is bad. If it escapes to the village water system, there will be endless trouble. Then I quickly took out the mint potion. Absorption skill used after spray skill. The effective range of the potion has increased. Next, I rushed to the monster's side. Then I displayed all the melee skills I had trained for 2.5 years. Detected that the other party was bleeding frantically. Almost all blood in its body had drained. Now is the time. Give it the final blow. However, my scalpel had become fragile after multiple collisions. Damn tool failing at the critical moment. At this time, a powerful holy light firmly trapped the leech monster. It was Priest Huace's 2.5-minute incantation that had just taken effect. Unfortunately, I didn't even have a weapon now. Suddenly, a blue dagger was caught by me. I heard Liz urgently shouting at me, quickly use it to finish that monster. At this moment, the leech violently broke free from the restraint, and I had also arrived beside the monster with the weapon. As I struck with the knife, the leech was torn to pieces, completely losing its breath. Then I picked up part of the monster's flesh and handed it to the priest. Unexpectedly, Huace almost threw up his breakfast after just one glance. Seeing this, I could only reluctantly put the flesh into my system storage. After dealing with the monster, I used needle and thread techniques to perfectly suture Lena's wound, not only preventing infection but also ensuring the appearance wouldn't be affected after healing. Then Lena expressed her heartfelt gratitude to me. Hearing this, I displayed a professional smile, then changed the subject. Let's talk about the payment first. Since the book at the guild showed it was the priest who accepted the job, he had to report the task, failure to the guild in person, to cancel the bounty. Otherwise, the customers' advance payment at the guild couldn't be recovered. So under my gentle persuasion, Priest Huace came to the Adventurers Guild and painfully reported his treatment failure to the staff. The front desk girl couldn't understand how Huace the father had failed. He was the highest level priest in the Iber Church, and accompanying him was Zhang Zia, known as the Terminator of Healer Badges. But regardless, all procedures were compliant. Soon I received my payment for emergency treatment, plus the shame of pushing me out of the room earlier. Liz even gave me the blue dagger as compensation, but I believe she was captivated by my personal charm. In plain words, I am super handsome. The scene changes. I was walking alone on the street. Today's job earned a full 700,000 gold. Adding my private savings, I was still about 2 million short of buying the crossbow, so I simply opened 5 rounds of roulette games to try my luck, spending 100 treatment points to open the roulette game. Then I received 4 system notifications of getting 1 gold each. Seeing this, even my usual composure couldn't stop me from cursing. Congratulations on obtaining a new skill. Wind attribute skill can create corresponding attribute potions. Fortunately, my luck has always been online. Soon I came to a tent. The woman who appeared was Raffi, the craziest potion maker, whose hobby was researching various monsters and turning them into potions. Seeing this, I got straight to the point. This time I'm not here to buy things but to sell something. Hearing this, Raffi threw away the experimental subject in her hand, eagerly asking me to take out my goods. Then I placed the water monster flesh I collected today on the table. This was the most complete chunk I could collect. Raffi immediately recognized it was a swamp monster, but the body full of scratches and being cut in half disappointed her. But the next second she changed her mind. I naturally knew that incomplete corpses weren't very valuable, so how much could Raffi offer? Upon hearing Raffi's buyback price of 3 million gold, I was stunned. Do you have some strange affection for leeches? It turned out Raffi discovered this was a mutated black swamp leech. Compared to normal species, they are stronger and possess special abilities. And the difference between mutated and rare monsters is that mutated monsters' bodies can produce antique-like items. Hearing this, Raffi and I engaged in a haggling session. Finally, both parties successfully completed the transaction at a price of 3 million. After receiving the gold, I hurried to the weapon shop without stopping, then threw the heavy gold in front of the owner, so I very smoothly bought that antique crossbow. Next, I hugged the crossbow and confidently shouted, "Reveal yourself, mysterious person. I have obtained the crossbow as you requested." But soon I felt uneasy being stared at by the owner's wise eyes. The scene changes as I return to Julia's inn. If everything I did wasn't being monitored by someone outside, then there's only one truth. Then I placed the crossbow into my system storage. Congratulations on successfully obtaining the crossbow. Suddenly, a huge system interface appeared before my eyes. But what came next shocked me greatly. The information that appeared seemed to be a reaction to my obtaining some kind of item, but I couldn't see all the text in the dialogue box. Could it be due to a system malfunction? This damn situation I'm in. I immediately shouted at the empty room, hoping that whoever was monitoring me would respond. As soon as I finished speaking, the system sent a new message. A large star was highlighted. The system seemed to be communicating with me. The system told me I could ask it 5 questions. I've been transported to this magical world without reason for 2.5 years. Everyone is looking for a way back to Earth, so we've spread out across this world to explore on our own. Could it be that I'm finally going going to learn the method to return, I must carefully consider what questions to ask. First question, are you the entity that brought us to the Azure continent? The system only responded with a yes, clearly an affirmative answer. Second question, who exactly are you? But the system didn't change at all, leaving me dumbfounded. It seems it can only give affirmative or negative responses. I repeated the second question, is there a way for us to return to Earth? Third question, has anyone successfully returned to Earth? This means that Jin Jae-hyung, who is in the same situation as me, hasn't returned either. I immediately took out my notebook. I must make good use of the remaining two questions. Fourth question, what do you want us to achieve in this world? 1 is to collect important items by ourselves. 2 is to gain more and stronger skills. This was a carefully researched question. The mysterious person who brought us here must have a purpose. Finally, the system gave me a response. It needs us to collect important items here. One last question, is the highlights of the props dominant or the number of props dominant? The system's final response was prop-based highlights, and I felt physically and mentally exhausted after asking 5 questions. I never thought some idiot would bring us here just to obtain certain items. Although I felt very angry on second thought, I might be the only one who received this message. Even if you're the god of the Azure continent, I don't care at all. If you want our help, you'd better be sensible and respond. Suddenly, the system window in front of me disappeared violently. A new notification popped up. Points consumed, 52 points remaining. This news hit me like artillery to my cerebellum before I could react. Several messages mixed with mosaics directly depleted all my points. All the points I had painstakingly saved were deducted in an instant. I suddenly felt very helpless and lost. At this moment, I desperately wished someone would come out and explain. Even if you really are the god of Alzar, I will personally eliminate you. You have received a task notification. Please accumulate 5,000 points. You will receive a star. Looking at the newly popped up task message, I fell into deep thought. Such task rewards were something I hadn't seen in 2.5 years. The system took away my points and then issued me a task. Could it be that it's using points to manage the system? I immediately accepted this task of accumulating points. I just hope you won't break your promise at the last minute. The next day at the crack of dawn, I came early to the tavern on the first floor of the inn for a meal, although I still don't understand the way back to Earth. But I gained a new skill yesterday, Freya's stone bow, which can summon and touch Freya's stone bow and can transform into Freya's bracelet. I acquired a specialized crossbow skill, which should enhance my close combat ability further. Then I clicked on a word that displayed a roulette. Status window added Freya's roulette function, consuming 50 points each time. 5 free roulette tickets have been distributed. I was surprised that the crossbow even came with a roulette function. I immediately used the 5 free roulette tickets without hesitation, as a huge roulette appeared on the screen and kept changing. With a ding sound, the roulette stopped changing. Roulette ended, I got 2 points of additional damage and 1 point of attack speed bonus for the crossbow, plus 2 equipment skills, namely Freya's affinity pouch and another skill. It seems this roulette is a channel for bonuses and skill additions exclusive to this weapon, and soul determination is an important indicator for obtaining increased scores. Just then a figure pushed open the door and walked down. It was Jin Haozheng, who was also from Earth. I immediately called out to him. I had to share this important message with him. What the fuck? Jin Haozheng was extremely shocked after hearing my account. He could never have imagined that they were forced to come to this world just to help someone earn points. Although very unwilling to become someone else's slave, what's more important is, he now finally has a way to return to the Earth world he's been thinking about. I quickly stopped Jin Haozheng's crazy behavior, telling him that what matters most now is finding ways to earn points. First, my method of earning points is to heal wounds for others. Obviously, healing my own wounds doesn't earn points, so I can only continuously heal others' wounds. Therefore, I still need someone I particularly trust to be my assistant. This person can only be you, Jin Haozheng. It's impossible to complete the 5,000 point task in a short time with just me alone. I must find Jin Haozheng to be my assistant. After hearing my words, Jin Haozheng fell into contemplation. Although everyone is an earthling in a foreign land, Jin Haozheng still decisively accepted my invitation. This was an answer I had anticipated, but what I hadn't anticipated was Jin Haozheng was about to raise a sharp dagger toward his own palm before I could react. Jin Haozheng had already successfully stabbed through his own palm. He was painfully begging me to treat his palm so we could earn points, right? After hearing this, I coldly denied his idea. For self-inflicted injuries, my treatment couldn't earn points. Soon after bandaging Jin Haozheng's palm, he learned that my plan was to heal companions through hunting monsters. At the same time, we also came to the Adventurers Association, planning to take on some monster hunting commissions there. But the receptionist was very surprised at my arrival. In her eyes, I was someone who didn't follow rules. The scene of me asking the client to modify the order last time was still vivid in her mind. She didn't expect this man to come here again so soon. Naturally, we two didn't know the receptionist's inner thoughts at this time, so we went straight to the commission bulletin board. Several similar notices filled the commission board. All destinations were consistently the Beloto Mountains. It seems that would be our first target. Just then, a voice from behind startled us both. The front desk staff told us that it's now the peak period for monster appearances in the Beloto Mountains, for which they've issued many monster clearing commissions and established an adventurer base camp there. After hearing this, I decisively took on the commission. The place we wanted to go to was the Beloto Mountains. Seeing the goal achieved, the receptionist secretly rejoiced, then swiftly confirmed the commission content with me. The scene changes and we've arrived at the adventurer camp on the hillside of the Beloto Mountains. The base camp will reward you based on the number of monsters you eliminate and commissions you complete. Once you leave the camp, you'll encounter extremely ferocious monster attacks. All adventurers can only fend for themselves. But at this time, Jin Haozheng and I were completely unworried. I'm a close combat priest with self-protection abilities. Just after leaving the camp, we encountered the first wave wave of monsters. It was a group of iron moles with armor-like bodies. I immediately summoned my newly acquired weapon, Freya's stone crossbow. You have used Freya's affinity pouch skill. Then the crossbow began to automatically load stone arrows. With just one stone arrow fired, several iron moles were immediately pierced through. This was all thanks to the crossbow's built-in affinity pouch skill. Otherwise, I'd have to carry stone arrows everywhere. Just as I was feeling proud, a mole emerged from beneath my feet. Only after Jin Hozheng's warning did I react. But obviously, I didn't have time and space to avoid the mole's iron claws. At this critical moment, Jin Hozheng flashed over to help me block this attack. It seemed he was not lightly injured. Freya's affinity pouch skill used, you have loaded a bottle of strength potion into the stone crossbow. I immediately shot 4 arrows into Jin Hozheng's back. Before Jin Hozheng could speak, I explained this was a magic potion sword that could enhance effects. After this interlude, Jin Hozheng and I went all out. In no time, we completely defeated all the iron moles here. We spent quite some effort collecting all the mole corpses, because this was our best evidence for exchanging resources. Seeing the two of us defeat the fierce mole group in half a day, the association staff was also scared into a cold sweat. The adventurers present also cast strange glances at us. But soon someone spoke in mockery. If these two are so strong, why can't they afford the cost of healing? This made Jin Hozheng very angry. Soon the two of us had prepared dinner. Although Jin Hozheng also had great faith in my healing techniques, he was really upset about others mocking us like that. Knowing I couldn't display flashy healing effects, I advised Jin Hozheng there was no need to bother with others. And most importantly, I had already sensed that business was coming. Hearing me say this, Jin Hozheng put down his chopsticks. Just as I said, in the distance, several people were limping toward the base camp and were loudly calling for healers to save them. Seeing the injured patients returning to the base camp increasing in the evening, Jin Hozheng quickly urged me to go earn some extra money, but I wasn't in a hurry at all because I was looking for a different kind of patient. Suddenly a scream spread throughout the base camp. An adventurer with seemingly severe injuries was painfully lying on the ground, yet the priest beside him was helpless. At this time I approached and asked, why not let me try, seeing that the person who came was the 2 people he mocked in the afternoon. At that time he had even mocked that they couldn't afford to hire a healer for treatment. But I didn't care about this. I knew that priests could only heal external injuries, and if they encountered poison or bone displacement, their healing wouldn't work at all and might even bring negative healing effects. I immediately activated my observation eye skill. I quickly discovered that the patient had a corrupted toxic paralysis abnormal state, and his body was covered with wounds from wild animal bites. He was bleeding, but had recovered a little bit compared to before. At this time, Jin Hozheng quickly asked me if I had any new findings. I told everyone that the patient's arm wounds were caused by wild animal bites. Judging from the stiffness of the arm, he had also experienced paralysis before. From this, Jin Hozheng analyzed that if paralysis symptoms appeared, it should be a bite from the hounds of Beloto Mountain. While the priest believed I was talking nonsense, he thought poison wouldn't cause such symptoms in the patient. I ignored the priest's remarks and directly took out a dagger intending to cut open the patient's wound again. The wound site immediately showed signs of decay, but my next operation might be even more outrageous. I directly summoned Freya's crossbow and aimed it at the patient lying on the ground. This scared all the onlookers. If it weren't for Jin Hozheng standing in front, I might have been directly dragged away as a lunatic. To inject medicine to different body parts quickly, this was the most efficient method I could think of. I activated the air skill, able to freely brew potions of different attributes. Then I shot 5 stone arrows made of wind attribute potion at the patient. The onlookers were so frightened they turned away, not daring to look. They thought I was harming lives in the name of treatment. But as the potions began to take effect, the wounds began to heal continuously. All the patient's injuries were recovering at a visibly rapid pace. The one who felt this change most deeply was naturally the priest himself. He couldn't understand why a weapon meant for killing could actually heal people. It was then that I murmured an explanation. The weakness of the Beloto Mountain Hounds is the air attribute. The toxins they carry would naturally be affected by air. At this point, Jin Hozheng realized. He pointed at the priest and loudly scolded, "It was you, this murderer, who healed the patient's wounds, blocking air circulation, which led to his worsening condition." I didn't contradict Jin Hozheng's words. If the priest had thought before using healing skills, this wouldn't have aggravated the patient's condition. Jin Hozheng's and my words directly made the priest too ashamed to face anyone. He could only hurriedly flee amid Jin Hozheng's mockery. Soon, I had finished bandaging the patient's wounds. I told him he would need to rest his body for another day before he could move freely. But at this point, Jin Hozheng raised another question. This patient lying alone here late at night, isn't that strange? Hearing this, the patient on the ground explained that he got separated from his companions because of an attack. Suddenly, he belatedly realized, could he be the only one in the squad who survived? If it weren't for dozens of hounds suddenly running out, they wouldn't have scattered and fled. This news inadvertently made us think of something. Normally, monsters don't gather in one place at the same time. There's only one situation. That is when a rare monster appears. We immediately set off without delay. I just hoped that when we arrived there, someone would still be alive. Suddenly, a cry of alarm interrupted our train of thought. Jin Hozheng hurriedly shone the searchlight forward. Several hounds were fiercely pouncing on a lone adventurer. I swiftly summoned the stone crossbow and fired wind attribute stone arrows. Several hounds in midair were precisely hit by the stone arrows. Fortunately, we arrived in time, thus saving a lone adventurer. But on the other side, Jin Hozheng discovered a harmful fact. There were many human remains piled up here. The signs of decay on them were very obvious. It seemed they had been dead for some time. But Jin Hozheng knew that the habit of hounds is not to pile up and consume dead objects. Could there be something else to this? Then there's only one possibility. A rare monster has appeared here. The Beloto hound that damages everything. Seeing this, I quickly told Jin Haozheng not to panic. But before we could react, the ferocious Boloto hound sent an attack signal towards us. Suddenly, a large group of bright red hounds came at us. This thoroughly frightened that lone adventurer. At this moment, a man descended like a god, with his agile figure blocking all those hounds in front. But before Jin Haozheng could catch his breath, a hound seized his blind spot and pounced on him. Seeing this, I shouted for him to duck down. Then I activated Freya's affinity pouch skill. In an instant, stone arrows made of wind potion were loaded. In the moment of crisis, I successfully saved Jin Haozheng. Having escaped danger, Jin Haozheng was about to thank me. However, a similar scene played out again. Several wind attribute stone arrows were shot into his body. I slowly explained to him that this was just a preventive measure for Jin Haozheng. I knew that, in the near future, my prevention would take effect. Jin Haozheng was caught by a hound again. However, this time it was the biting hound that was injured. It probably couldn't understand until death why this human scent was so disgusting. Under the effect of the wind attribute potion, Jin Haozheng's attacks became increasingly powerful. But at this time I had no time to care about his situation, only because I found that the hound leader had been watching us from the side from the beginning, as if it was waiting for all its companions to die. This couldn't help but give me a bad premonition. After Jin Haozheng eliminated the last hound, sure enough, the hound leader made its move, letting out low growls toward the sky. The continuous howls reached the ears of its dead companions like magic incantations. Shockingly, all the dead hounds stood up at this moment. Could this hound also possess the necromancer's resurrection skill? My earlier premonition was indeed correct. We're in big trouble now. Suddenly, all the revived hounds swarmed toward us. Even if I wanted to attack the hound leader directly, it would be blocked by the other hounds. Seeing this, Jin Haozheng made an important decision. He decided to leave the troublesome hound leader to me. As for the remaining minions, he would take care of them all. Hearing this, I just remembered I hadn't introduced Jin Haozheng's skills to you. His profession is an excellent tank, with a built-in taunt skill that no monster can resist. After Jin Haozheng activated the taunt skill, all the hounds' enmity was attracted to him. Jin Haozheng suddenly ran in another direction. He wanted to create two battlefields here, to give me space to deal with the hound leader. Now only this hound zombie leader was left before me. I remember a collection-loving friend, Raphael, told me, every rare monster has its specific place that provides energy. Just find that weakness and you can defeat it in one strike. Thinking of this, I immediately activated the observation eye skill. In just 2 seconds, I found the weakness of the hound zombie in the nape of its neck. Next, I just needed to aim at its lower jaw. I should be able to successfully shatter its weakness. To ensure success, I summoned Freya's stone crossbow. But just as I was making wind attribute stone arrows, an extremely fast figure pounced out from a nearby bush. It suddenly bit hard on my forearm. The intense pain in this unexpected situation made my mind go blank. Unsurprisingly, my attack was interrupted, and my arm was also bitten off. I hadn't expected that a rare level monster would also have such a despicable ambush tactic. While I was in a daze, the zombie hound leader had already come to my front. Strong survival instinct made me pull myself together, just when everyone thought I would fall because of this. Don't forget that Freya's stone crossbow can be summoned by me at will. At this critical moment, my left hand hidden behind summoned Freya's stone crossbow, then fired a shot directly into the zombie hound leader's mouth at close range. In the last moment of its life, the zombie hound leader couldn't have imagined. This human scheme was even more despicable and shameless than his. The entire forest fell into silence. I hastily used the stop bleeding skill on my forearm. The adventurer beside me had already picked up my severed arm and was walking towards me. In conversation, I learned that he was also a healer, but I declined his healing suggestion and asked the adventurer to first check on the injured person on the other side. On the other side, Jin Haozheng was making weak calls for help. Following the sound, I came to a place not far away. Finding that Jin Haozheng had already eliminated all the hounds, it seemed his body was also not seriously injured. I then showed him my severed arm, telling him my injury was much worse than his. Then I pulled Jin Haozheng, preparing to return to the camp. As for the appearance of undead monsters here, let's leave it to the priests of the Riverside Church to handle. Soon we returned to the adventurer camp. I immediately cleaned my severed arm. I needed to reattach the arm as soon as possible. With the enhancement of exquisite sewing technique skills, my arm regained vitality once again. Jin Haozheng asked me why I didn't let that adventurer healer treat my arm. I slowly said, because in this Alzar continent, only I have this sewing technique. Suddenly a voice came from outside the tent. A Visero staff member told me that priests from the Riverside Church had arrived at the camp. I put on my clothes and walked out of the tent. I wanted to properly meet this renowned priest. Kaniel Priest is the head of the Riverside Church, belonging to the Back Village branch. After a brief greeting, I stated my name. Unexpectedly, the priests nearby, who heard my name, all had strange expressions and began to whisper. Seeing this, Kaniel Priest abruptly interrupted others' unreasonable behavior, then explained to me that they had heard of my reputation. Hearing this, I guessed it must be about me stealing Priest Shuyi's job, who is one of the high-ranking priests in the church. Without much small talk, I led the church priests to where the hounds appeared, corpses piled everywhere emitting an unsettling aura. Everyone who saw this was scared into a cold sweat, but Kaniel, worthy of being the church head, immediately arranged personnel to check and handle the black magic and corpses here. He even arranged a team to burn the repeatedly dying hounds. As the priests lit holy flames on the zombie hounds, the black magic within them seemed to be purified and dispersed with the wind. After handling everything, Kaniel made a request. He wanted to see the true appearance of the zombie hound leader with his own eyes. This is the true appearance of the hound leader. After seeing the leader's condition, Kaniel made another request. He wanted me to hand over the leader's corpse to the church for full processing. This way they could investigate the cause of the black magic. Kaniel told me they wouldn't take these without compensation, then opened an exquisitely packaged item. Kaniel told me this was holy water made by the Riverside Church, also known as the Holy Water of Dawn. Upon hearing this name, Vasero suddenly became very nervous. I quickly asked him about the value of this item. Vasero told me that the Holy Water of Dawn was created when everyone prayed over clear water at dawn for a year, taking countless manpower and resources to obtain. Just one bottle could purify hundreds to thousands of undead monsters. The Holy Water of Dawn was a treasure that couldn't be measured in money. Hearing this, I immediately realized I was wondering how to deal with the zombie hound leader's corpse, and now I could get a treasure for free. I immediately accepted the holy water handed to me by Kaniel without hesitation. Then Kaniel, along with the priests who came together, all expressed sincere gratitude for my elimination of black magic. Hearing this, I just smiled faintly. I'm just a healer who can't tolerate evil undead. The scene changes to the next day. I was woken up by the voice of Vasero's staff at the crack of dawn, but he told me some very urgent news. The head of the Adventurers Association branch had actually asked to see me by name. This completely washed away my morning grumpiness, replaced by deep confusion. So I went to meet this important person with questions. However, the association manager named Raven seemed to come prepared, under the pretense of meeting the adventurer who defeated the rare monster. In reality, I knew all the bad intentions in his heart. Raven Herschel has an extremely bad reputation in the Adventurers Association. Just from the fact that he was born into a wealthy family but had no achievements in his position, I could tell. He wanted to get something from me. As an item was brought up by Raven, it was a potion called Golden Mushroom Extract. According to the Vasero staff's introduction, vitality mushrooms are usually made into endurance potions. And this golden vitality mushroom is the rarest species among them, and most precious is that it can also enhance humans' maximum endurance value. Hearing this news, it was hard not to be tempted. I immediately took the potion and drank it without a second word. Soon I received a notification of maximum endurance increased by 3%. Then I gratefully thanked Raven for the gift with a smiling face. Just when Raven thought things were going in his expected direction, I smashed the potion bottle on the ground. I wasn't stupid enough to think Raven came just to give me a gift. And the most valuable item on me was nothing but that bottle of Dawn holy water I just got from the priest. Hearing this, Raven was silent as if I had read his mind. After half a moment, he smiled crookedly. Raven showed no embarrassment at having his intentions exposed. Instead, he straightforwardly told me that he was indeed here for the Dawn holy water and came to trade with me, a dimensional traveler. Hearing this, my heart trembled. He actually knew my identity as a dimensional traveler. I never expected that the head of the Adventurers Association branch would know my identity as a traverser. How much did he know about this? I couldn't help but reassess this man before me. Seeing I didn't respond, Raven then murmured. He knew that dimensional travelers all have some of their own abilities, but due to their obscure origins, they weren't given attention. Even if they proved their abilities through various means, they would still be limited by some unreasonable rules. And you are a healer without a healer's license. Then Raven continued, if I could hand over the Dawn holy water, not only could I get the license I deserved, but also gain the favor of the Silent family. I might even become a royal healer. This is the value that the Dawn holy water could bring you. What I didn't know was that Raven had already planned all this. As long as he could get the Dawn holy water, he could leave this small village of Back Village for a higher level city. But unfortunately, Raven encountered me. I directly and decisively rejected all the benefits Raven offered. This response instantly turned Raven's beautiful dream into bubbles. First, I'm very confident in my healing skills. There's no need to obtain a license for others' recognition. Hearing this, Raven once again extended an olive branch, using the Silent family's name. Seeing this, I mercilessly exposed him, directly stating that Raven had not a bit of real power in the family, let alone representing the family to support me. My words undoubtedly touched Raven's nerves. The following content doesn't need explanation to know that Raven was already infuriated by me. The scene changes to the next day. Jin Haozheng was holding the gift rewarded to him by the association, an item called the Bloodthirsty Gem, which could increase attack damage. This was also thanks to my meeting with Raven. When he was leaving, I didn't forget to request credit for Jin Haozheng. But how could that idiot Jin Haozheng know these things? Suddenly, the alarm bell of the entire adventurer camp was violently rung. According to the news from the lookouts, a large wave of monsters had gathered around the camp. There was likely to be a tide phenomenon here. Every adventurer had the obligation and responsibility to defend the camp. Soon all the adventurers in the camp participated in the hunting action. I used the advantage of the terrain to start indiscriminate clearing of the monsters below. Jin Haozheng took this opportunity. He wanted to see how effective this bloodthirsty gem was. Instantly, he easily solved a large group of monsters, as if cutting melons and vegetables. At this moment, a huge presence attracted my attention. I saw it very easily defeating an adventurer. Without exception, this should be the final boss monster of this beast tide. For this, all adventurers were eager to try, competing to challenge this huge boss monster. However, they found that ordinary weapons couldn't even get past the monster's defense. Seeing this, I immediately thought of a solution. I took out an iron mole corpse from the system backpack. Metal mole claw arrows have been successfully made. Then a piercing sword was fiercely shot towards the boss monster's forehead. Immediately, Jin Haozheng hurried forward to follow up on the wound. Seeing this, I took a back step to gather strength. Then my figure came to 100 meters high in the sky. I used all my body's strength to throw the dagger out fiercely, successfully used the throwing skill. With a loud bang, the flying knife accurately hit the monster's wound. Then the boss monster's form collapsed with a rumble. The adventurers present all acknowledged me and Jin Haozheng. We became heroes of the adventurer camp. But what I cared more about at this time was the system's points. The system showed that I had accumulated 301 points, so so I could open Freya's roulette again. Jin Haojing then expressed deep mockery towards my gambling behavior. Sure enough, just as Jin Haojing predicted, I got 5 times of Freya's roulette garbage. This time not even one affiliated skill was given to me. After seeing the outcome of the roulette, I had a lifeless face. At the same time, the association staff Acero anxiously ran towards me again. Due to my and Jin Haojing's heroic actions, we resisted this once-in-a-century beast tide. The Adventurers Association decided to give us some rewards. The prize was a free use voucher for the tavern. Soon Jin Haojing and I came to the tavern in the camp. Although the prize wasn't very generous, it was enough to make us spend a happy evening. Just then a familiar figure also came to the tavern. Seeing who came, I was stunned. How is he also here? Isn't this Russ, the first patient I treated? What can I do for you? Russ replies, Doctor, this is the treatment fee I couldn't pay back then. At the mention of the treatment fee, I suddenly remembered that Russ had pawned a sword with me, so I hurriedly retrieved the treasured sword that had accompanied him for years and return it to Russ. The moment he gets the sword back, Russ feels completely transformed. He hugs the blade and starts crying, completely oblivious to the strange looks Jin Haojing and I are giving him. We then chat casually for a bit. During the conversation, Russ pulls out a quest form and extends a party invitation. A few days ago, a dungeon portal appeared near Hinde village. It can be cleared in 3 days. My cousin wanted me to join her party, but I need to repay my loan right now and simply cannot go. So I'd like to give this opportunity to you. Please look after my sister when the time comes. I have no problem with that, and Jin Haojing agrees as well. 3 days later, we arrive at the meeting point to rendezvous with Russ's sister, Tina. Joining us are Locke the fighter, Zule the mage, Shishiata the priest, and Yai the rogue. This Yai fellow seems cheerful and refined in appearance. The others, on the other hand, all seem a bit temperamental, as if they owe someone money. But now is not the time to dwell on this. After getting acquainted with each other, we immediately enter the dungeon. Seconds later, everyone is teleported to a dark and terrifying ruin. Zule immediately uses light magic to illuminate the entire corridor. I take the opportunity to observe our surroundings. Traces of corrosion are everywhere, and since this ruin is underground, it cannot possibly be corrosion from air and water. Could it be caused by dark mana? But Lak and Jixiata, who possess holy power, sense nothing abnormal. Perhaps I'm overthinking. Suddenly, a buzzing sound erupts in our ears. Sacred beetles are attacking. Fortunately, their level is not very high. Everyone can handle them with ease, but their sheer numbers overwhelm us, and soon we are completely surrounded. Seeing this, I have Zule prepare her wind magic while I pull out a mint potion. I immediately use my spray skill to dilute it into gas form, then combine it with Zule's wind magic to spread it. This combo move quickly wipes out all the sacred beetles. Everyone stares in stunned silence. Can't blame them though. My moves are just too slick. At this moment, Yai pulls out 6 large mana recovery potions. This sense of incongruity puzzles me. Giving away such expensive items so easily? However, I don't pay it too much mind. I'll certainly accept them, but whether I drink them is another matter entirely. After all, one must always be cautious. Even if they're poisoned, I can save them to poison someone else. We continue forward and soon encounter a fork in the path. Almost simultaneously, Lak and Jixiata shudder. Jixiata says there is strong dark mana on the left path. Yai sounds confused. Could it be a trap? Then let's take the right path. Before he finishes, I interrupt. We need to take the left path. Hearing this, Lak becomes furious. He grabs my collar and demands loudly, "You bastard, are you trying to get us killed?" Seeing this, Jin Haojing and Tina hurry to intervene, but it's useless. Jixiata and Zule also express their unwillingness to take that path, so we part ways right there. I'm not surprised that Tina doesn't follow them. But Yai, are you sure it's alright not to go with them? Yai smiles faintly. Healer, I trust you more. On the other side, Locke and the others are still complaining about what just happened. They remain convinced they are right. But soon, a dark barrier spell shatters their illusion. By the time the 3 react, it's too late. Jixiata's calf is pierced clean through. Lak tries to use healing light to treat her, but the wound only worsens. This is a curse that only a priest can dispel. Just as everyone is at a loss for what to do, my voice echoes from afar. Didn't I tell you not to take that path? Lak is shocked to see the 4 of us returning. Tina examines the magic circle. This is a sealing formation, but the seal has been broken. This information startles me slightly. A trap specifically targeting priests? Before I can think further, Lak rushes over demanding I treat Jixiata. I laugh disdainfully. Why should I? You ignored your teammates' opinions and acted unilaterally. Though Lak is dissatisfied, seeing Jixiata in agony, he finally kneels and apologizes, begging me to treat her. I smile faintly. I really am quite the villain. I immediately use control bleeding to stop the bleeding, then pull out the potent holy water priest Kaniel gave me. 1 drop can break all evil curses. Next, I just need to stitch the wound. Sometime later, Jin Haojing walks over carrying the newly treated Jixiata on his back. Everyone is shocked at the sight. Lak even cries while thanking me for saving Jixiata. Only Yai watches me with a strange expression, lost in thought. We continue onward and soon arrive at the boss room. To better handle the boss, Lak specifically tells everyone to focus before forcefully pushing open the door. As the door opens, a ram-headed monster appears before everyone's eyes. The aura emanating from the monster sends chills down everyone's spines. Even their breathing becomes labored. But the next second, a sharp arrow pierces straight through the boss's body. Just like that, the ram-headed beheaded boss is killed instantly upon appearance. Everyone is dumbfounded. What just happened? The boss was one-shotted? That's right. This arrow is my Dawn's holy water arrow made from Dawn's holy water. Jin Haozheng mutters quietly. Dr. Jiang, why use your ultimate move right at the start? I reply calmly. Saving your ultimate for the end is what's abnormal. With that, I use my retrieval skill to recover the holy water arrow into my inventory. After a long moment, everyone finally recovers from their shock. Since the boss is dead, the dungeon will disappear soon. We need to loot quickly, so we decide to split up. Before long, Tina discovers an altar first. There is much fresh blood on it. Many people appear to have been sacrificed here. I examine it carefully and spot a hidden black wooden box. Just as I'm about to open it, a massive summoning circle lights up around us. Looking closely, countless undead creatures suddenly burst forth. Seeing this, Lack urgently tells everyone to prepare for counterattack. Fortunately, these undead creatures are all low level and are soon defeated. But I notice something wrong. Logically, undead creatures should not be able to move after the boss dies. Suddenly, something occurs to me. I quickly turn and head to the boss's corpse. After searching, there is indeed no gore. This proves this is not the boss, merely an empty shell. Just as I'm about to tell Jin Haozheng this discovery, he suddenly collapses without warning. I glance down. Everyone is passed out. This means the boss is very likely among us. After thinking, I summon stamina arrows and shoot one at each person. The others show no reaction, but only Yai deflects the arrow. This indicates Yai is very likely the boss. Yai, I apologize for shooting you suddenly, but this is just a stamina arrow that restores endurance. I just wanted to test something. I didn't expect you to wake up so quickly. Yai counters. Aren't you awake too? By that logic, you are also suspicious. What a clever way to turn the tables. That's probably because I never drank that mana potion you gave us. With that, I swiftly attack. Yai is caught off guard and hastily blocks with his dagger. But my target is not his head. It's the bandage on his dagger concealing dark mana. Seeing he is exposed, Yai stops pretending and reveals his true form. This scene leaves me stunned. It's definitely the boss. But what does apostle of the forgotten god mean? Before I can ponder further, Yai launches an instant attack with a sword thrust. Fortunately, I react quickly, or this strike would have cost me dearly. Having his attack blocked, Yai grows increasingly frenzied. He decisively slashes his own palm and uses the blood to draw a magic circle. In an instant, a massive dark magic surrounds me completely. However, it seems to have no effect on me, because the item I just found beneath the altar can actually grant magic immunity. The moment Yai sees this orb, he panics. His expression becomes terrifying as he shouts, "Release Lord Kilkarasutai's sacred orb." I see. This really is a divine sacred relic. Then I'm afraid I cannot let it go. At these words, Yai erupts in fury. Are you kidding me? With that, he lunges forward again. His attacks grow increasingly frenzied, like a berserker in rage mode. This barrage of attacks actually leaves me somewhat overwhelmed. Seeing this, I decisively throw the orb into the air. When Yai reaches to catch it, I use my mana thread to hook it back. Then I use Freya's stone crossbow to fire several consecutive arrows. The bolts precisely hit Yai's head, but cause little damage. Instead, they only enrage him further. He raises his hand and summons black thorns, wrapping himself up. Anyone can see he is trying to stall for time to recover. But how could I let him have his way? I decisively use incision to cut through all the black thorns, then fire an arrow. Dazzling light immediately radiates all around. As the light fades, Yai's body is utterly devastated with several blades piercing him. Even so, he still mutters about the orb. At this moment, Yai lifts his head and smiles eerily. Lord Kilkarasutai says she senses an indescribable power protecting you. It seems you and I are the same kind of person. Hearing this, my expression turns cold. I don't believe in gods, but I did obtain some extraordinary power. That's all there is to it. Yai smiles faintly. Ha ha ha. I believe you will also become infinitely hungry for this power. With that, his eyes go dark and he crashes heavily to the ground, motionless. On the other side, the knocked out group gradually awakens. They think they triggered some trap, but when they turn around, they see Yai lying motionless on the ground. With me standing by the corpse, I smile helplessly and explain what happened. After some time, everyone stares at Yai's corpse in disbelief, but they choose to believe me. After all, dark mana does emanate from his body. To be safe, I have Zhulei quickly draw a teleportation circle. She readily agrees. As I turn around, I notice Priest Sixiata with a worried expression. She seems to want to pray for the corpse, but she is too introverted, so I simply ask if I can help. Sixiata expresses hope that everyone can pray together. We don't refuse. We all participate in the prayer, except for Zhulei, who is drawing the formation. Just as the prayer ends, the system announces an achievement, completely unexpected. From Jin Haozheng's expression, I can tell he also received this achievement. Then Tina uses mana to form a net and transports the body into the magic circle. Suddenly, Yai actually stands up again and stabs Zhulei clean through with his short sword. This final surge truly catches me off guard. Before I can think further, Yai flashes toward me. Fortunately, I block in time with my stone crossbow. Priest Sixiata seizes the opportunity to use Dispel Undead. Yai recoils in pain, then resolutely crushes his own core, intending mutual destruction. Seeing this, I urgently order everyone to enter the teleportation circle immediately. Though Zhulei's wound has healed, she cannot channel mana due to extreme stress. Damn it, so that was the purpose. I immediately begin considering countermeasures in my mind. After all, survival is human instinct. Looking at the magic circle on the ground, something suddenly occurs to me. Since the magic circle is already drawn, we just need someone to channel mana. Tina, we're counting on you now. After hearing this, Tina looks completely bewildered. She hastily insists she cannot do it, but I urge her to decide quickly because there is no time left. After thinking for a few seconds, Tina has no choice but to agree. Zhulei drew a triple fusion magic circle. This type typically requires 2 or more people channeling mana mana together to activate. Zhule could originally activate it alone using clone magic, but now I must take over one role. Tina follows suit and releases her mana. Then a flash of light passes. When we open our eyes again, we have successfully escaped the dungeon and arrived at an unfamiliar place. Zhule explains. This is the western part of the AZ continent, headquarters of the Crimson Magic Tower she belongs to. Jin Haozheng is surprised. Is this the wealthy district of Kamal? Hearing this, I'm quite curious what a wealthy district looks like. I instinctively look around. It seems fairly normal. At this moment, several mages hear us and come to investigate. One of them immediately recognizes Zhule among us and instantly appears before her, giving her a stern scolding. You rascal, how dare you come back here? You've been out there for so long. Zhule urgently asks the man to calm down. There are outsiders watching. A few minutes later, the man finally notices us watching from the side. I am Tansel, head of the Crimson Magic Tower district. You say you just escaped from a ruined dungeon? Go rest well. We'll handle the rest. Though he says this, sleep is impossible after such a battle, so I come out to get some air. Unexpectedly, Tina is also outside because she cannot sleep. She cannot stop thinking about today's events and feels terribly guilty. I smile faintly. It's all right. We all came back safely in the end. You were the greatest contributor. Tina is very grateful. Thank you for understanding. Actually, I was a mage at the Golden Magic Tower. When I was young, my family saw my talent for magic and forced me into the tower. But I prefer swords over magic. During my days at the tower, I often thought about sparring with wooden swords with Russ, but my magical talent was not outstanding at all. Eventually, I left the tower and became someone neither skilled in swordsmanship nor magic. I never learned magic or swordsmanship, so I cannot judge. But I know clearly that the most important thing in life is choosing what you love. If you feel inferior to others, use clever tactics. Simply put, whatever means you use, as long as you achieve your goal. So what if you don't fit in? Success is what matters. These words give Tina a sudden realization. The next day, our temporary party ultimately disbands. Lack and Jixiata resume their own adventures, and Tina seems to have found her life's goal. She will apparently pursue the path of magic swordsman, becoming the second case in this world. Seeing Tina so spirited, I decide to help her once more, so I write a letter of recommendation. Tina, if you've determined your direction, go to this place. A powerful magic swordsman lives there. He will help you. Tina accepts the envelope with gratitude. She immediately departs, and all I can do is wish her well. Just as Jin Haozheng and I prepare to begin our next adventure, Zhule calls out to us, leaving us confused. A few minutes later, we appear bewildered in Professor Tansel's room. There is also a young man watching me with ill intent. Hello, I am Li Xing from the Obsidian Magic Tower. I heard the dungeon boss was a powerful dark mage. Do you have anything among your spoils that he used? I would like to purchase it for research. I ponder for a moment. First, the orb is not for sale. Right. Yai's short sword has dark magic runes, and it happened to fall into the teleportation circle during the fight, so I no longer hesitate and directly take it out. Li Xing is very excited and pulls out a pile of strange items. Even a music box is among them. However, this seems to be no ordinary music box. It can actually restore stamina, so why choose like a child? I take everything. Some magic scrolls can be sold for profit. Others I keep to study. Tansel just gave me a permit, giving me ample time to study. I can also purchase potions not sold outside. So a few minutes later, I arrive at a potion shop and buy a batch of stamina potions. During the purchase, I notice the mage behind me is doing something wrong, so I decisively point it out. But seeing I have no mana, the man decisively ignores me. I tried to warn him kindly. Since he won't listen, there is nothing I can do. I immediately pull Jin Haozheng and run outside. We barely step outside when an explosion erupts behind us. Without the slightest hesitation, I immediately rush in. Then I have Jin Haozheng block the door with a bookshelf to prevent gas from leaking out. Everyone here, no one is allowed to leave. I told you not to put that herb in, but you insisted. But don't worry, the smoke is harmless. It's just that if you accidentally absorb this gas, all the mana in your body will be dissolved. Everyone panics at these words. Fear churns their stomachs. They desperately want to escape, but a crossbow bolt blocks their path. Hey, did you forget where we are? This is the Crimson Magic Tower Center. All the mechanisms here rely on mana to function. Everyone's faces change drastically. If the gas is released, the mechanisms will fail and they will face execution. But if they don't escape, their futures will vanish. Seeing them like this, I smile faintly. Don't panic, everyone. Regular medication will cure it, and I happen to know how to make such medicine. Everyone is thrilled and immediately kneel, begging me to treat them. This feeling is indeed quite satisfying. Where was this before? No time to think about that. I immediately mix various herbs into a pot and begin brewing. While gas is intangible and hard to remove, I can transform it into an easily removable form. A few minutes later, even Jin Haozheng shows signs of mild poisoning, but the potion is also finished brewing. No time to think. I immediately use spray to disperse the potion into the air. Almost simultaneously, the toxic gas transforms into spherical particles upon contact with the potion, so everyone begins collecting the spheres. During this time, I also finish preparing the antidote for them. The man from earlier voices his confusion. Dr. Jiang, you said I mistakenly used aromatic herb, right? But I clearly used scent-absorbing herb. How strange. Why would the tower's cultivation room have this herb? My expression changes at these words. I can only hope it's not what I'm thinking. If it's true, the tower will face an unprecedented crisis. With that, I hurry to find Professor Tansel, but Professor Tansel is stuck in a meeting. He can only have Zhule take Jin Haozheng and me to check the herb cultivation room. A few minutes later, we rush to the herb cultivation room and discover the door penetrated by plants. Opening the door, the plants inside have already grown into towering trees. The magic circles regulating temperature and humidity are destroyed. The mana concentration is absurdly high. Suddenly, a plant root lashes out like a whip. Fortunately, Fortunately, I react quickly and pull Jin Haozheng away. Looking closely, it's actually a plant-type monster, and an extremely difficult regenerative plant at that. I immediately load stone arrows and attack, but it regenerates. However, this reveals some details. Its regeneration speed varies. The vine's Yule cut regenerate faster. This creature apparently regenerates by absorbing mana. I smile faintly. That's convenient. I just made the antidote recently. The next second, an aromatic herb gel projectile shoots straight into the monster's body. The monster struggles briefly and collapses. Now to deal with the rampaging magic circle. This magic circle is severely clogged and seems about to explode any second. So I ask Gilles if there's a way to stop mana from flowing in. Gilles is horrified. I'm just a junior mage. How would I know these things? We should escape quickly. I glance at the magic circle, thinking escape is futile. At this rate, everything nearby will be annihilated when it explodes. We must find a solution. So I immediately use observational eye to see what's wrong. I actually discover a connection issue. Perhaps I cannot solve this myself, but this orb is a different matter. With that, I no longer hesitate. Using throw skill, I hit the bullseye precisely. The magic circle immediately glows red. The light lasts a few seconds, then fades. Then I turn and grin. Nailed it again. Then Jalile urgently contacts Tansel. Professor, with this happening, there must be a problem at the mana core zone. Please allow us to investigate. Tansel shakes his head. Although I'm the district head, that area is not under my jurisdiction, so we must find one of the Crimson Magic Tower's Vice Tower Masters, Lord Haibei. So we hurry to the Vice Tower Master's office. After a few minutes of discussion, the Vice Tower Master still doesn't believe us and angrily accuses us of nonsense. In reality, he just fears losing his chance to become Tower Master. My expression turns cold. Vice Tower Master Haibei, let me remind you, it's best to evacuate everyone now. Good for you and everyone else. But Haibei chooses to ignore us and drives us out. Jin Haozheng and Jiulei seethe with anger. I just smile faintly. That guy won't live long anyway. After all, his office is closest to the core zone. Sure enough, shortly after we leave, the walls of Haibei's office can no longer contain the energy rampage. With a boom, blue energy instantly engulfs the entire office. Collapsed stones pin Haibei down immobile. In this situation, Haibei instinctively uses magic to move the stones. But the moment he releases mana, Haibei is shocked like touching electricity, charred outside and tender inside, so he can only shout for help toward the door. And I happen to pass by and hear him. Didn't I warn you earlier? So in life, one should listen to others' opinions. Seeing me appear, Haibei is like grasping at straws and hurriedly apologizes for his earlier behavior. I smile faintly. Honestly, I'm quite busy. If you give me something good, that's another matter. With that, I make to leave. Haibei immediately panics and hastily agrees to my request. He pulls out the key to the mana core zone. If you save me, I'll give you the key. After all, only by controlling the core zone can you save others, right? I turn back and mock him. Want to take everyone hostage? Interesting. Forgot to tell you, this mana explosion already broke all the core zone seals. I don't need a key. At these words, Haibei's heart turns to ash. He wants to offer greater rewards, but I've already left swiftly. The very next second, Haibei's office explodes and Haibei kicks the bucket. At this moment, I am traversing the corridors searching for an exit. Suddenly, children crying attracts my attention. I urgently ask what happened. Two children tearfully say their friend is trapped inside a room. Without hesitation, I use my dagger to break through the rubble. Then I discover Li Jie lying on the ground, barely breathing. The system shows Li Jie's condition is very poor, with bleeding, mana backflow, and a broken leg. I move the stones, crushing Li Jie. Seeing this, Li Jie urgently stops me. Adventurer, you don't have to do this. Escape quickly. It's too dangerous here. At these words, I'm moved. Don't worry. I'm a fake healer after all. After rescuing him, I give Li Jie simple treatment, then continue searching for an exit. This explosion is far more severe than I imagined. The stairs have collapsed. There is no path. Then jumping is the only option. After thinking, I quickly reach the opening. Then I leap. Li Jie and I plummet straight down in free fall. Seeing the distance is right, I decisively pull out my stone crossbow. Then I fire a bandage arrow with a grappling hook made from bandages. With a ding, the hook embeds perfectly in the stone wall. As I expected, the bandage can just support both our weights. Having escaped disaster, I can't help but laugh. Really, if you live long enough, you experience everything. Sometime later, I hand Li Jie over to others and prepare to go deep into the core zone to address the source. Before leaving, Li Jie gives me a scroll. Not sure if it will be useful. A few minutes later, the mana core zone. Jin Haozheng and Jiulei, who arrived early, have both passed out from backlash. Professor Tansel has strong willpower. His mana was drained, but he hasn't fainted. Zhang Zia, leave quickly. This is beyond what we can handle. I smile faintly. It's fine. This cannot harm me. After all, I'm a fake healer with no mana. With that, I immediately fire 3 stone crossbow bolts. But this core has actually developed self-awareness and activated a mana barrier. This makes me pause. It is completely transformed into a monster. Then I fire 3 more aromatic herb gel arrows. The mana barrier is indeed broken, but this thing can actually absorb the dissolved barrier's mana and convert it into attack magic with extremely fast casting and essentially no windup. So unsurprisingly, I'm hit directly. Fortunately, the orb protects me. I only suffer minor injuries. What a troublesome creature. Looks like I'll have to gamble. After thinking, I charge straight toward the core. With slick footwork, I dodge all attacks. Then I reach the core. Since aromatic herb doesn't work, I'll use this sacred relic. With that, I forcefully press the orb into the barrier. But the result surprises me again. The orb has no effect. Instead, it makes the core more violent. Seeing this, I quickly pull back and start thinking of countermeasures. The core grows stronger by absorbing mana, so I must address the mana at its source. Li Jie's scroll? Thinking this, I suddenly open my eyes wide. Then I fire 4 mana potion arrows at nearby stone pillars. The core core is indeed attracted by that massive mana. I quickly tear the scroll. Those mana potion arrows immediately turn from blue to black. The core unconcernedly continues absorbing, not noticing its body slowly darkening and cracks forming in its core. I smile faintly. Not bad at all, Lee J's mana corruption scroll. With that, I fire a stone arrow. The stone arrow hits the core precisely. In an instant, a massive energy explosion erupts. This marks the end of the battle. Evening, outside the Crimson Magic Tower. Tower Master Luo Kyle expresses sincere gratitude on behalf of all students. If you want anything, just tell me. This strikes right at my heart. Since you say so, I won't be polite. I heard the tower has a special mental rest barrier magic circle. These words immediately cause a commotion. But that commemorative item can only be given to Crimson Magic Tower mages. Outsiders cannot obtain it regardless of contributions. I sigh helplessly at this. Just as I think I probably won't get it, the Tower Master spreads his arms. So I've decided to exercise my authority as Tower Master and formally grant healer Jiang Zia honorary membership in the Crimson Magic Tower. Hearing this, I'm stunned. Then I laugh helplessly. Being a fake healer apparently isn't enough. Now I'm also a fake mage. But it doesn't matter anymore. Thank you, Tower Master Luo Kylie. The next day, Jin Haozhang and I arrive at the honorary member residence. Though spacious, it has no furniture. But that's fine. I don't plan to live here anyway. It can serve as storage. With that, I open my inventory to see if there are useless items. The moment I open it, a point task pops up. This reminds me there is indeed such a task, but I recall what Yai said, so I decisively skip it. I don't want to become like those god worshippers. Then I check the achievement. Rewards. The reward is a slot skill. After slotting equipment, the character gains effects. It looks quite good. Slotting the brooch and orb would be perfect. At this moment, Jin Haozhang asks why I don't wear mage robes. This reminds me I have that. The next second, a red cloak appears on me. Cool as it is, it doesn't suit me as a healer. So I change back to my white coat and continue organizing. When I reach the photos, I fall silent. I ultimately decide to leave the photos here. That afternoon, Jin Haozhang and I finish packing and bid everyone farewell. Then we arrive at the city of Kamal outside the tower. The sun shines brightly. Wealth permeates the air everywhere. But something seems wrong recently. Carriages cannot leave. This confuses us both. Is there a problem with the stables? The elder replies. Not exactly. It's just, before he finishes, commotion erupts from the city gate. From their conversation, I understand. Simply put, the tower's protective barrier has disappeared. Everyone feels uneasy and wants to leave, but outside is dangerous now. At this moment, a mage finally loses his patience. He summons an ice bridge directly. Before they can step onto it, shadowy figures suddenly leap from beneath the water. They turn out to be Pixida fishmen. These monsters possess assimilation abilities. One bite is basically enough to assimilate you. Seeing the situation, I immediately step forward to help stop the fishmen from reaching shore. Jin Haozhang goes to destroy the bridge. Half an hour later, the fishmen that made it ashore are completely eliminated. However, the guard on duty gets injured. The assimilation spreads extremely fast. The skin changes appear almost instantly. Everyone panics at the sight and urgently asks the healer to use healing light, but I immediately stop them with a shout. Ordinary healing techniques are useless. At this stage, even amputation cannot stop the mutation. Hearing this, the man's spirit breaks completely. He wants to end his own life while he is still human, but I stop him. The man looks utterly confused. You are really impatient. I did say there is no way to stop the mutation, but that doesn't mean I cannot create one. After giving some instructions, I decisively jump into the water. As far as I know, the core ingredient for mutation antidote is fishman liver, but fishmen rot immediately after dying outside water, so I must dive underwater. And just to be safe, I specifically submit that point's task. Suddenly, a water spirit bullet grazes past my cheek. Well, how convenient. The fishmen appear on their own, saving me the trouble of searching. I then decisively use chain skill, pulling them one by one to fight. 1 minute later, all the fishmen are dealt with, but it feels somewhat too easy. I resolve it without even needing to release my dark skills. Before I can think much about it, a dark shadow silently engulfs me. By the time I react, a shockwave is already right in front of me. Fortunately, I react quickly, using chain skill to pull a nearby corpse in front of me. Otherwise, I would be in serious trouble. This attack is no joke. Moreover, my wind potion effect is about to wear off, so I need to end this quickly. With that, I decisively unleash my black star skill dispersing bolts, and the monster is immediately pierced through. After resolving everything, I surface from the water. I then step onto shore and breathe fresh air. This makes me reflect that humans are indeed better suited to living on land. I immediately get to work making the antidote and have the man test it quickly. The effect is clearly visible. Seeing this situation, everyone expresses gratitude. At this moment, a guard rushes over and reports that both the east and west gates are under attack, with many people mutating. Without any hesitation, I immediately rush into the quarantine area. I then use my stone crossbow to rapidly fire antidotes, but there are still a few people for whom it is too late. For them, we can only let them leave this world without pain. As for the culprits who caused all this, they only show up now, demanding the treatment with fierce attitudes. I use the system to scan them and discover they are not infected. In other words, these people want to hoard and resell. What truly shameless behavior. Fine, I can give you the antidote, but it costs 400,000 per dose. Everyone is stunned when they hear this. How much did you say? What? You are not satisfied with this price? Then make it 500,000. Everyone becomes upset immediately, pointing at my nose and cursing me as heartless. How about this then? I can treat people with symptoms for free, but only those who drink this can receive the treatment. Do not be afraid. After all, I can only tell who has symptoms after they drink it. Everyone panics and immediately backs down. They then flee hastily without looking back. Even the guard captain is stunned by my maneuver. By the way, I plan to leave Kamal today, but given the current situation, I doubt there are any carriages available. In the evening, I meet up with Jin Haozhang and suggest leaving the next day instead. Jin Haozhang indicates he does not mind, so I suggest going to the loot appraisal office first, since that elite monster just dropped some items. After a while, the owner greets us with a beaming smile. This scene feels familiar to me. I get the feeling this person is a scammer. However, I pay it no mind and take out the loot directly. When the owner sees it, his eyes immediately light up with greed. In his mind, he is already thinking about how to extort money from me. At this moment, a woman walks out from inside, seeing the owner's behavior. She says nothing and throws a punch directly. "You scoundrel, cheating people again!" After the scolding, the woman immediately apologizes to us. She then personally conducts the appraisal. The loot is a pair of earbone frames that enhance the wearer's abilities underwater. I choose not to sell them, but keep them instead. This kind of underwater combat equipment might come in handy someday. Plus, there is a pair, so I give one to Jin Haozhang. Jin Haozhang is touched for a moment. "I did not expect you to care about me so much." I smile faintly. "I just do not want to struggle underwater alone." After finishing this, we walk out, but the sky is already darkened. Returning to the magic tower now is clearly not a practical option. Moreover, I said a bunch of sentimental words when parting. Would it not be awkward to return in less than a day? Then the only option is to sleep on the streets. At this moment, a familiar voice calls out to us. After a while, Xie returns home exhausted. The moment she opens the door, she is startled by the scene before her. "Are these not our two guests? Wait, brother, why are you here? Were you finally fired?" Ziria responds helplessly. "I am on sick leave, all right." Seeing the situation, I suddenly realize. I see now. I thought Xiaer looked somewhat familiar. She is Ziria's sister. The Katil family appears to be an ordinary household at first glance, but is actually a historic family of guardsmen. Shortly after, we chat for a while before preparing to rest and sleep. In the evening, I suddenly wake up. I have a strong sense of unease, so I go to the window to check the situation. I discover that the distant lake surface is completely covered in mist, as if concealing something. So I decide to go to the Katil family's watchtower to take a look. Unexpectedly, the moment I step outside, an extremely sharp sword is pressed against my neck. The person is a neatly dressed knight with a stern expression. "Who are you?" Facing this situation, I do not panic at all. I'm already starting to summon my stone crossbow. Just as the atmosphere becomes tense, Zirier walks in and interrupts the scene. "Uncle, do not attack. He is healer Jiang Zia." Only then does the uncle remember that I am the person who saved Zirier. He quickly apologizes and leads me to the observation platform. The first thing I do every time I wake up is monitor the lake, but others say this place has magic tower barrier protection, making my actions unnecessary. But I know that no matter how reliable the magic tower is, there will always be times when it fails. I nod slightly. I see. No wonder the house has a watchtower. Then my expression becomes serious as I use my skill to probe the mist. I then release dispersing bolts to illuminate the sky. Without lighting it up, I would not have known. What a shock. There are countless dark shadows lurking in the water, moving slowly. The mist there is just a smokescreen. Their real objective is to attack Kamal. Zirie and the others do not hesitate for a moment and immediately sound the city-wide alarm. They gather all the guards to fight the fishmen to the death. Before the battle, Shier lends us weapons that have been passed down through their family for generations. The attributes of these weapons are extremely impressive, all providing stat bonuses. Using them, we cut through like a hot knife through butter, taking down minions with each strike. However, the fishmen are not so easy to defeat either. They even have pixie-to giant crabs as reinforcements. But in Jin Haozheng's and my eyes, it is nothing more than walking crab meat. Plus, we have numbers on our side. Each person landing a blow can hack it to death. In the end, the Fishman Legion is completely defeated. Everyone erupts in cheers and celebration. At this moment, Jin Haozheng's and my stamina bars are completely depleted. We need to sleep immediately. I hope when we wake up, we can see premium-grade crab meat. Shi'ar watches us about to collapse and feels puzzled, but still agrees to our request. I do not know how long passes before I suddenly open my eyes. I then notice Zirie tidying up the bedding. Zirie, how long have I been asleep? Zirie responds with a smile. You slept for an entire day. What? I slept for 25 hours? Where's my crab? Zirie smiles gently. Do not worry. Of course we waited to eat it together with you. So, after a while, everyone begins a lively party. Speaking of this victory, we must thank this shovel, Shi'ar explains proudly. Of course, this is no ordinary shovel. It is a treasure that only the most outstanding warriors of Kamal can obtain. At the very least, it's rare. Jin Haozheng is greatly surprised. You are giving us something so precious? Is that really alright? Easy. Keep it without worry. Our family still has 11 more sets of these. At this moment, something shining catches my attention. I step forward to examine it. It turns out to be an accessory equipment. Since no one noticed, I will just put it on first. At this moment, the guard captain asks if I have time. The Lord requests an audience. I have no problem with that. Let us go see him. More than 10 minutes later, we arrive at the Lord's manor by carriage. The Lord immediately comes out to greet us. I heard the Lord is a genius, but his appearance seems somewhat different from what people generally expect. Is this not just a complete coward? And he cries easily too. After a while, Lord Kabayan finally calms down and states the purpose of this meeting. The first is to establish Kamal's first knight family, which is the Katayo family. After hearing this, the uncle becomes extremely excited and jumps up. What a tremendous honor. The second matter is awarding rewards, ranging from equipment worth millions to countless gold, silver, and jewels. Hearing this, I decisively refuse Kabayan's kindness. Although these things are very tempting to ordinary people, I need something I cannot obtain through my own power alone. Jin Haozheng and I previously lived in Hinda village, so please establish establish a magic association branch there. Upon hearing this, Kabayan's hand holding his tea trembles. Establishing a magic association branch is a major undertaking after all, but since the words have been spoken, he grits his teeth and agrees. By the way, it would be even better if you could sponsor some travel expenses and equipment for our return to Hind. Meal, costs, potion sets, a boat, and preferably a guide. After several requests in succession, Kabayan feels dizzy. Wait a moment. Did I not already agree to build the magic association? Jin Haozheng responds righteously. These are now rewards for me. After all, I am not a mage. Building a magic association has nothing to do with me. Upon hearing this, Kabayan's eyes go dark, he foams at the mouth and faints. However, this kind lord ultimately agrees to our requests. Whether it is the boat, guide, or equipment, everything is fully provided. So after bidding farewell to Xiaer and the others, we swiftly set off on our adventure. I thought this journey would be peaceful, but things often do not go as expected. Going back 1 hour earlier, Jin Haozheng and I discussed the route. As long as we cross this lake and then rent a carriage at Tarakti village, we can arrive safely. However, I heard there is a red forest that is not only vast but also eerie, where outsiders easily get lost. So the guide Kabayan arranged for us is Barik, a native of Tarakti, along with his wife and daughter, Daiji and Ludi. I can only say he truly lives up to being a lord. What a kind person. After gliding for a while, a red forest appears ahead, looking extremely eerie. At this moment, a school of piranhas suddenly leaps from the water for some reason and begins fiercely attacking us. Seeing this situation, I immediately draw my blade and prepare to fight. But it seems there is also a giant monster underwater rushing toward us at 100 meters per second. I fire several arrows in succession, trying to stop it from advancing, but this monster's agility is quite high. With just a few body twists, it dodges all the attacks. So the next second, our little friendship boat is capsized. Seeing the situation, I do not panic at all. I take out my stone crossbow and directly generate ice potion arrows. I fire one arrow, and the monster along with the lake surface freezes together. Jin Haozheng also seizes the opportunity, taking out his golden glory and delivering a thunderous strike. A massive radiance immediately forms on the lake surface. When the light fades, all of us are safe and sound. However, the solid corpse makes me feel somewhat strange. I decide to use observational eye to check its attributes, and the system shows that this creature died 3 days ago. In other words, this is a puppet. As soon as the words leave my mouth, vine-like things suddenly emerge from the monster's body. This is wave parasite grass, a parasitic plant monster, and it seems to have mutated due to magical mana leakage. Before I can think much about it, 2 more water columns shoot skyward. They turn out to be octopus tentacles. It seems the boss has appeared. Jin Haozheng, we should strike now. Just as I finish saying this, Jin Haozheng beside me can no longer hold it in and vomits. The 2 tentacles take the opportunity to grab Barik and the others. Seeing this situation, I immediately use dispersing bolts to sever one tentacle, but it is too late for the other one. Ludi is then dragged into the water right before Jin Haozheng's eyes. This instantly reminds him of his own daughter. A surge of primal power suddenly erupts. Even his seasick body temporarily returns to normal. He leaps and directly embraces Ludi, then gets dragged into the water together with her. Underwater, Jin Haozheng continuously uses golden glory to attack the tentacles, but these cursed tentacles can regenerate infinitely. This causes his oxygen to run low, and he is about to pass out soon. At this moment, a burst of light appears out of nowhere. Then 2 wind arrows strike both of them directly, providing them with oxygen. That is right, I arrive just in time. Seeing its prey stolen, the boss reveals its true form, a giant octopus, the host body of the wave parasite grass. Moreover, this creature can actually summon small octopi as shields. I smile faintly. That makes things too easy. As everyone knows, monster octopi have the weakness of being attracted to light. Even if they are controlled, they still act on instinct. This makes things easier, does it not? With that, I quickly load ice potion arrows. I fire 1 arrow and the octopus monster is instantly frozen into an ice sculpture. I then cut it cleanly in half, completely ending the battle. At this moment, the system seems to malfunction and suddenly starts increasing points rapidly. Could it be that because I killed the parasite grass host body, all the parasitized small octopi count as being healed by me? That would be too satisfying. My hard work was not in vain. After a while, I suddenly emerge from the water and find Jin Haozheng about to come support me. So we regroup and reach the shore. Unexpectedly, Barik and Daiji look extremely tense. Damn it. Was the rescue still too late? Without any hesitation, I quickly examine Ludi's condition. It should be hypothermia, so we must light a fire quickly to raise the temperature. However, dark clouds gather above. It looks like rain is coming soon, so lighting a fire is probably not feasible. So we decide to try our luck and see if we can find a cave. As we walk, my peripheral vision catches the trees beside us. They are indeed very red. I heard everyone living here has red hair, and even the animals and plants are the same. It seems the reputation is well deserved. Suddenly, an unfamiliar presence appears in the grass ahead. My expression darkens as I immediately summon my silver blue dagger. Hey, you people hiding over there, come out. 2 people smile faintly. You are quite impressive. Seeing them, Barik immediately recognizes them as members of the Red Road Gang. Simply put, they are bandits, but they do not rob red-haired passersby. In other words, Dr. Jang, you need to be careful. Hey, you 3 with red hair can leave. This healer must come with us. I curse silently. Ludi's condition is already bad, and now these troublesome people show up. I need to deal with them quickly and then find shelter. Wait, is the shelter not right in front of us? Red Road Gang brothers, may we borrow lodging at your headquarters for 1 night? The 2 are instantly stunned. Do you think our place is an inn? Since you are not cooperating, then do not blame me. So several minutes later, the 2 are beaten black and blue and immediately become compliant. Seriously, would it not have been better to cooperate from the start? After a while, we successfully arrive at the Red Road Gang's headquarters. It is a cave hidden within the mountain. It appears quite safe, but in reality, nearly everyone inside has been infected with a strange disease. Noticing someone entering, a person who appears to be the leader walks out. Who are they? Did we not tell you to bring a healer? The woman becomes flustered upon hearing this. Lord Rosent, they are the ones. Seeing her hesitation, I explain. I gave them a thorough beating and then they agreed to let us rest here. Rosent is somewhat surprised. This is not good. We are people wanted by Kamal. Do not worry. I will not report you, and I can help treat you. The condition is lodging for 1 day. Rosent is somewhat stunned. After much hesitation, he ultimately agrees. So next, I begin treating everyone's injuries. Observational eye indicates this is phantom limb pain. Phantom limb pain generally refers to the sensation after amputation that the limb still exists with accompanying pain. In this continent, it generally refers to an abnormal condition that can be felt even without amputation. However, it is not without solution. I just need to create mental power potions and calming potions. Although I can make them, gathering the ingredients is difficult. At this moment, Jinhao Zhang points to some herbs nearby. I step forward to examine them and discover they are indeed ingredients for making mental potions. Then, Mr. Rosent, please take the members who can still move and go search for some more. After hearing this, everyone expresses dissatisfaction. So several minutes later, everyone has several bumps on their heads and reluctantly collects herbs with unwilling expressions. Jinhao Zhang and I immediately begin categorizing the materials. As we search, we actually discover a sacred beetle sculpture. However, calling it a sculpture seems too refined. So I use observational eye to check its information and discover it is actually not a sculpture, but a petrified monster. Upon hearing this, Jin Haozheng immediately flings it away. However, logically speaking, sacred beetles generally do not appear in this area. So, Jin Haozheng, please dig the ground. Although Jin Haozheng hesitates, he still complies. After some time, the ground is excavated, revealing a large area of sacred beetle statues. It seems this place is not just ordinary. The entire nest may very well have been made by sacred beetles. After the herbs are gathered, I prepare the potions and have everyone take them one by one. Now we should get to the main issue. Tell me, what caused this situation? After all, phantom limb pain is no ordinary disease. What exactly are you hiding? Rosent's expression becomes tense at being called out, but he ultimately compromises. This place was originally an empty clearing, but 3 months ago, this cave suddenly appeared on the clearing. This was our first time in our lives encountering real monsters. We also discovered much valuable equipment. Jin Haozheng is somewhat confused. Could this be a dungeon? Yes, this place was originally a dungeon. Later I learned that this type of dungeon is called a displaced world. I see. What about that equipment? Rosent becomes somewhat nervous. We were very happy to obtain advanced equipment, but after my sister obtained an anti-magic scroll, things became complicated. She got into conflict with the mages of Kamal. Originally, we had no power to resist them with our strength alone, but that day was different. The anti-magic scroll sealed the mages' mana, so the outcome of that day was predictable. Furthermore, we have long-standing grievances with the mages, so from that day on, everyone wanted to obtain better equipment from here. This was the beginning of the problem. Eventually, we discovered something. If we could awaken it, we could eliminate those mages. No, all of Kamal. It was at that time everyone's mental state started becoming abnormal. They actually led the Red Road Gang to attack Kamal. Please stop, my brothers and sisters. I smile faintly. That is certain. After all, I do not want to let Kamal be destroyed either. So next, we search for clues in this dungeon. According to Rosent, there is a secret chamber here. So I decisively use observational eye to search. No wonder it is hard to find. It is embedded in the stone wall. Without a word, Jin Haozheng directly grabs Golden Glory and gets to work. Unexpectedly, there is also a magic array inside. This cannot stump me. As everyone knows, I have a mana isolating orb. The wall with its mana isolated is like tofu. It crumbles at a touch, and we enter easily. The people inside still want to pick up weapons to resist. The result is predictable. Speak. Where is your leader? Just as I finish speaking, a voice suddenly comes from behind. What do you want with me? I do not hide it. Someone told me there is something dangerous here. Erpani is stunned for a moment. I see. It seems Rosent said it. Seriously, that guy is truly timid. But are you not afraid of being beaten to death for being so arrogant? With that, he suddenly throws a punch, but I dodge it with a quick movement. It seems this person has some ability, so I become slightly more serious, first using throw skill and then following up with stone crossbow arrows. What completely surprises me is that this person's reaction ability is not weak either. He actually grabs a stone nearby as a shield. His assault speed is also very fast, reaching me almost instantly. Fortunately, Jin Haozheng is nearby to support. A powerful strike hits Erpani directly in the face. I originally thought this kind of attack would injure Erpani. However, what is unexpected is that the one injured is actually Jin Haozheng. This is mana backflow. Hey, drop your weapon and surrender quickly, or I will break his neck. I pause for a moment. I advise you to stay calm, or you will regret it. With that, I fire 3 mana potion arrows at him. As expected, they have no effect. This confirms this person is indeed mana resistant. No wonder he has a grudge against mages. Erpani, having been shot, looks bewildered. What did you shoot at me, you jerk? That? Those are my magic arrows. Actually, I am a mage. With that, I take out the Crimson Magic Tower badge. The moment Erpani sees the badge, he furiously throws a punch. So young, so easily provoked by me. As everyone knows, angry people have the hardest time staying rational, so there are many openings. Under my barrage of attacks, Erpani ultimately cannot withstand it and passes out. Jin Haozheng and I then examine the treasure they mentioned. Damn, it is actually a symbiote monster. No wonder they were so confident. They indeed have the means to eliminate mages. And this thing is about to hatch. Jin Haozheng looks confused. first. Then can we not just use it? I smile faintly. You use it then. You may just lose some stamina, memory, or lifespan. Hearing this, Jin Haojing immediately panics. Suddenly, Erpani's attack comes again. This makes me pause. Waking up so fast? Is he part cockroach or something? Before we can react, Erpani swiftly tears a scroll with lightning speed. A magic array quietly appears beneath Jin Haojing's and my feet. It is actually a teleportation array. Seeing this situation, I do not hesitate at all and immediately pull out a bottle. I throw it out in the last second of the teleportation. The next second, Jin Haojing and I appear outside the cave. I think for a moment. Although things will become troublesome if the symbiote parasitizes a human body, if we eliminate it directly. Before I finish speaking, Jin Haojing interrupts. Eliminating it directly is not good. Is there no gentler method? I feel somewhat helpless. This man really does not like taking lives. Alright, let us go. I can resolve this in the gentlest way very soon. On the other side, Erpani tremblingly walks toward the symbiote. Damn it, all because those two annoying people came to interfere. It seems I need to advance the fusion. At this very moment, the mana potion bottle I threw rolls right to Erpani's feet. Without time to think, to make the symbiote evolve quickly, Erpani immediately pours the potion onto the symbiote. The moment it absorbs the potion into its body, wailing sounds from outside attract Erpani's attention. He does not want to pay attention at first, but they are his brothers and sisters after all. In the end, he cannot bear it and urgently rushes out of the secret chamber. He then sees everyone lying on the ground, while I stand in place quietly watching. Seeing this situation, Erpani becomes furious. Bastard, what did you do? I stop him with one hand. You should ask yourself that question. You used that potion, did you not? That greatly enhanced the symbiote's mental domination ability. As a mana-resistant, you naturally will not be affected, but these people are different. Soon they will become useless due to mental collapse, or even lose their lives. Hearing this, Erpani falls into deep self-blame. Damn it, this is all my fault. Watching him like this, I smile faintly to myself, although it was I who threw that potion there. Seeing the timing is right, I present my demand. Mr. Erpani, I can help them recover their health, but you must give up attacking Kamal. Hearing this, Erpani's expression changes. Bastard, so this is your scheme. I do not respond and continue explaining. Listen well, if I am not mistaken, that symbiote is actually the dungeon boss. If it uses your body to commit evil, then it will not only be Kamal. Even part of the AZ continent will turn to ruins. Regarding revenge, I indeed do not oppose it, but is it necessary to sacrifice your companions' lives for revenge? With the conversation reaching this point, Erpani can only bow his head and request my help. Seeing this situation, Jin Haojing cannot help but exclaim, "You talk about being gentle, but is this not blatant coercion? Should we not deal with the symbiote first?" I indicate it is not yet time. If that monster dies, the displaced world will disappear, although I would also like to resolve it immediately. It is raining outside. So many patients will certainly have difficulty moving. Do not worry for now. Did Erpani not set up a protective barrier? It should be fine for now, unless some fool releases it. 20 minutes later, I distribute the prepared antidote to everyone, and their conditions improve as a result. Rosent speaks to me. Thank you very much for curing everyone and stopping Erpani, healer Jiangxia. Hearing this, I simply smile faintly. On the surface, I am saving everyone, but actually I just do not want to go out in the rain. Moreover, I brought along one patient and 2 guides. It appears Ludi's condition has improved significantly now, with smooth breathing. Seeing this situation, Jin Haojing breathes a sigh of relief. So next, it is time to review the achievements obtained at Pixita Lake. Among them, the most outstanding achievement is Incarnation of Greed, which requires obtaining 10,000 points within 1 day. The reward for an achievement of this difficulty should not be too poor. With that, I click to claim the reward. I hear a ding sound, and an exchange machine completely different from the lottery machine appears out of thin air. I open it to look and immediately jump up with excitement. This is truly a good item. I did not expect the first product today to be a skill. Damn, does that mean my previous roulette earnings were a huge loss? Cursed roulette enthusiast, forget it. This does fit the reward for this achievement. Afterward, I claim rewards for various achievements, including the previously unconfirmed achievement of discovering a displaced world. After finishing the inspection, I prepare to rest properly. Unexpectedly, the dungeon suddenly shakes violently, giving me an immediate sense of foreboding. I hurriedly find Erpani. This is not an earthquake. The sacred beetles have awakened. As soon as the words leave my mouth, countless sacred beetles suddenly fly out from underground. Their target appears quite clear. They are heading toward the secret chamber. Does this mean the symbiote has emerged? What is the situation? We should go check quickly. With that, the two of us swiftly head to the secret chamber. We then see countless sacred beetles blocking the entrance. There is definitely something wrong. Without time to think much, I immediately take out my stone crossbow and shoot. The path is indeed cleared. Erpani seizes the opportunity and plunges into the entrance. However, he is blocked by a massive sacred beetle. This is a rare attribute sacred beetle with some special skills. Before I finish speaking, the rare sacred beetle activates its superiority skill. In just an instant, countless sacred beetles suddenly envelop it. They ultimately form a giant flesh sphere. This is a sacred beetle cannon with tremendous power. Seeing the situation turning dire, I immediately take out my stone crossbow and use dispersing bolt skill. With a boom sound, the giant sphere is pierced with a hole. However, this is merely an illusion. Almost instantly, the damaged hole recovers. This makes me exclaim. It seems these creatures have potential as healers. Erpani is speechless upon hearing this. So what should we do next? This sphere seems rather absurd. I think carefully. This sphere is a monster formed by gathering mana. Mr. Erpani, you are mana resistant, so you should attack. Do not worry. Even if you get injured, I will treat you. Erpani is speechless for a moment, but for everyone's safety, he ultimately steps forward to attack. This strike hits the target squarely. Almost the instant Erpani's attack makes contact, the flesh sphere explodes. The core of the flesh sphere is then revealed. At this moment, I am already aiming at the target with my stone crossbow. "You have worked hard, Mr. Erpeni. Leave the rest to me." With a bang sound, the rare sacred beetle is immediately pierced through. After 2 screams, it falls silent. Unfortunately, that last strike even shattered the loot. However, it does not matter. The urgent matter is to check on the symbiote first. I can only say, just as I expected, some fool released the symbiote. However, the equipment left by the symbiote is quite useful. It can restore mental power. Suddenly, a figure appears behind us. It looks like a member of the Red Road gang. "Erpeni, please don't get close to him. His mind has been corrupted by the symbiote. He's no longer the Bill you know." Bill smiles faintly. "Don't worry, I'm completely fine. When that thing rushed at me, I felt like my head was splitting apart, but I held on with sheer willpower." Erpeni's face lights up. "Is that really true? I knew you were sharp. I almost attacked you just now." I watch this scene calmly, still unconvinced. Even if you're not being controlled, having it parasitize inside you is extremely dangerous. It's better to remove it as soon as possible. Bill says nothing, simply conjuring a longsword slowly. "See this? With this power, we can easily level Kamal to the ground. Boss, isn't the Red Road gang's dream to eliminate those mages? Now that Gordius's mental domination is sealed, this is a great opportunity for us." At these words, Erpeni shivers. Before this fool can say another word, I directly use scatter crossbow bolts. "I can confirm it now. You're not Bill at all. How do you know so much about the symbiote?" I don't think anyone here knows the symbiote's name is Gordius. Seeing its cover blown, the symbiote stops pretending. In an instant, a pair of sacred beetle wings burst open. The next second, it teleports right in front of me and delivers a horizontal slash. Fortunately, I'm agile enough. Otherwise, I'd be finished. Erpeni tries to seize the opportunity for a sneak attack, but the symbiote knocks him down with just a few punches. It's only using fist attacks. It knows Erpeni is a mana-resistant. This is troublesome. Seeing the situation turning bad, I decisively tell Erpeni to make a tactical retreat. A few minutes later, we successfully escape to the entrance. Along the way, I come up with some countermeasures. Out of politeness, I instinctively ask, "Erpeni, have you donated blood before?" As for the countermeasure, simply put, Erpeni will attract the symbiote's attention when they're fighting at their fiercest. I'll launch a sneak attack. Of course, I won't shoot ordinary arrows, but blood arrows made from Erpeni's blood as a mana-resistant. This amount is neither too much nor too little, just enough to reach a lethal dose. Now that the symbiote has absorbed the mana-resistance blood, things become much easier. With that, I hurl the potion at the symbiote. Almost the instant it makes contact, lightning erupts around it. The symbiote convulses twice before passing out completely. However, how to deal with the symbiote poses a problem. If I slit the throat, the host will probably die. Just then, I suddenly remember I have the extraction skill. It should be useful. With that, I use the skill. A skeletal hand appears out of thin air, so this is how it activates. Next, the unlucky symbiote is pulled out by my skeletal hand, then I immediately pull out my dagger, ready to finish it off. However, the symbiote uses information about the displaced world as a bargaining chip, asking me to spare it. This actually interests me. I do want to learn about the displaced world. Seeing a chance, the symbiote hastily says, "To create dungeon monsters, you need boss-level power. For humans, that means masters like sword saints or grand mages. In short, with sufficient mana, anyone can create ordinary dungeons. But the displaced world is different. Only gods possess the power to transcend dimensions and transfer entire spaces. This confuses me. How is this possible? Gods who have been silent for hundreds of years, why would they do this now? Moreover, if displaced worlds keep appearing, the AZ continent will definitely vanish completely from being unable to withstand the space-time distortion. In other words, the god behind all this wants to see the AZ continent destroyed. However, this doesn't concern me, and even if I told others, they might not believe me anyway. While I'm lost in thought, the symbiote sneaks into my body. In just an instant, my hair turns gray, my eyes change from black to green, and words of obey continuously echo in my mind. Of course, someone as capable as me won't be deceived by such a thing. I directly use extraction again, pinning it against the wall. The symbiote is shocked. "You were clearly hit by my mental domination skill." "That's because I don't like being controlled by others. Go down there and think about it carefully." With that, I thrust my sword down. The symbiote dies on the spot. After finishing everything, I approach Erpeni to examine his injuries. Excessive blood loss, multiple bruises all over his body. His condition is worse than I imagined. He was already injured, and I drew so much blood from him. If he dies, I'll be the culprit. So the urgent priority is to give him a blood transfusion. Wait, this guy is a mana resistant. Where am I going to find blood? It seems I can only pray the task reward gives me a skill that's exactly what I need. I hear a ding. Congratulations on obtaining the dismantle skill. You can revert equipment to material form. This makes me exclaim, talk about damn good luck that can't be stopped. After the exclamation, without any hesitation, I decisively use dismantle to break down the blood sword, then let Erpeni absorb it. A few minutes later, Erpeni finally wakes up after replenishing his blood. Before we can catch our breath, the dungeon starts shaking again. I'm very clear this isn't the symbiote anymore. The dungeon is collapsing. Without any hesitation, I shout, "Everyone run! The dungeon is disintegrating. If this continues, we'll all fall into the dimensional rift." At these words, everyone freezes in shock. The more critical the situation, the calmer I become. I split open the symbiote's belly and feel around inside for something. That's right, I'm looking for the boss monster's core. Although it's only a low-level one, it's enough for us to summon a magic array and escape. I immediately toss it to Vincent and tell him to create a magic array. Vincent doesn't hesitate for a moment. After briefly chanting a spell, a teleportation array appears out of thin air. The array is created, but Erpeni worries whether he'll destroy it. Put his mind at ease. Right now, the teleportation array's mana is all concentrated in that monster core. The array itself has no mana. With things explained to this extent, Erpani walks in without concern. Just when I think everything is over, my intuition tells me something is missing. At this very moment, I suddenly remember Jin Haozheng, who's still sleeping, along with one patient and 2 guides. So I quickly use a potion to wake him up. After waking him up, I lead the 4 people toward the teleportation array. Soon we see the teleportation array about to disappear. I curse inwardly, what a trash insect. Of course it's the lowest level core. Now I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. At our current speed, we definitely won't make it in time. So I decisively use Dismantle to extract the core and use it again. However, the stamina consumption rate seems a bit fast. It bottoms out almost instantly. The system keeps prompting on the side, stamina about to be depleted. Fortunately, I complete the extraction 1 second before depletion. However, I no longer have extra stamina to install it. At this moment, the Vitality Brooch takes effect, instantly boosting my stamina by 45%. In the end, we escape by sheer luck. It's truly fortunate. Having survived the ordeal, we chat with Erpani and the others. From them, we learn that Vincent is Erpani's uncle and has been raising him since Erpani's mother passed away. Although my sister was a commoner from Terakti, her magical power was outstanding, so she married into a noble family in Kamal. However, such a mage family gave birth to a mana-resistant like Erpani. Jin Haozheng is shocked. So you're actually a young master? I also realize it seems you were often scolded at home, which is why you developed such a terrible personality. Erpani seethes with anger. Since my birth, Kamal has been spreading outrageous rumors that mixing with people of Terakti blood produces mana resistance. Because of this rumor, Terakti people have suffered blatant discrimination. I wanted to teach those arrogant mages a lesson, but now not only has the plan fallen through, even our headquarters has disappeared. So before long, everyone will probably be executed. At these words, everyone freezes. Boss, what do you mean? Erpani sighs helplessly. We're a wanted criminal gang. Now that our hideout has disappeared, aren't we just waiting to be caught? If caught, executive level members will be executed, and the rest will spend their lives in prison. However, there is a way. I'll try to delay them while you escape to other places. What? Absolutely not. Aren't you executive level? Won't you be executed? Erpani laughs heartily. Have you forgotten? I'm a young master from a noble family. They can't sentence me to death. This kind of talk might fool others, but it can't deceive Jin Haozheng and me at all. He's lying. Even his own family rejects him, let alone those people in Kamal. Although this guy has done many bad things, his crimes don't warrant death, so I'll help him. Erpani, I have another method that can save all members of the Red Road Gang. At these words, everyone raises their voices asking what method. Have the Red Road Gang join Kamal. Do as I say, and I can help you legitimately beat up those mages. With that, Jin Haozheng and I pull out the Katile Knights badges. Erpani looks confused. I've never heard of it. I explain that's normal since it was just established 1 day ago. As long as you have no grudge with the Katile family, it's easy. The Katile Knights' current goal is to maintain stability around Pixida Lake. If anyone bullies innocent people, whether monsters or criminals, even those nobles and mages, they'll fight them all the same. Erpani immediately perks up. You mean we can freely beat up mages? Only bad mages. Although you're a criminal gang and should technically be punished by them, fortunately you haven't done anything too outrageous. As long as I write a recommendation letter, you'll pass. At these words, Erpani excitedly jumps to his feet, not caring even when he bumps his head. Then what are we waiting for? If we get in through connections, we don't have to worry about execution. Everyone thanks Jin Haozheng and me with tears of joy. I don't react much, just stare at Erpani calmly. Even Erpani understands what this means and can only struggle to say thank you. The next day, after saying goodbye to everyone, we set off again for Terakti village. On the road, I open the task list once more. Unlike before, the task to accumulate 10,000 points has now become 12,500, with an additional question mark in the rewards. According to intelligence, after collecting 4 black star skills, I'll receive information about returning. I now have 3, and with this one, that makes 4 total. What will happen? But what exactly is the condition for obtaining black star skills? It doesn't seem to be simply unlocking achievements, but it doesn't matter. Once I collect 4 stars, all mysteries will be revealed. As for the culprit, I'll definitely make her pay. After some time, we finally reach Terakti village. However, the scene before us truly catches our attention. A giant rock golem is chasing a man and a woman. The man appears to be injured. Seeing this, Jin Haozheng and I don't hesitate for a moment. We immediately use Golden Glory and Silver Blue Glory to eliminate the rock golem instantly. After dealing with the rock golem, I quickly examine the patient's injuries. It looks like the leg injury has reached the bone. Without treatment, the entire leg might need amputation. At these words, the woman panics. But it's very difficult to find a healer in Terakti village. Isn't this exactly my specialty? I haven't had time to introduce myself yet. I'm Jiang Zia, a healer. Without time for much thought, I quickly have Jin Haozheng place the patient on the magic array carpet. Then I begin examining the patient's injuries. This is clearly excessive blood loss plus muscle tear, with exposed left tibia. Suturing will probably be very difficult. Let me try another method. With that, I use my skill to absorb a mid-tier magic potion, then use the skill to release the combined skill False Flesh, simulating artificial muscle. I must say, I haven't used this skill in a long time. Next is the most critical and important step, completely suturing the artificial muscle to the human body. The method I use is the figure-8 suturing method commonly used in modern society. The woman beside me naturally doesn't understand. She only feels that the healer before her is amazing. The smooth threading is extraordinarily skillful, giving off a very sacred feeling. In stark contrast is Jin Haozheng beside me, stabbing me frantically with a stamina arrow. For those in the know, this isn't surprising, but for the uninformed, it's like witnessing a murder scene. After a few minutes like this, I finally finish treating the patient with my superior suturing technique. Just as I'm about to collect some potions as payment, a gust of wind suddenly sweeps in, blowing off the girl's clothes cloak and revealing her beautiful red hair. At this moment, I have an inexplicable feeling, but it's not love at first sight. It's sensing a hint of future crisis. The girl apparently doesn't want people to see her red hair and hastily puts her hat back on. Then she takes out 3 potions as payment and hands them to me. After handing them over, the girl thanks Jin Haozheng and me again, then leaves supporting her companion. We also say goodbye to Ludi's family. Jin Haozheng watches the family departing into the distance and can't help but wonder when he can return home. He has a reason he must return. In his mind, there seems to be something he needs to accomplish. Yes, in my mind, there also seems to be something I need to accomplish. But not now. The urgent priority is to find lodging in this village first. So after a while, we search all the inns in Tarakti village, but without exception, none have vacant rooms. Though one place does have an empty trash bin. Jin Haozheng just feels speechless. Is someone targeting us? I explain. The roads to Kamal are probably all blocked, so everyone is staying here. However, there's one last method. After all, we can't sleep on the streets. That's right, that place is the Adventurers Association. The Adventurers Association does lend rooms, but it has a fatal flaw. That's the lodging commission system. Except for S-rank lodging reserved for VIPs, adventurers need to complete commissions of the corresponding rank to get rooms of that rank. I smile helplessly. In plain terms, these people want to make adventurers work for the lowest cost possible. Just then, 2 people nearby suddenly joke. The Adventurers Association seems to have 2 more slaves. By the way, you can't rent A-rank and B-rank lodging now because we're using them all as warehouses. Although I'm angry inside, I endure it following the principle I won't offend unless offended. At least there are still C-rank rooms. Just as I'm about to leave, an injured adventurer walks in. He wants to rent D-rank lodging, but the receptionist says D-rank lodging is also fully rented. This stuns me. Logically speaking, there should be many D-rank rooms. Before I finish speaking, the 2 people nearby burst out laughing. Then they pull out a pile of keys. Because we rented all the D-rank rooms too. Sorry, we just need so many warehouses. They're mocking immediately. Triggers my displeasure. Since you want to play, I'll play along. Then I turn to ask the receptionist. In principle, aside from S-rank lodging, everything else can be rented, right? The receptionist nods. Then that's easy. In that case, I'll rent the entire building. At these words, the 2 immediately panic. Then they start cursing at me. You lunatic! You're going to rent the entire Adventurers Association? Will you monopolize even the commission board? How are we supposed to live here? I ignore their unreasonable tantrum. It seems you don't have money. But aren't you taking this too seriously? I just think it's more fun this way. I mimic their exact words back to them, and they become furious with embarrassment. The commotion soon attracts the branch manager's attention. The branch manager doesn't favor either side. However, my remarks did insult the Adventurers Association, so she decides to increase the difficulty of my assigned task. That is to catch Shikshinabali birds within a time limit. Shikshinabali birds are bird monsters that use wind and lightning skills. Although they're very fast, the commission is only B+ rank, but due to mana released in the Kamal region, they've evolved again, making the task difficulty no less than A+ rank. However, this is just a piece of cake for me. While Jin Haozheng draws aggro, I quickly seize the moment and throw silver blue glory. Based on their flight speed, dodging is nearly impossible, so they're split in 2 on the spot. This is physics knowledge. The other 2 companions sense something wrong and immediately turn to attack me. Fortunately, Jin Haozheng's area aggro makes them stop attacking. Next, one Shikshinabale bird suddenly strikes toward Jin Haozheng. Jin Haozheng pulls out his golden glory and uses its momentum to eliminate another one. Seeing all its companions eliminated, the last remaining one decides to unleash its ultimate move for a final gamble. I'm already prepared for this. I quickly pull out the insulating potion arrow I prepared earlier and shoot it without hesitation. In an instant, the Shikshinabale bird's ultimate move is decomposed, so the result is predictable. One throw skill sends it to join its companions. After the battle ends, rustling sounds come from the nearby woods again. I thought there was another one, but it turns out those 2 pieces of scum want to steal our kill while we're weakened. I sigh helplessly. Although I knew they would interfere, I didn't expect them to try stealing our kill. There's no choice then. I deliver a quick punch, embedding the man before me into the ground. Then I grab the woman who wants to ambush me. How troublesome. What should I do with you? I originally wanted to deal with them right here. After all, no one would see in this wilderness. But Jin Haozheng is soft-hearted and won't kill casually. I can only let them go. However, I won't let these scum who've interfered with us repeatedly get away. As for the method, naturally I'll use one of my torturous healing skills. That is the false flesh generation skill. Although false flesh is a skill that consumes magic potions to generate flesh, it can actually use stamina potions too. However, using stamina potions to generate flesh causes pain so intense people wish they were dead. I can't help but sigh inwardly. I'm really such a helpful good person. As for the treatment fee, I'll take your lodging keys as collateral. At these words, the 2 really want to curse my ancestors, but the pain has left them unable to speak. With matters resolved, it's time to go back and claim my Adventurers Association. However, before that, I need to recover my arrows and silver blue glory. After all, that's money too. With that, I use observational eye to search around. It seems to be in the grass nearby. Jin Haozheng looks confused because he's already collected my equipment. I'm somewhat puzzled. So then, what is this thing I'm observing? So I part the grass and discover a box with a strange pattern carved on it. Sometime later, Jin Haozheng and I return to the Adventurers Association with our spoils. The branch manager sighs helplessly. Alright, I admit defeat. I'll allow you to rent the Tarakti Adventurers Association. With that, she tosses me a set of keys. This is the Adventurers Association Master Key. Having this means having branch manager authority. I'm somewhat surprised. So it's the Master Key. I originally thought it would just be a verbal agreement at most. Then things are easy from here. I drive away those scum who monopolize public resources and distribute the recovered D-rank lodging to newcomers. As for Jin Haozheng and me, we naturally move into A-rank rooms. What a fulfilling day. Now it's time to study this box. I have a familiar familiar feeling about it. That orb from the Asian dungeon seemed to be in this kind of box. Jin Haozheng seems to be sound asleep, so I'll go to the loot appraisal center alone. Just as I expected, this wooden box is truly no ordinary object. Even professional appraisers can't break the seal. I'm really speechless. Aren't you professionals? The receptionist is also helpless and quickly explains this seal is genuinely very difficult. In our circle, this seal is called a thread ball seal. If you try to solve it randomly, it only becomes more complex. This makes me even more curious. Is there really no way? With that, I use observational eye to check if there are any hidden clues. This look actually reveals a method. The system shows there's a hint at the bottom of the box, so I quickly have the receptionist check it out. The receptionist is surprised after looking. It really is the sequence to unlock the seal. In that case, this makes it easy. With that, she begins working on it. Before long, she unlocks the seal. Inside is clearly a hand, but it doesn't look like a human hand. Almost the instant it opens, that familiar garbled notification appears again. Just like with Freya's stone crossbow, I still haven't figured out what those blocks were about, and now a similar event occurs again. Just then, the receptionist suddenly speaks. This might be a sacred relic. I'm not a cleric, so I don't know the specific details, but I know it's called Wisemir's left hand, a sacred relic containing divine power. As she speaks, the receptionist suddenly changes her tone. If you're interested in selling, our appraisal center is willing to pay a high price. Before she finishes, I turn and leave directly, my mind still pondering this sacred relic. If this thing is the same type as the stone crossbow, perhaps it'll be like that time. After thinking, I click to claim the reward immediately. I hear a ding. Sure enough, it's just like that time. Not only is the attribution skill unlocked, but Wisemir's roulette is also added. In that case, let me try 5 free spins to test the waters. I can only say my luck is good. The 5th spin lands on a skill called Earthen Bone. From the name, it seems like an attack skill, but I don't know what kind, so I just open it to check. I don't know until I look, and I'm shocked when I do. It actually gave me this kind of ability. This immediately gives me a bold idea. So that evening, I find the branch manager to discuss converting the Adventurers Association into a personal healing clinic. The branch manager is somewhat helpless. She knows very well I don't have a healer's badge, but I now have branch manager authority, which gives her a headache. Just then, that girl from before steps forward to vouch for me, saying I really am a healer. Doesn't this give me the perfect out? Branch manager, look, someone vouched for me. If you still don't believe this, then I'll have to prove it myself. With that, I ask if there are any severely injured people in the crowd. However, everyone clearly doesn't dare trust me. Just then, someone suddenly appears and says they're a clerk here. I examine carefully. The injury is a fracture with exposed bone and a large missing section. If the bone were still there, any healer could treat it, but if it's missing, no one can help. But I'm no ordinary healer. This minor injury is effortless. With that, I pull out a pile of red clay abundant in Taraktai village and announce this is the treatment medicine. At these words, everyone is stunned. They feel their intelligence has been insulted. Before they can react further, the clay in my hand miraculously transforms into bone. Actually, bone creation skills exist in this world, but bones made using skills are not only fragile, but also easily contaminated. However, the skill I use is different. My skill has none of these side effects and can precisely control the bone's size. Combined with my false flesh skill, it's a match made in heaven. Finally, I just need to firmly suture it together with mana thread, and it's done. Although this is my first experiment, it seems quite convincing. Seeing the perfectly restored hand, everyone exclaims in amazement. Then they swarm toward me, wanting me to treat them. This is perfect. The fish have taken the bait. Let me make good money. The next day, I collapse exhausted in a chair. After a night of hard work, I nearly passed out. However, behind the hardship are points. My points have now reached 10,000. At this moment, Jin Haozheng finally gets up from bed. He feels like many major events happened while he was sleeping, such as my Wisemir title. I yawn weakly. Jin, don't worry about that for now. Come with me somewhere. I've already found a guide. Although Jin Haozheng is puzzled, he still follows closely behind me. As soon as we open the door, that girl from the other day greets us. Hello, I didn't get to introduce myself before. I'm Rebecca. Seeing her hair showing, I politely remind her. Rebecca is alarmed and immediately hides her hair again. This puzzles Jin Haozheng. Judging by your hair color, you should be a local. So why hide your hair? Rebecca says hesitantly. I am indeed from Terakti village, but my family doesn't like me being an adventurer. I'm afraid of running into them, so I disguise myself. I see. That is indeed troublesome. If it were me, I probably wouldn't come back, Rebecca continues explaining, although my family is somewhat annoying. Terakti village is a wonderful place. The people are simple and honest, the scenery is beautiful, and there's lots of delicious food. Follow me and I'll show you around. So next, we stroll around this small village. To be honest, strolling isn't my real purpose. My goal is to investigate clues about Wisemir's left hand, a workshop that can make things with clay, and Wisemir's left hand can create bones. It's hard not to make the connection. So I ask Rebecca, have you ever heard of Wisemir? Rebecca looks confused. It seems she doesn't know. I feel strange. Logically speaking, this sacred relic was buried in the Red Forest, so Wisemir is very likely the god of the Red Forest. But if that's the case, it's impossible for Terakti village people not to know. To solve this mystery, we find the hall that stores Terakti village history books. However, this guy stubbornly refuses to let us in, insisting we show a permit. We just want to look at history. This triggers nameless anger in us. We want to tear apart the person in front of us. I just look darkly at this arrogant kid who doesn't know his place, since he insists on making things so complicated. You want a permit? Then I'll make one on the spot, along with a termination notice for you. As I speak, I pull out the key representing Adventurers Association Authority. The man promptly bows and apologizes. What a bully who fears the strong. Afterward, we search through a pile of messy shelves for history books. Soon, Jin Haozheng finds a very old-looking book. I open it to check. It's indeed very old, but why is it full of doodles, with most pages torn out? This leaves us speechless. What is this even drawing? The history book feels like a modern fairy tale book. Flipping through, I notice one page seems thicker. It turns out 2 pages are stuck together. Spreading them apart, the content shows stick figures worshipping a totem, and that totem is clearly the pattern of Weismir's left hand. In that case, it explains why the Red Forest has Weismir's relic, because Weismir was indeed a god once worshipped by Tarakti village. And the messy doodles in the ancient book were likely predecessors' way of avoiding attention, passing information about Weismir to later generations this way. And those torn ancient books represent someone deliberately concealing the deity's existence. Suddenly, cries for help come from outside. It seems something is robbing people. Rebecca hurries out to check and sees the receptionist lying to the side bleeding. Before we can react much, a masked person suddenly hurls a short sword at us. Fortunately, I appear in time and deflect the attack. Seeing we're not easy targets, 2 more companions appear. Their goal is clear. They immediately demand the ancient book. I ignore them and first stop the receptionist bleeding. While treating, I speak slowly. I have a question. Why did you attack him? Admittedly, he's not great, but his crime doesn't warrant death, does it? The cloaked person smiles faintly. Blame this kid for blocking the entrance and obstructing us. I advise you to hand over the book quickly, or you'll end up like him. As soon as the words fall, a dagger strikes directly at the cloaked person's face. With a clang, the cloaked person is completely unharmed, but this triggers their anger. So we engage in a fierce struggle with them. As the fight progresses, we discover these individuals possess exceptional combat skills and reflexes, rivaling those of seasoned adventurers. However, that is all they have, because we are far from ordinary adventurers. Now we hand them over to the Adventurers Association. Interrogation requires professional handling. 1 hour later, we successfully bring all the cloaked figures back to the Adventurers Association. During interrogation, their bodies suddenly transform into red clay. This is a curse designed to prevent secrets from being revealed. I sigh helplessly. These people are far more fanatical than I imagined. Haojing and Rebecca come to investigate the situation. Upon examination, Rebecca discovers some crucial clues. This is the highest grade clay from Tarakti village, used only for crafting precious golems. To use such valuable material for a curse is utterly perplexing. At these words, my brilliant mind makes a connection. Clay, golems, workshop. Oh, why did I not consider this earlier? Rebecca, you mentioned before that the puppet workshop is an ancient organization. If I were a follower of Weismir, I would hide records in a place that could endure for centuries. Since the puppet workshop's traditions have continued for hundreds of years, they must possess ancient texts as well preserved as those in the guild hall. Moreover, only the puppet workshop has the resources to use such precious clay so carelessly. The branch chief looks troubled. If the puppet workshop is involved, this becomes complicated. Most workshop members are Tarakti nobility. Disturbing them without cause will bring severe reprimand from my superiors, I reassure him. Leave this investigation to us outsiders. As I am about to leave, the branch chief's words stop me cold. Dr. Jiang, the Red Forest has been restless lately. People keep disappearing. All the missing are Tarakti people. This may connect to your investigation, so please exercise caution. This puzzles me. Clay, golems, disappearances, the workshop. How do these connect? Rather than puzzle over it endlessly, we head directly to the workshop to investigate. Pushing open the door, the workshop that should be bustling is strangely deserted. Only a few workers crafting golems and some adventurers unloading cargo remain. A young man approaches to ask our business. To build rapport, I decide to inquire about renting a golem carriage, employing some business negotiation tactics. Before I can finish, a man claiming to be the workshop owner interrupts our conversation. His name is Zabi. Seeing the owner himself has arrived, I extend my hand in friendship. Unfortunately, Zabi is completely unreceptive. This makes things awkward. Very well, I get straight to business. What would it cost to rent a golem carriage? Zabi smirks wickedly. Not much. Just 5 million gold coins per day. At this, Jin Haojing immediately flares up and threatens to take our business elsewhere. However, the young man beside us reminds us, this is the only place that makes golem carriages. We are trapped. My expression turns cold. As the workshop owner, he has no need for money. He simply enjoys tormenting people. In that case, he cannot blame me for what comes next. I activate Observational Eye to scan Zabi's physical condition and discover a serious problem. Rather than reveal it immediately, I offer a subtle warning. Zabi, there will come a day when you kneel and beg for my help. Zabi explodes in fury and grabs a nearby shovel, attempting to drive us out. After just 2 swings, he feels a sharp pain in his chest. The next moment, he collapses to his knees exactly as I predicted, clutching his chest desperately. Indeed, what I detected is poisoning, an advanced stage poisoning at that. I step forward once more. Good day. Do you require assistance? I am currently the only healer in Tarakti. Zabi looks stunned. This cannot be a joke. No, I do not trust him. Prepare a carriage. I will seek help in another village. I interrupt him. This is a deadly poison called lecakexin. Poisoning damages the lungs and respiratory system, causing coughing, blood, and respiratory distress. Ultimately, the victim dies from respiratory failure. Note that initial poisoning shows no symptoms whatsoever. However, once symptoms manifest, I will be the last healer you ever see. Zabi seethes with rage, but left with no choice, throws a bag of coins at me. Without hesitation, I kick the bag of coins away. My expression darkens. Did I not tell you? The day would come when you kneel and beg. Pick up those coins and clean them. I find them filthy. Damn you. What exactly do you want? Mid-sentence, another mouthful of blood erupts from him. At this moment, despite all his rage, everything becomes meaningless before before death. Please save me. I will do anything you ask. I sigh helplessly. Seeing you so pitiful, I will help you. After all, I am a good person. I retrieve a blue potion from my inner pocket. Using a syringe, I draw out a small portion. By the way, I forgot to mention, I do not have an antidote. With lightning speed, I plunge the needle into Zabi's neck. You are such a liar. I should never have trusted you. On the surface, it appears I am murdering him, but in reality, I am saving his life. While I cannot immediately create an antidote for Lekexin, this Rostein potion can protect the respiratory system and serve as emergency treatment. After the injection, Zabi indeed feels his breathing ease considerably. I speak with mild exasperation. Honestly, while I may joke with patients' lives, I never lie. Sometime later, the three of us return to the Adventurers Association. Rebecca praises me enthusiastically. It appears Rebecca harbors considerable resentment toward him, given how satisfied she looks now. After some casual conversation, we part ways and return to our respective lodgings. However, I do not rush to sleep. Instead, I discuss matters briefly with Jin Haozheng. Three things concern me. First, the Tarakdai puppet workshop seems excessively empty, as if on the verge of closing permanently. Second, Rebecca's demeanor. My intuition suggests she has some connection to the puppet workshop. From the moment we enter the workshop, she speaks less, as if concealing her true identity. Moreover, we only know the cursed clays used for golems because of Rebecca. I suspect she was previously affiliated with the workshop. Finally, there's the matter of Zabi's poisoning. Never mind, revealing everything would spoil the intrigue. I will tell you later. Jin Haozheng is speechless. The next day, we return to the puppet workshop. Clearly, Zabi is not pleased to see us. You troublesome brat, was yesterday's torment not enough for you? How can you call it torment? Did I not explain yesterday? Since I lack materials for a Lekexin antidote, you must endure until the toxin leaves your system, requiring Rostein potion injections every 3 hours. I have come for a follow-up examination. Consider it, am I not? Zabi is speechless, cursing me silently countless times. However, he senses something amiss. Typically, patients come seeking medicine, yet here I am making house calls. Something is definitely suspicious. Speak plainly. I know you are not here merely to deliver medicine. Seeing Zabi has conceded, I directly produce photographs of the three cloaked figures and ask if he recognizes them. After a glance, Zabi claims not to know them, adding that such commoners are beneath his notice. Have you heard of Weismir? These few words strike like a thunderbolt in Zabi's mind. The next moment he turns away in panic. I have never heard that name. I smile faintly. I do not believe I specified that Weismir was a name. Tell me everything you know. Do not omit a single detail. With his medication as leverage, Zabi has no choice but to lead us to a hidden underground chamber. Various books line the shelves. I randomly open one, which appears to contain residents' diary entries. Thanks to Lady Weismir, we have another bountiful harvest this year. Gratitude to the benevolent earth goddess who protects our village. Through Lady Weismir's power, we repel the bandit gang invading our village. She loves Tarakti village, and we love her. Just as I suspected, Weismir was once the guardian deity of the Red Forest. As Rebecca reads, her emotions grow increasingly agitated. Why would you do this? Even if others care nothing for the puppet workshop, you should not have concealed Lady Weismir's existence. Zabi looks helpless. I have my own difficulties. Some records were lost, so I do not know precisely what occurred. I only know that Weismir disappeared for unknown reasons. A deity's disappearance signifies their fall. Approximately 700 years ago, the deity's sudden fall plunged Tarakti into chaos. Priests could no longer wield divine power, and the divine barrier protecting Tarakti vanished. Overnight, Tarakti faced annihilation. As everything sustaining the village depended on Weismir's power, at this critical moment, mages from Kamal came to Tarakti. They offered assistance, provided we surrender the god-given gemstone Weismir's compassion. Records indicate Tarakti residents considered it as sacred as Weismir herself. Those mages covet its immense magical and divine power. However, the village has declined to its lowest point, so the puppet masters reluctantly agree. The Weismir order resists, but priests without divine power are no match for the puppet masters. Afterward, the puppet masters erase all traces of Weismir and distort the truth, attributing her achievements to Kamal. Their motive is likely guilt. They fear that if Weismir returns, she will punish them. However, once a deity is forgotten, they never reappear. Yet they do not destroy all records, preserving some to pass down through workshop masters. They claim, even if others forget, we must remember. Laughable considering they destroyed everything. How do you know about Weismir? Is this not classified information? I am puzzled. So you truly do not know those three individuals? I assumed you were rebuilding the Weismir order. How could that be possible? If Weismir is resurrected, the puppet workshop will face punishment. Having received my answer, I feel somewhat disappointed. Returning to the workshop, I never expected the puppet workshop is not the mastermind behind this. Then what is happening outside, though they have not invoked Weismir's name? My intuition tells me someone is attempting to rebuild the Weismir order. Zabi looks bewildered. Remarkable. I have been so occupied recently that I overlooked outside events entirely. At that moment, the workshop door bursts open. A young man enters, calling out, Master Zabi. Master, you must be honest. Is the Tarakti puppet workshop not on the verge of bankruptcy? Upon seeing this face, Zabi explodes in fury like an unrestrained wild horse. He grabs a nearby hammer and hurls it. However, the young man remains unfazed, continuing in an even more provocative tone. With your body so weakened, how can you possibly possibly continue operating the workshop. This scene resembles watching a melodramatic film. At this point, the young man finally notices Jin Haozheng and me observing as bystanders. Since guests are present, I shall take my leave. After all, you have visitors for the first time in a while. Zabi explodes in rage. Get out. Disappear immediately. The young man has no intention of lingering and turns to leave. This leaves Jin Haozheng and me completely bewildered, along with a furious Zabi. That fellow is excessively polite from the start, clearly not trustworthy. How unlucky. Jin Haozheng is speechless. You have no room to criticize others. Zabi's expression is terrible. I understand why. However, why is Rebecca so tense? She seems to be avoiding something. My intuition tells me something is definitely amiss. To spare Zabi further distress, we seek out his apprentice, Jix. Jix holds nothing back, revealing nearly everything. That person is Fen Green. He was once Master's apprentice, entering the workshop in the same cohort as myself. Though we enter together, his abilities far surpass mine. Tasks like creating magical clay golems requiring 5 or 6 people, he can accomplish alone. Moreover, he can identify damaged golem issues at a glance. An undeniable genius, essentially guaranteed to become the next workshop master. Yet even such a talented individual fails to earn Master's favor. After all, my Master is the most gifted puppet master in workshop history. Far from granting Fen Green special treatment, Master never praises him once. Naturally, the proud Fen Green refuses to accept this, constantly competing with him secretly. Thus, the rift between them deepens. About 3 months ago, Fen Green suddenly disappears. A month later, he reappears with an impressive creation, clay golems that can move without magical power. This statement stuns Jin Haozheng and me. How can golems move independently? This defies all logic. Jix smiles helplessly. This is precisely why our workshop falls into chaos. 2 months ago, Fen Green returns to the puppet workshop with his creation. Everyone is astonished upon seeing it. Even Master praises him. Master has even decided to pass the workshop to Fen Green, though only after retirement. However, Fen Green's greed is excessive. He demands Master transfer leadership immediately. Master, always strong-willed, feels his dignity insulted and explodes in fury. He not only injures Fen Green, but expels him from the workshop. Fen Green seems unconcerned. In fact, he has already made subsequent plans. He establishes his own workshop, naming it Swinsei Puppet Workshop. After Fen Green establishes his workshop, nearly all veteran employees defect. They all find Master disagreeable. This does not surprise us. Anyone can see why. Why did you not defect, Jix? Jix speaks righteously. Though Master is not a good person, his work is beautiful enough that I am willing to endure his temperament. Jin Haozheng and I are speechless. Thinking privately, this young man seems unhinged, perhaps more so than Zabi himself. Speaking of which, Zabi's poisoning seems somewhat suspicious upon reflection. To my knowledge, Lekekexin is a supreme composite poison blended from multiple toxins. He cannot possibly have been poisoned without reason. This means someone deliberately poisons him with intent to assassinate. At these words, the atmosphere turns somber. Everyone looks incredulous. To narrow the suspects, I question Jix about Zabi's enemies in recent locations. Jix hesitates. Well, 45% of Tarakti residents dislike him, while the remaining 55% have never even met him. As for recent locations, since those defections, Master has not left the puppet workshop. This puzzles me. 2 months without leaving makes poisoning nearly impossible. Within this workshop, potential poison sources are extremely limited. At that moment, something occurs to me. Indeed, poison sources are limited, either food or the clay Zabi frequently handles. Without further discussion, I immediately locate the adventurer transporting clay and strike him squarely in the face. Seeing the man remains defiant, I have no choice. I drag him into an alley. The next moment, indescribable screams echo from the alley. No one knows what I do inside. 1 minute later, I emerge slowly, dusting off my hands. I hold a copper key. Honestly, he refuses to talk until I beat him. Without delay, we immediately proceed to the clay storage warehouse. Opening the warehouse reveals clay already mixed with poison. Now I am 100% certain Fen Green is the culprit. No sooner have I spoken than Fen Green suddenly appears behind us. I had planned to visit you, but this saves me the trouble. Jin Haozheng assumes Fen Green intends to silence us and immediately readies Golden Glory defensively. However, Fen Green maintains his polite demeanor. Do not be tense. I have prepared tea. Let us sit and talk calmly. This maneuver genuinely confuses us, but we have no reason to refuse. We decide to see what he intends. Minutes later, we arrive at Fen Green's workshop. Fen Green begins speaking eloquently with his insincere expression. I believe you misunderstand. I have no intention of killing Master. I will provide him the antidote at the appropriate time. My purpose, which you likely know, is to rebuild the Weismere Order, to prepare for Lady Weismere's return. Therefore, I must obtain the Weismere-related materials preserved in the puppet workshop. Initially, I plan to wait until formally inheriting the workshop, but Master can likely continue another 30 years, so I alter my plans. Perhaps his weakened condition will compel him to relinquish workshop leadership. I feel speechless. Why would you betray your own Master to rebuild the Weismere Order? These words send Fen Green into gradual madness. It is all because of Master. Since I cannot surpass him, I simply need to find ways to crush him beneath my feet. The puppet workshop commits unforgivable sins in the past. If Lady Weismere returns to this world, the workshop will certainly fall into ruin. At that time, Master, as the workshop owner, will face retribution. If he becomes cursed and can no longer practice as a puppet master. If things truly unfold this way, I will have surpassed my living Master. This display of unhinged obsession is as disturbing as watching a muscular man dancing outside in in lace lingerie. It sends chills down my spine. Though his explanation seems logical, something feels incomplete. This troublesome individual is definitely concealing something. I press him again. Are you certain this is everything you have to say? Fengreen smiles faintly. You are truly perceptive. Nothing escapes your notice. Indeed, that is merely my personal desire. My true reason for wanting to rebuild the Weismere Order is for Tarakti itself. Look at Tarakti village today. It has become an extremely backward village, has it not? Forget medical facilities. The village lacks even basic healers. Meanwhile, Kamal, the culprit behind this tragedy, stands by indifferently, showing no concern for Tarakti. More egregiously, because recent rampant bandit gang members all have red hair, innocent Tarakti residents face discriminatory treatment. At these words, Jin Haojing and I freeze instantly. Is he not referring to Erpani and his companions? Fengreen continues. Having explained to this extent, surely you will not obstruct me further? I smile calmly. Naturally. If your order reconstruction stems from good intentions, I have no reason to interfere. In fact, I would like to support you. Those who know me recognize this as deception. After all, this individual sends masked assassins after us. I never forget a grudge. Whether sooner or later, I settle my scores. After our conversation concludes, we slowly prepare to depart Fengreen's workshop. At that moment, Fengreen suddenly yanks down Rebecca's hood. He flashes a sinister smile. Really now? At least greet your older brother before leaving? This revelation catches me off guard. I indeed suspect Rebecca's identity, but never imagine Fengreen is her brother. Observing our shocked expressions, Fengreen seems surprised. You do not know? Ravina is my sister. When you insist on becoming an adventurer and even run away from home, yet I see you have accomplished nothing noteworthy. Yes, I tell you then, it is unsuitable for you. Look at how hard I work for Tarakti now, while what are you doing? These words clearly displease Jin Haojing. Hey, such harsh words are unnecessary. Before he can finish, Fengreen's fierce glare silences him. This is a family matter. Jin Haojing can only retreat humbly behind me. Fengreen sighs helplessly. The puppet master matter as well. Without talent, at least exert effort, but you make no effort whatsoever. You might claim you try your best, but achieving no results differs not from doing nothing at all. If you merely want to be an adventurer going through the motions, you should quit entirely. These words leave Ravina utterly aggrieved. I can no longer stand by. I seize the hand gripping Ravina's fate. Enough. I know nothing of Ravina, but my companion Rebecca is exceptionally active in our party. At these words, Rebecca feels deeply moved. Seeing I have spoken, Fengreen says nothing further. With matters concluded, we depart the workshop and emerge onto the street. Once outside, Rebecca begins sobbing. This is precisely why I do not want to see him. Perhaps I should abandon adventuring work. I produce a stamina potion to console her. Rebecca, in my assessment, you are already a worthy adventurer. Those ignorant individuals spouting nonsense can be completely disregarded. Moreover, our investigation remains incomplete. That individual is clearly lying. Having already attempted to silence witnesses through murder, do you believe I would trust him again? He is definitely concealing crucial clues, though I do not know his ultimate intentions. Rebecca then suggests investigating her home. My brother discovers Weismere-related materials there. This suggestion genuinely surprises us. Indeed, nothing surpasses searching the enemy's stronghold. Without further discussion, we immediately proceed to the Swinsei family estate. However, an extremely dangerous formation protects the entrance. The security is indeed formidable. We have come to the right place. Fortunately, we have the estate's rightful owner with us. Opening the door, we successfully enter the estate. The interior appears somewhat gloomy. Golems crafted by Fengreen are everywhere, serving as household servants. This prompts contemplation. As nobility, you should have resources to employ human servants. Moreover, the servant dismissals occur shortly after discovering Weismere materials. This suggests confidential materials are concealed here. After all, golems cannot leak secrets. We proceed to Fengreen's chamber. Nothing particularly distinctive appears. However, the most mundane locations often conceal mechanisms. Behind the portrait, interesting. A classic approach. Without hesitation, I activate the mechanism. The next moment, the carpet beneath Jin Haojing splits in two. Jin Haojing has no time to react, tumbling straight down. Rebecca and I descend calmly. The hidden chamber appears unremarkable, containing mostly miscellaneous items. A stone tablet recording Weismere's deed stands among them. The inscriptions remain clearly legible, nearly all praising Weismere. Additionally, a new inscription reads, "The goddess loves the forest and all creatures within, resolving to protect them." However, caring for so many creatures alone proves taxing even for the goddess. The troubled goddess divides her power, creating many children, essentially her own extensions. These extensions establish a village at the forest center to serve the goddess, naming it Taraktai. This revelation shocks us all. The Taraktai people's ancestors are actually Weismere's extensions. In that case, those in the puppet workshop are ungrateful descendants. As Jin Haojing speaks, the golem behind him suddenly moves. The next moment, it lunges forward, biting Jin Haojing's shoulder. This infuriates me. I decapitate it with one sword stroke. To my complete astonishment, the creature continues moving despite losing its head. Rebecca urgently advises destroying the core to eliminate it. However, where is the core located? Before Rebecca can indicate its location, Jin Haojing rises abruptly. He smashes it to pieces with a shovel. This approach proves effective. Complete pulverization eliminates the need to locate the core. Suddenly, I detect a familiar scent, one frequently encountered in my medical practice. I hastily seek the scent source while Jin Haojing appears puzzled. Seconds later, intuition indicates the scent originates from behind this unremarkable iron door. Opening the door reveals countless dissected corpses. Indeed, the scent is blood. Moreover, a familiar figure appears, the original form of the golem that just attacks us. This sparks a terrible realization. I immediately turn to leave. Returning to the clay golem, I activate decompose. Instantly, the clay golem decomposes into a puddle of clay and a luminous spherical object. The two look confused. What is this? I speak calmly. This is a living soul. That madman is extracting souls from living beings to create golems. At these words, both freeze in shock. Rebecca especially cannot believe her brother is capable of such atrocities. To verify this hypothesis, Jin Haozhang searches the table for evidence. He quickly discovers a journal written in Fengreen's own hand. It clearly states, Lady Weismere does not abandon us. Rather, she disperses her power throughout the Red Forest, merging with the forest itself. Though Lady Weismere's divinity vanishes, ultimately only her form changes, as she continues protecting us constantly. According to records left by previous family heads, we cannot contact Lady Weismere merged with the forest. However, I disagree. If I craft a golem in her likeness and imbue it with her will, power, and the people's faith, Lady Weismere can reclaim her divine position. Regarding how to gather will, faith, and such, I must utilize Weismere's right hand. Ordinary individuals cannot channel divine power, but utilizing divine relics makes this achievable. Before finishing, an unremarkable creature quietly appears on the bookshelf, speaking in Fengreen's voice. You sneak in like rats and search my premises thoroughly. Indeed, I have utilized Lady Weismere's right hand. Rather than vanishing, it forms something resembling a spatial barrier gateway. Fengreen laughs heartily. Honestly, you should have left someone outside. Once the underground chamber door closes, unless the button is pressed again, rest assured, I will not kill you. Completing the golem will require approximately 3 days. Until then, I must inconvenience you to remain here. This enrages me. I crush the creature's head with one kick. Then I examine the situation with observational eye. The result indicates a dimensional rift beyond the door. Forcing through will result in being torn to shreds. However, this obstacle cannot stop me. After deliberation, I devise an excellent escape method. Rebecca, I must ask for your assistance. If successful, we can escape. The method involves using your family's golem manipulation technique to control outside servants and activate the mechanism. Fengreen controlling this golem proves external interference is possible. I suspect previous generations established safeguards, as they would not trap descendants possessing Weismere-related intelligence. I examine the area with observational eye and indeed discover a relay magic formation capable of traversing dimensions. However, this formation has conditions. It can only relay golem manipulation skills from Swinsei family members. This means only Rebecca can assist us. At these words, Rebecca feels her mind overwhelmed, as if immense pressure weighs upon her. However, for our safety and to stop Fengreen's actions, she resolves to attempt it. Thus, 2 days later, magic formations cover the floor before us. Observing this, I smile calmly. The rest is in your hands, Rebecca. Without hesitation, Rebecca immediately begins channeling magical power into the formation. She successfully gains control of one servant. However, merely controlling simple movement nearly depletes her magical reserves. Fortunately, 2 rat golems apparently sense familiar bloodline and come to assist. This enables the door to open. Without the rat's help, opening it would have been impossible. Immediately, we set out to stop Fengreen. However, the surroundings seem excessively quiet, triggering an ominous premonition. At that moment, an unfamiliar Tarakti resident appears ahead. Jin Haozhang approaches to inquire, but the man wears a terrified expression, muttering repeatedly about someone coming. This genuinely startles Jin Haozhang. Then voices emerge from behind us. Upon closer inspection, all are Tarakti village residents. I immediately examine them with observational eye. The system displays poisoning and mental confusion states. They have been drugged with hallucinogens. To escape the poisoned crowd, we 3 immediately run toward the puppet workshop. However, the scene before us genuinely shocks me. Jix is injured. Meanwhile, Zabi's eyes are vacant, his right arm severed. He is confirmed dead. Meanwhile, Fengreen gazes at his creation with deep satisfaction. He dares to say this is the most perfect work he has ever crafted. That's right, this perfect masterpiece is made from his master's right hand and soul. On the other side, Jix begins recounting what happened after we left. 2 days ago, right when we lost contact with you, Fengreen came to our workshop. That guy wanted Master to cooperate with him on something, promising to provide the antidote once it was done. But Master, always proud, would never comply so easily. He flew into a rage and threw Fengreen out immediately. However, the medicine you gave us was running out, and there was still no sign of you. In desperation, Master agreed to his deal. He even said something like, if his life is about to end anyway, what use is pride? I'm confused. What did Fengreen want Zabi to do? Jix replies that Fengreen encountered problems while creating a self-golem and wanted Master to help him solve them. Master then helped improve the golem as requested, and Fengreen did provide the antidote as promised. After taking the antidote, Master wanted nothing more to do with Fengreen. But unexpectedly, Fengreen forcibly grabbed Master's hand, saying something about what wrongs the puppet workshop committed against Lady Weismere. After hearing this, Master immediately shook him off and said it had nothing to do with him. This action sent Fengreen into a furious rage. Then he actually pierced straight through Master's body and extracted a spherical object from within. Master was about to collapse right then. I immediately rushed at that guy, but I was completely overpowered. In the end, Master's arm was severed and taken away. He said he needed the material. I see. The ability to extract souls, combined with the power he'll gain as an apostle when the god descends soon. This guy's no different from a boss monster now. However, he probably hasn't finished the creation yet. Weismere might be our chance to stop him. Jix originally wanted to request outside help, but hearing me say this, he realizes I must have a plan. So he tells us that at the lowest level of Swinsei Workshop, there's an abandoned old temple. Hearing this, I smile calmly. Now that we know the location, this becomes easy. Let's go cause some trouble for them. Meanwhile, on the other side, Fengreen is using his master to create Weismere's body. It's essentially almost almost complete. This fills Fengreen with wild joy. He has invested so much effort for this moment. However, just as Weisemir's golem is about to be sent into the furnace for molding, a sharp arrow flies in and precisely blows apart the golem's head. This shatters Fengreen's beautiful fantasy, leaving him frozen in place. After a long moment, he finally reacts and turns around to demand who did this. That's right, the three of us arrived just in time, perfectly timed to ruin Fengreen's moment of greatest excitement. Messing with him like this feels exhilarating. Seeing that we're responsible, Fengreen erupts in fury. In his mind, he has already torn us apart 1,000 times. I remain calm. Long time no see. Actually, wait, it's only been 2 days, hasn't it? Fengreen doesn't bother with words. He directly controls his master to fight, but the intensity seems rather ordinary. Rebecca and Jinhaozheng can handle it easily. However, what completely surprises me is that this golem actually has a self-repair function. It looks like this will take some time by the time we deal with it. Weisemir's golem has already been repaired by Fengreen and sent into the furnace. Seeing this, I immediately shoot an arrow at the furnace, trying to prevent the molding. But this madman Fengreen actually uses his own body to block my stone arrow. It's not over yet. Fengreen immediately summons dozens of puppets to attack us. But how could these puppets possibly stop Jinhaozheng? While Jinhaozheng buys time, I instantly teleport in front of Fengreen, hoping to catch him off guard. But he notices me and summons an earth shield. Fortunately, I have the earth and bone skill, which instantly breaks through his defense. So what follows is a swift strike, one blow to the head. Without time to think further, Jinhaozheng immediately moves to shut down the furnace. But I feel something is off. It feels too easy. Logically, this guy doesn't seem like the type to be killed so foolishly. Just as I finish speaking, a familiar voice echoes from afar. You guessed right, the furnace opens immediately, and the heat of the flames forces us back several meters. Looking closely, it's Fengreen transformed into golem form. I curse under my breath. What a madman. He actually extracted his own soul. Jinhaozheng is speechless. Have you lost your mind? You abandoned your own body? Fengreen laughs with increasing madness. I did all this for Lady Weisemir. As his words fade, Weisemir slowly emerges from the furnace. This leaves us all shocked. She's actually been revived. Fengreen says calmly, Lady Weisemir, do you see those foolish people? They are the sinners who interfered with your revival. Please punish them. Jinhaozheng scoffs. It's just a puppet. Watch me smash it to pieces. I firmly stop Jinhaozheng from attacking. While it is indeed a puppet, I have a bad feeling about this. Brace yourself, Jinhaozheng. Just as I finish speaking, Weisemir waves her hand, and a terrifying pressure instantly emanates from her. It makes breathing difficult and causes our bodies to tremble uncontrollably. I sense trouble. Damn, this is a mental attack. It's a special skill only god-level beings possess, capable of weakening the opponent's mental strength. Compared to the other two, I seem to be in better condition, probably because I carry several sacred relics. So, barely affected, I decisively grab both of them and retreat at maximum speed. This narrowly allows us to escape such a powerful impact. After surviving this ordeal, I must admit the power was truly terrifying. Fortunately, we dodged in time and only paid the price of one burned arm. Fengreen sneers wickedly. If you're willing to become believers now, I'll spare your lives. I happen to need 2 guards anyway. This statement angers both Jinhaozheng and me. So you're saying our worth amounts to 2 mere soldiers? Just as we're about to curse out loud, Weisemir's next attack has already charged up. With a thunderous boom, another massive crater appears in the ground. The 3 of us barely dodge it. Just as I'm feeling desperate, a beautiful voice suddenly sounds in my ear. Child, I want to give you some help. Use the power in your left hand. As the voice fades, the Weisemir pattern on my left hand quietly lights up. Then comes the system notification. Congratulations on acquiring new skill, Weisemir's Faith. Before I can think much about it, another charged attack comes straight at us. But this time, I don't need to dodge. Actually, I don't need to dodge at all, because this skill is simply too overpowered. Weisemir's protection accompanies you. Damage is greatly reduced. Sense of awe can be ignored. I smile calmly. Now this matches my style. Although I don't know why you suddenly granted me this power, now I can actually fight back. Seeing this, Fengreen explodes in rage again. A mere human can block a god's attack? Impossible! With that, he launches another charged attack. I quickly tell Jinhaozheng to retreat with the unconscious Rebecca. After all, protecting Rebecca is the duty of Jinhaozheng, the tank. This sounds quite normal, but coming from me, those who know me understand I'm about to show off. So in order not to disturb my moment, Jinhaozheng decisively retreats, and I easily deflect the attack. Seriously, this attack barely tickles. Did Lady Weisemir become weak because of your impure faith? After all, what god would like a believer who treats them as a puppet? Clearly, Fengreen is enraged by my words. He starts attacking wildly. I seize the opportunity to dodge all attacks. Then I teleport above Weisemir for a sneak attack, but she has a reinforced shield around her. In the past, I absolutely couldn't break it, but now I'm under Lady Weisemir's protection. A mere shield should be easily shattered, right? I thought it would end this way. But this guy Fengreen actually controls Weisemir to use swordsmanship to defend, and her swordsmanship is incredibly strong. All my attacks are completely blocked. However, as I fight, I discover something. The current Weisemir has a fatal flaw. She's merely a puppet controlled by Fengreen, with no actual combat experience. Simply put, she can't display her true strength, so I quickly knock her sword away. Just as I'm about to strike and end this all, I hesitate. If I destroy the current Weisemir, what will happen to the soul inside her body? At this moment, Lady Weisemir whispers in my ear, "Child from another world, sever the bond and connection between that child and me. That will awaken me." Hearing this, I immediately use the observational eye skill enhanced by Lady Weisemir. Sure enough, I discover a thread-like object controlling the golem Weisemir. Fengreen, who has been watching from the side, finally realizes what's happening and starts to stop me. But how could I let him have his way? way. With one strike, I sever all the threads. With the threads cut, the connection between Golem Weismere and Fengreen is completely severed. Fengreen can only helplessly collapse to his knees. The next second, Golem Weismere's crimson eyes suddenly open wide. Then a flash of light envelops Golem Weismere completely. After the light fades, a beautiful form and face appear before us. This is the true appearance of Terakti's goddess, Weismere. Weismere speaks slowly. Thank you so much. It's thanks to you that I could awaken. Seeing no hostility from her, I finally breathe a sigh of relief. You're too kind, Lady Weismere. Weismere then turns and looks around, discovering Jin Haozheng and the unconscious Rebecca hiding nearby. She immediately releases a healing light, treating them both thoroughly from inside out. Rebecca wakes up immediately, though unclear about what just happened. She only feels especially relaxed now. This action makes me somewhat hesitant. She's truly special. Don't most gods force humans to worship them? Yet she shows such an expression for humans. I never expected such a gentle god to exist. At this moment, the long silent Fengreen finally speaks. Lady Weismere, why? I was the one who brought you back to life. Oh, this actually makes me laugh. You mean reviving her to play puppet games with you? How delightful indeed. Lady Weismere, please give him a thorough scolding. Jin Haozheng also joins in the fun, but unexpectedly, Weismere doesn't care. I don't mind him. Although he made a grave mistake, he's still a beloved child of Terakti. Parents can't resent their own children, can they? This is truly unexpected. Has she gone mad from being revived after such a long time? These words reignite a spark of hope in Fengreen's heart. Ha 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 ha, knew my idea was right. Lady Weismere, listen to me. Those 3 people obstructed your revival and prevented Terakti's restoration. Please punish them immediately. As he speaks, Weismere's expression grows increasingly somber, as if completely disappointed. Child, although I've forgiven you, this doesn't mean you're without sin. Think about how many lives you harmed to reach this point. Fengreen tries to defend himself. I know those were sins, but I did it all to revive you. Weismere sighs helplessly. Child, your greatest sin is bringing me back to life. This statement leaves Fengreen completely stunned. Why would you say that? You died unjustly because of puppet warfare tactics. Yet they not only gave your sacred relic to Kamal, but even let the Weismere order decline. Shouldn't you resent them? No, I don't resent them. Parents don't hate their own children. My existence caused me too much pain, causing my dear children to lose their individuality and become mere extensions of my will. With these words, the beliefs Fengreen has held all along completely crumble. He knows he was wrong and hastily kneels, begging Lady Weismere for forgiveness. But although Weismere hears him, she doesn't look at him again. I understand clearly that Weismere could never harm her own child, so I'll take care of it. After finishing, Weismere sorrowfully touches the body on the ground. I also wanted to spare him, but this child truly committed grave sins. While I can forgive him, the other children wouldn't think the same. Actually, I was mentally prepared, but seeing this still breaks my heart. At this moment, Rebecca responds sadly. That must be because we're family. No matter how bad he was, we're still family. Watching the sad child before her, Weismere embraces her tightly, trying to offer some comfort. After some time, Rebecca's emotions are clearly much better, with Jin Haozheng now comforting her. Meanwhile, I take the opportunity to ask some questions. Weismere is very pleased. Please ask, hero who saved Terakti, as long as it's something I can answer. I'll tell you everything I know. That's perfect. I can take this chance to ask about the administrator or information related to dimensional travel. To prevent interruptions, Weismere thoughtfully sets up a barrier. This is good. At least no one can eavesdrop and leak secrets. First question. Can you use your power to send me back to my original world? Almost the instant I finish speaking, Weismere firmly refuses. I'm very sorry, I cannot do that. Crossing dimensions does require god-level power, but I'm too weak now. I haven't recovered my strength from my prime at all. Furthermore, to go to another dimension, you need that dimension's coordinates. While finding your world's coordinates isn't difficult, by human standards, it would take a very long time, at least several hundred years. This leaves me stunned. It seems this method won't work either. Damn, Weismere continues. It seems you were summoned by someone. Perhaps only the being who summoned you knows your homeland's coordinates. This makes me suddenly realize something. No wonder no one has returned to Earth so far. Damn, does this mean I can only cooperate with that jerk administrator? So the second question, how were you able to interfere with the system's status window? You used the status window to convert your power into a skill and grant it to me. I've encountered various beings so far, but no one else could do this. After hearing this, Weismere shows a surprised expression. So that thing is called a status window. I cannot interfere with it, since it was created by a being with tremendous power. The reason I could grant you skills is probably because I've already been registered in the status window. I see. Back then, I did integrate Weismere's left hand into the status window. If that's the case, what kind of existence is that administrator jerk to be able to integrate a god's power into the system? This is truly terrifying when you think about it. Also, if obtaining a sacred relic is the condition for a god to be registered, then why didn't any achievement or roulette appear when I obtained Kilkarasutai's orb? I ask Weismere this question as well. She seems puzzled, so I take out the orb. Weismere glances at it briefly, then explains. This is merely an ordinary sacred object containing divine power. My left hand, however, contains my will. This stone crossbow is the same. A god's will sleeps within it, though very faintly. Actually, rather than calling it a god's will, it's more accurate to call it the will of a forgotten god. As her words fade, a system pop-up appears. The text previously covered by blocks finally reveals itself. It really does say forgotten god. It seems Weismere was right, but for some unknown reason, I have a strong feeling that the administrator seems seems to be collecting these gods' wills. Thank you. Thanks to you, I've gathered a lot of information. Finally, I have one small question. What happened to Tarakti in the past? Didn't you choose to sacrifice yourself to protect Tarakti for some reason? Weismir closes her eyes tightly, as if struggling to recall those events. After a long while, she finally speaks. My memories from that time are very hazy, but there's one thing I remember very clearly. The being I fought against at that time was a god named Nakakaleati. I seem to have heard this name somewhere. This means that, unlike Weismir, this god was not forgotten. Wait, come to think of it, yeah, I mentioned that the administrator also seems to be a forgotten god-level being, and with so many gods forgotten simultaneously, could this have been a war of the gods? However, none of this concerns me. I've already obtained the information I wanted. With that, Weismir removes the barrier. As for that administrator, I'll definitely make her crawl before me, and repay her tenfold for everything I've suffered. Meanwhile, in a void space shrouded in blue, a young girl stares intently at the blue pop-up before her. It's not difficult to tell she's the administrator behind everything. After finishing our conversation, the three of us plus one goddess come outside. However, Tarakti village has already been devastated by Fengreen. Seeing this desolate scene, Weismir feels heartbroken. Thinking about never seeing friends and family again, Rebecca's tears flow uncontrollably. Seeing this, Weismir gently strokes her cheek with her hand, as if making some kind of decision in her heart. The next second, Weismir's flawless form gradually turns golden. Then a sacred magic circle appears beneath her feet. The next moment, the Tarakti villagers who should have died miraculously reappear. I explain, this is one of humanity's three great taboos and an achievement no human has ever perfectly accomplished. A miracle only gods can create. Resurrection of the dead. The price, however, is the disappearance of the goddess Weismir. Everyone panics upon seeing this, and hurriedly asks if I have any way to save her. I feel helpless. The current Lady Weismir is composed of the souls of the Tarakti people. Now that she's reviving the dead, naturally all the souls return to their rightful places. In other words, Lady Weismir has now lost her will and will soon perish. Hearing this, Rebecca becomes even sadder. No, I still want to talk with you more. Weismir remains silent, only gazing gently at her child before her. Please don't be sad for me. I'm simply setting everything back on its proper course. This truly confuses me. A man who's been single for over 20 years. Right. Child who possesses a soul from another world. If I perish, the power I lent you will become unusable. So I've transformed them into skills more suitable for you. As she finishes speaking, the red representing Weismir instantly turns blue. Then two brand new skills form. One is the Black Star skill Soul Intervention, and the other is the skill Ruth's Hand. Seeing this situation, Jin Haozheng also feels reluctant to part. What a shame. You're the best among all the gods I've encountered. Looking at Jin Haozheng before her, Weismir says something, but the words are interfered with by something. We can't hear them at all, only garbled text. This gives us both the illusion that Weismir is scolding us. After speaking, Weismir takes one last look at her children, then transforms into countless points of light that merge into nature. This also signifies that the crimson glow protecting Tarakti has completely vanished. Jin Haozheng complains. Comparison really does hurt. If only the administrator had half of Weismir's kindness. No, even a quarter would be fine. I feel somewhat helpless, but at least there were gains. After all, I effortlessly obtained the fourth Black Star skill. With that, I open the system pop-up, but a letter appears instead. Based on the tone, it seems to be from Weismir. Child, you will read these words someday. Creating powerful skills for you previously required a great deal of energy. So I completed the task here for you. I apologize for using your points without permission, but I truly had no opportunity to tell you beforehand. I've already placed the unknown equipment obtained as rewards into your inventory. Love you, Weismir. I checked my points and find the balance is down to only 8 points. So it turns out that Heartless skill was completely a task reward, not Weismir's skill at all. This makes me so angry I want to curse out loud. Great, now I have nothing left and have to start over again. However, I must admit the skill Weismir granted is indeed excellent. With it, I can continue using the Earth and Bone skill. Besides that, by combining a skill with Soul Intervention, I can touch people's souls. It seems Weismir forcibly interfered with the Black Star skill in the task rewards. This is actually quite good. After this great battle, Zabi's soul seems damaged. I can naturally heal this injury. However, I have one condition. Zabi must protect Tarakti village and fulfill Weismir's wish. Zabi looks confused. Is there a problem with Tarakti? I take this opportunity to explain the dangers Tarakti will face in the future. Having lost Weismir's protection, this is the perfect opportunity for monster invasions. Therefore, I hope you can teach the residents how to make protective puppets so they can defend themselves. Zabi is shocked. What kind of joke is this? Why would I teach those commoners? Before Zabi can finish speaking, I start toying with his soul. Zabi can only helplessly accept the proposal, so I begin treating him, piecing together the shattered soul bit by bit. Finally, I pour in the soul essence needed for bonding. Coincidentally enough, Weismir secretly placed this potion in my backpack. This is too coincidental. It seems everything was calculated by Weismir. If only the administrator could be like this. After finishing the treatment, I leave, planning to visit the Adventurers Association again. A few minutes later, we successfully arrive. As soon as I meet the branch chief, she hands me a letter of recommendation. She says it allows me to enjoy branch chief benefits at any Adventurers Association. Naturally, I gladly accept. Afterward, I inform the branch chief that Zabi has agreed to teach puppet techniques and ask her to help supervise. Rebecca plans to abandon the name Ravina Swinsei and decides to sell the family assets to rebuild Tarakti village. No, it now has a new name, Weismir village. In the evening, I lie in bed, aimlessly browsing through my equipment. I discover a new piece of equipment called Dream Ticket. After thinking about it, I realize this is the unknown equipment Weismir mentioned. The Usage instructions say to place it under the pillow, so I do exactly that. After all, this was obtained with my points. It can't possibly be garbage. If it really turns out to be useless, I'll definitely beat up the administrator later. Thinking about this, I grow increasingly tired and soon fall asleep. When I open my eyes again, I find myself in a blue landscape. Is this a dream? Is the dream ticket just equipment that makes me dream? That would be too lame. Suddenly, a clear voice sounds behind me. Arrived safely, I instinctively turn to look. Then I discover a massive cube bound by countless chains. This leaves me somewhat puzzled. What is this thing? A cube? A cube? Somewhat unexpected? It seems you might not recognize me speaking like this. Let me try another way. The next second, a system pop-up suddenly appears. Ding. I've been waiting for you for a long time. I am the being who summoned you here. The status window administrator you speak of. I am also a god level being forgotten by human history and memory. My expression changes drastically at these words. Throughout this long period, I've thought of countless methods of revenge. First, take my kick. With that, I launch a kick. It hits dead center but is blocked by these chains. This makes me angrier and angrier. Damn, you actually put up chains to protect yourself from getting beaten? The administrator explains. They aren't for protection but for restraint. Damn, so I can't even beat you up to vent? Why did you end up like this? Obviously, I've been sealed. Due to keyword restrictions, I cannot tell you too much. For now, consider that I was betrayed by a child I trusted. I summoned you all here because I need someone to help break this seal. The place where I'm sealed is the unconscious world. A more common term is dreamscape, or it could be a dream within a dream. As for the door behind you, it's called the other side of unconsciousness. For ordinary humans to come here, they must pass through this door that appears with a 1 in 6,000 probability in dreams. I sigh slightly. Those are truly harsh conditions. The roulette probability seems about the same, doesn't it? The administrator continues. Many people came here before you. I told them the same thing, requesting they help me break the seal. But the moment they woke up, they forgot the promise they made with me. I see. It seems they forgot their dreams. How wonderful. So it must be caused by those chains, right? Yes. That seal not only restrains me, but also contains a curse that makes humans instantly forget their dreams upon passing through here. Hearing this, I roughly guessed the administrator's purpose. Since you summoned me here, that proves you already have a way to resist the curse, right? The administrator doesn't deny it. Yes, but there was a problem at the time. The residents of AZ continent each have their own gods they worship. Even if I wanted to bless them, I couldn't. So I thought perhaps I could search in other worlds. Through the long years, I finally found an interesting world. Although god-level beings have considerable influence there, many people don't believe in gods. Moreover, that world has no magic at all, yet possesses the concept of skills and mana. Therefore, I firmly believe that people from Earth can certainly rescue me. Wait, that's not right. Earth has so many countries. Why are there so many people from our Q nation? Well, that's because people from your country understand status windows very well. At first, I was troubled about how to share power with people from Earth. Then your country's status windows caught my attention. I feel utterly speechless. What a sight to behold. This is my first time encountering a god who visits other dimensions to read webcomics and web novels. The administrator grows increasingly excited, even letting out profanity. This is super freaking interesting. Oh, right. I also learned the roulette mechanism from it. This statement immediately triggers intense dissatisfaction. You fool, you've been joking with me from the start, haven't you? Inventing the roulette to torment us, and then expecting us to break your seal? The administrator ignores my outburst and continues. If you're willing to save me, I'll send you home. Not only that, I can also help you recover what you've lost. This statement catches my attention. However, according to my memory, I don't seem to have lost anything. If I had to name one thing, it would probably only be my house. No. Everyone I summoned has lost something they treasured. This plunges me into brief contemplation. Could I really have forgotten something? No, I still need to return to Earth. After all, there's a promise I made with someone after arriving here. However, out of curiosity, I still ask the administrator what I've lost. The administrator asks me in return, do you still remember what happened before you came here? Specifically, the last day you spent on Earth before coming to AZ continent? This question truly stumps me. I clearly remember everything before the last day, but I have no idea what happened on that final day. Could what I lost be the memory of that last day? But that's still not enough to make me help you break the seal. To be honest, I'm not interested in memories. I only want one thing. Give me a weapon or skill that can beat you up. After hearing this, the administrator falls silent, apparently contemplating something. After a long while, she agrees to my request and summons a short sword. However, it can only be used in the unconscious space and within fantasies. Take it. I believe it will definitely come in handy in the future. This surprises me quite a bit. I never expected you to agree so easily. If it were me, I would have told them to get lost long ago. The administrator's expression turns grave, for he is equally anxious. After all, among the many dimension travelers, only 3 have made it here. At first, I had high hopes for you dimension travelers, but then some unexpected incidents occurred. The vast majority of dimension travelers chose to join the cult or made contracts with gods to become apostles, all for the sake of power. It is truly unbelievable. Fortunately, not all dimension travelers joined the cult, so I did not give up and found a solution. That solution is to grant achievement rewards. I created new achievements for those who did not join the cult or rely on divine power, allowing them to receive my blessing. In other words, only those who complete achievements and obtain the special mark are qualified to come here. I believe you are well aware of that mark. It is the black 5-pointed star. Of course, those who come here must not only possess unwavering determination to save me, but also adequate strength. Only those who meet all conditions can obtain the black 5-pointed star. And you are one of those 3 individuals. Healer Jiangziya, I see. According to previous intelligence, Jin Jaehyung, whom Jin Haojing mentioned, should be one of them. Then who could the remaining person be? As I ponder this, the administrator suddenly adds, the dimension travelers who obtain the black 5-pointed star will become my officially recognized believers. This irritates me. What are you talking about? I have no desire to become your believer. However, irritation aside, I still need to ask what must be asked. So why must we gather all 4 black stars? Because the curse is powerful. A single blessing is not enough. You are the last person to obtain the black 5-pointed star. The remaining dimension travelers have either joined the cult or cannot meet the conditions. Hearing this, I smile slyly. So I am the last one. After saying this, I lie down on the ground. Tell me, how can the seal be broken? The administrator looks at my behavior with some helplessness. Truly, even a tiger fallen to the plains is bullied by dogs. These chains are sustained by divine power. If you wish to unlock them, you will need Dalian's sacred force. After saying this, the administrator summons from thin air an item called the sacred vessel and entrusts it to me, saying, "Take this with you. The sacred force you collect will naturally be stored inside. Although you could fill this vessel simply by accumulating points as you do now, that would take at least 30 years. I am truly at a loss for words. Do you want me to be an apostle for 30 years? Stop talking nonsense and tell me the quick collection method." The administrator, rendered speechless by my retort, can only humbly reveal a method. That method is to destroy sacred relics, holy statues, or sanctified equipment that contains sacred force. Using this approach, you can collect a large amount of sacred force at once, though it requires paying a heavy price. Destroying sacred relics is an act of making enemies with their owners. Not only will you be hunted by the cult, but you will also offend the gods. After hearing this, I smile calmly. That is truly hardcore, but my favorite thing is making others suffer setbacks. Seeing my agreement, the administrator finally breathes a secret sigh of relief. Trusting you was indeed the right choice. You will surely succeed. By the way, why can I not use magic power? Logically speaking, I should be the same as other dimension travelers. After pondering for a moment, the administrator says, "I cannot tell you yet. This is related to your lost memories." At these words, I cannot help but curse silently. Again, it is related to my memories. It seems I have no choice but to accept this task. If that is the case, then I will let things take their natural course. After saying this, I plunge the short dagger into my own body, preparing to exit from here. Before leaving, I inquire about the administrator's name. There are keyword restrictions, so I cannot tell you. However, you have actually known my name from the very beginning. As the words fade, I suddenly open my eyes. What did he mean by that? After a night of turmoil, I am still somewhat drowsy. Jin Haozheng naturally notices this. He takes out a souvenir and hands it to me, saying it can improve my mood. I take it and glance at it. It is a charm with a round-bottom flask engraved on it. Jin Haozheng's has a small dog. How interesting. Thank you, Jin Haozheng. Although round-bottom flasks are commonly used in alchemy and have little relation to healers, this represents Jin Haozheng's sincere sentiment. Suddenly, Jix pushes open the door, announcing that the golem carriage is ready. Very good. Then it is time to return to Hinda village. On the road, light rain falls steadily. I tell Jin Haozheng everything about meeting the administrator in my dream. At the same time, I have formulated our future plan, which is to plunder the cult's sacred relics and destroy them. Jin Haozheng is somewhat surprised at this and is about to say something. Outside the carriage, Jix suddenly slams on the brakes, forcing the carriage to stop. Completely unprepared, the two of us immediately experience the sensation of flying. I hurriedly get out of the carriage to ask what happened. Jix extends his hand and points ahead. Following the direction, I look carefully and see a pack of black spider wolves crouching on a carriage. It appears to have been attacked. Seeing this scene, I decisively summon my stone crossbow and shoot 3 sharp arrows. The sharp arrows streak through the sky, accurately striking the black spider wolves ahead. Their companions, sensing trouble, immediately flee in panic. I then check the injuries of the person lying on the ground, but unfortunately he has been dead for about 10 minutes. Looking at the wounds, this does not appear to be the work of black spider wolves. To my knowledge, black spider wolves prefer to paralyze enemies with poison before tearing them apart. However, there are no signs of poisoning on the deceased, only tearing wounds. This indicates the man was already dead before the black spider wolves arrived. Moreover, this amount of blood is unreasonable. It does not appear to be from one person alone. The other people were very likely hidden by the real culprit. Hearing this, Jin Haozheng begins searching for clues in the carriage. Before long, he sees an envelope sandwiched between 2 black boxes. Picking it up to look, it clearly reads Hind Village Magic Association Establishment Permit in large characters. Is this not the reward obtained from Lord Kamal at that time? The appearance of this document here means that the personnel executing the construction plan have been kidnapped. Thinking of this, I can barely suppress my anger. They had better hope I do not discover which rat dropping has ruined my pot of porridge. The next day, after a night of traveling, we have returned to Hinda village. The place remains as peaceful as before, giving a feeling of returning home. Next, we arrive at the familiar Bitsfall Inn to rent rooms. Upon seeing us return, Julia suddenly rushes into my embrace. Her face is full of worry. I pat her back to indicate everyone is fine, and only then does Julia let it go. Just then, the snoring of a drunk nearby catches my attention. However, I do not pay much attention, merely sighing before ignoring it. Julia then suggests preparing meals for us and asks us to wait a moment. Naturally, I am very willing, as I have not tasted Julia's cooking in quite some time. Jin Haozheng takes this opportunity to visit the restroom. Meanwhile, I analyze the kidnapper's information with Jix. First, there are no traces of skills being used at the scene. The kidnappers very likely used some sort of hypnotic skill. Moreover, there is the most important point. That sudden rain was too suspicious. Could it have been magic cast by the kidnappers to erase traces? Then let us start by searching for people who can use rain summoning skills. Before the words are finished, the drunk nearby slowly lifts his head. Are you looking for someone? We simultaneously turn to look at the speaking drunk. drunk. At this very moment, a card-like object flies straight toward Jix's head. The next second, the card embeds itself in Jix's head, and blood immediately gushes out. I pull out the business card to examine it. It clearly reads, "Can find anything for you. Detective Yalek." I am somewhat bewildered. "You say you are a detective, but why do I feel you are a con artist?" Yalek smiles faintly. "Brother, you are mistaken to think that way. I may not be good at other things, but when it comes to finding people, if I claim to be second, no one dares claim to be first." Seeing him so confident, I ask how much his commission fee is. The man pulls his stool closer to us while slowly saying, "Just pay for my drinks here." After saying this, he produces a pen and a piece of scrap paper from thin air. This raises my suspicion. Logically speaking, detectives should not use magic skills, but this guy, wait, it is not a magic skill but system storage. Thinking of this, I immediately summon my stone crossbow and press it against his throat. I say in a low voice, Why are you hiding your identity? You should have recognized my identity, right?" The man shows no fear, as if he knows I will not make a move. The atmosphere immediately becomes tense. At this moment, Jin Haozheng finally returns from the restroom. Returning to see this scene, anyone would have questions. At this time, the white-haired man also notices Jin Haozheng. He suddenly stands up, completely disregarding his clothes being torn by the arrow. "You are Jin, right? Do you not remember me? Back when we were in our village." Hearing the man say this, Jin Haozheng also remembers. "I remember now. Are you not Zexian?" A few minutes later, Jin Haozheng gives us a brief introduction. The man before us is named Majexian, and, like us, is a dimension traveler. Although he is an oddball, he is friends with our weirdo, so there is nothing to doubt. Zexian is also tactful. Seeing the misunderstanding completely resolved, he quickly returns to the previous topic, asking whom we wish to find. "We are looking for people who can control rain. Whether through items or skills, please help us find anyone with related abilities." Receiving the instruction, Zexian decisively uses the pen to cut his palm, and blood immediately gushes out. It lands precisely on the map Zexian just drew and rapidly spreads along the markings. Jin Haozheng explains that this is because Zexian's profession is blood mage, and blood has certain tracking capabilities. I can only feel speechless, clearly possessing skills, yet he insists on posing as a detective. Speaking of this, Zexian reminds us that the technique is about to complete. The blood gathers at the clock tower, Latika Inn, and the southeast exit, indicating these three locations definitely have individuals who can summon wind and rain. The energy at the exit is relatively mild. The individual at the clock tower is more difficult to deal with. As for the last location, the inn, if we go there, one person will surely die. Everyone is shocked upon hearing this. I, however, smiled disdainfully. Danger means our direction is correct. A few minutes later, at Latika Inn, a man carrying a staff on his back and wearing a black cloak is looking around, apparently waiting for someone. This should be the one. I politely approach to greet him. The man looks at me with complete bewilderment. Before he can react further, I directly snatch his staff. Examining it carefully, there are many cracks on it. This matches the material found near the attacked carriage. The man, seeing his cover blown, suddenly snatches back the staff and releases an instant cast spell. Because it is instant cast, I cannot react in time and am immediately blown away. The next second, a whirlwind appears out of nowhere, causing quite a commotion. The man tries to take the opportunity to escape through the window, but is discovered by me in time. I shoot an arrow that pierces through the man's calf. The man kneels in pain. I assume he has no strength left to resist. Unexpectedly, his adrenaline suddenly surges, and he manages to get up again and successfully jumps out the window. He hastily flees the scene. Unfortunately, he barely runs 2 steps before Zexian blocks his path. Zexian gathers blood with one hand. The next second, a blood hand silently appears behind the man. In an instant, it restrains the man, rendering him unable to move. With the blood mage's dark magic curse invasion, the man's consciousness quickly dissipates. When he wakes again, familiar faces appear before his eyes. I sigh helplessly, then I press down on his head. "Alright, you had better confess honestly. Perhaps I can spare your life." Hearing this, the man roars angrily. "I would rather be beaten to death than confess." He does indeed say this, but a few minutes later, the man, his face covered in wounds, confesses everything. He not only admits they are the kidnappers, but also says he will take us to find the hostages. So after some time, we arrive at the location the man mentioned. To prevent a trap, we decide to have the kidnapper go inside alone to retrieve the key to the cell holding the hostages. Unexpectedly, as soon as the man enters, golden light suddenly bursts from the house. The next second, with a loud boom, the house is engulfed by flames from the explosion. This scene leaves us stunned. What on earth is this? So when it was said one person would die, it did not necessarily mean one of us. It could also be the enemy. Suddenly, a reflective object appears in the tree, catching Jix's attention. Looking closely, it is another cloaked figure quietly drawing a bow and charging power. Jix hurriedly summons an earth shield, attempting to block this deadly strike. However, he is ultimately a step too slow. Before the earth shield can fully form, the arrow has already pierced through Jix's chest. Jix falls to the ground without a sound, apparently dead. Immediately after, a woman leads a group of people in black out from the forest. The woman is named Jiaheng and is the leader of the Deathline Guild. Jiaheng immediately points her fan at me. "You are quite impressive. Not only are you exceptionally bold, but your strength is also formidable. Our guild just happens to have an open position. Would you like to join us?" Hearing this, my expression has already dropped to freezing point. I glance at Jix lying motionless on the ground. An arrow is immediately shot, barely grazing Jiaheng's cheek. Blood trickles out. This action completely enrages Jiaheng. She hastily orders her subordinates to swarm forward. Fortunately, these underlings have mediocre strength. Haozheng and Zexian can easily handle them. Especially Zexion, this dark mage. The visual effects of his dark magic are extremely impressive. Meanwhile, I take this opportunity to provide some emergency treatment to Jix. Fortunately, the wounds are not deep and only require some stitching. On the other side, Jiaheng, seeing her subordinate so useless, decides to take action herself. She gathers her magical power and waves her hand downward. The next second, spears of lament rain down from the sky, forcing Jin Haozheng and Zexion to flee in panic. Fortunately, the speed is not fast, and the two can barely dodge. Just as Jin Haozheng thinks this, the corpse nearby suddenly emits a dazzling light. It catches Jin Haozheng off guard, and his eyes enter temporary blindness. It is precisely this brief moment that Jiaheng seizes. The next second, a spear of lament precisely pierces through Jin Haozheng's throat. It pins him firmly to the ground, his eyes still open in death. Seeing this, the woman bursts into laughter. Ha ha ha! Are you not skilled at healing? I would like to see if you have the ability to resurrect corpses. Witnessing this scene, I speak slowly. You had better apologize immediately. Hearing this, Jiaheng almost laughs out loud. What kind of joke is this? So what if I apologize? Would you forgive me? At these words, I reveal an awkward yet polite smile. I believe you have misunderstood. You should not apologize to me, but to the person in question. Hearing this, Jiaheng is somewhat confused and is about to say something. Beneath her feet, Jin Haozheng's corpse suddenly emits wisps of black smoke. No, rather than calling it black smoke, it would be more accurate to say this is shadow. The shadow gradually coalesces into a black wolf radiating overwhelming dominance. The black wolf turns its head to look at the weapon that killed it, then at the people around. The next second, Jin Haozheng cleaves a Deathline Guild underling in half at the waist with a single flash. The speed is so fast that the underling does not even know how he died. The remaining underlings similarly have no time to react before being slapped to death. On the other side, Zexion, who has been watching the show, is already stunned. Meanwhile, I calmly continue treating Jix. I have long known about Jin Haozheng's skill. Although he is quite an average fellow among dimension travelers, even if he had died early and become nutrients for the AZ continent, it would not be surprising. However, he has survived safely for 3 years until now. This is because of the Black Beast skill. No matter what causes Jin Haozheng's death, he can revive in that monstrous form. Jin Haozheng is not merely a tank, but a hybrid dimension traveler with a second profession. Moreover, when he revives, his physical stats are enhanced due to the race change. It is a nearly god-defying profession. With enhanced stats, Jin Haozheng quickly ends the battle, pinning Jiaheng firmly to the ground. Just as he prepares to deliver the killing blow, I interrupt his attack with a precise throw. Alright, Jin Haozheng, please calm down first. We still need to inquire about the whereabouts of the hostages. This action of mine seems to infuriate Jin Haozheng. He stares at me with vicious eyes, making garbled sounds from his mouth. However, I am not afraid. I smile wickedly and say, do you also want to fight me? Perhaps sensing my pressure, or perhaps regaining some consciousness, Jin Haozheng chooses not to fight, but instead dashes into the woods. After Jin Haozheng leaves, Jiaheng, unwilling to become a hostage, pulls out a dagger from her bosom. She flashes behind Zexion and presses the dagger against his throat, threatening me not to move. The captured Zexion tells me not to worry about him. I scratch my head somewhat speechlessly. To be honest, I had no intention of worrying about him anyway. Jiaheng speaks slowly. You should know that blood magic has difficulty resisting sacred force, right? If I stab this fellow with this dagger, things will become very interesting, will they not? After saying this, Jiaheng lightly makes a cut. True enough, it does not heal. See, this is a sacred relic containing divine power. At these words, I am momentarily stunned. I never expected to encounter a sacred relic here. What effortless fortune. Hey, you just said this is a sacred relic, right? As I speak, the aura around me begins to rise. Jiaheng senses something is wrong and cannot help but shiver. So what if it is? Receiving this affirmative answer, I can no longer suppress the smile on my lips. I directly summon Freya's stone crossbow. Very good, then let it serve as payment for treatment. Jiaheng is dumbfounded and shouts that she still has a hostage in her grasp. However, before she can finish speaking, Zexion uses blood escape to flee from the threat, leaving a bewildered Jiaheng standing there in a daze. In the next second, a sharp arrow is released. The arrow strikes directly at Jiaheng's chest, and the recoil sends her flying backward. The sacred relic then falls steadily into my hands. Of course, I will certainly not kill Jiaheng at the moment. After all, I still need her to find the hostages, so I merely put her into a brief coma. Next, I place the sacred relic into the sacred vessel. Then I click the decompose function. Right after clicking, the sacred vessel suddenly makes a clicking sound, somewhat like a washing machine. After some time, the sacred vessel returns to silence. The system displays that the sacred relic has been destroyed. 1,000 points have been consumed for destruction. Total points accumulated, 3,933. Seeing this number, I even begin to doubt my own eyes. After confirming again, I completely lose my composure. You damn thing, just wait. I will definitely smash your head in. Damn it. You and Wisemere both, secretly using my points. These are points I worked so hard to earn. Suddenly, an achievement completion notification pops up. The achievement is titled Breaker of Tradition and is achieved by destroying sacred relics. However, there is a prerequisite condition, innate hatred towards a god. So that fellow actually deducted my points to help me complete this achievement? Then I misjudged the situation. Opening the achievement notification, a new attribute is added to my status window, named Disbelief. The higher the value, the greater the damage against divine level entities, and it also allows the user to better resist attacks from divine level beings. Conditions for increasing this value include destroying sacred relics, defeating believers or priests of gods, or engaging in activities hostile to divine level entities. Seeing this attribute, my mood eases slightly. Exchanging 1,000 points for an attribute is quite profitable. At this moment, rustling sounds suddenly come from the bushes. Jin Haozheng, in wolf form emerges from them, meekly inquiring about everyone's condition. We all indicate that we are fine. The ones in trouble are all members of the Deathline Guild. This scene immediately plunges Jin Haozheng into deep self-blame. Tears suddenly stream down. This is exactly why I hate dying. What is the use of becoming stronger? When I wake up after dying, this is the tragic scene I see, and my body is this kind of monster. As he speaks, Jin Haozheng begins digging a hole in the ground. Then he leaps in and buries himself in the soil. I complain somewhat speechlessly. If you do not like it, just give the ability to me instead. Besides, they are all scum. Killing them is no big deal. Turning my head to look, the scene before me interrupts what I was about to say. What is this situation? Why are the corpses glowing? To investigate, I use the extraction skill to separate the glowing objects. If they were not glowing, they would look somewhat like kidney stones. The system displays that this object contains sacred force, but the sacred force within is dissipating outward. This catches my attention. Logically speaking, powers such as magic and sacred force only flow invisibly within the human body. They do not crystallize like this, so this is absolutely not a naturally occurring substance. Wait, if this thing has a physical form, could it perhaps be placed in a jar to test? Looking at the sacred force scattered on the ground, I crouch down to pick them up one by one. As I lift my head, I see Jin Haozheng's large rear end. I pull him out of the pit, intending to have him help me collect the sacred force. At this moment, Jix raises his own doubt. Can the tank not speak in that state? Hearing this, Zexian also becomes puzzled. I speak slowly to Zexian. Zexian, deactivate communication. Without thinking much, Zexian deactivates the communication of God skill. After deactivation, we can indeed understand Jin Haozheng's words. I take this opportunity to briefly explain. This is Jin Haozheng's disadvantage after revival. In his werewolf state, he cannot use communication of God. Moreover, when night comes, he cannot hold on and must go to sleep. We chat happily in our native language, but to Jix's ears, it becomes garbled nonsense that he cannot understand at all. He even begins to think that Zexian and I have both gone mad. After a brief explanation, we successfully locate the prison holding the hostages based on the address Jiaheng provided. Under Zexian's operations, the gate is successfully opened. Several hostages hastily express their gratitude to us. Among them, I immediately notice the exceptional quality of this woman before me. Although she wears common civilian attire, an air of nobility emanates from her core. It seems she is the person I am looking for. Hello, I am healer Zhang Zia. You must be the person sent from the Magic Association, correct? Hearing the familiar name, the woman immediately reacts and hastily grasps my hand. I am very pleased to meet you. I am Matiana, investigator from the Magic Association. I learned about the proposal from Kamal. They said they want to establish a Magic Association here to honor your achievements. Now it appears you truly are. Before she can finish, I interrupt. You came here for my sake, yet were attacked midway. If something had truly happened to you, I would certainly be deeply distressed. This statement is like Cupid's arrow, piercing deeply into Matiana's heart. Witnessing this scene, I smile faintly. This is the technique I used years ago to charm young women. The effect is indeed immediate. Thus, the agreement to establish the Magic Association branch is quickly approved. That disgusting branch chief finally receives his comeuppance. The Magic Association forcibly requires him to provide funds for constructing the Magic Association branch. Finally, the situation is no longer dominated by a single power. It has now become three forces evenly matched, mutually constraining each other. After resolving the Magic Association matters, I return to the prison again, intending to question Jiaheng about certain matters. However, Jiaheng remains unyielding, refusing to reveal any clues whatsoever. I have already anticipated this situation and have prepared a countermeasure. I hope you think carefully about the consequences of being taken by the Magic Association. Will they not treat you as research material for the Magic Association? However, if you simply comply with me now, I can lend you a hand. Do not be deceived by my being merely a healer. In fact, I am quite acquainted with Lord Kamal, and I also have connections at the Crimson Magic Tower. If I wish, extracting one criminal from prison is no problem at all. At these words, Jiaheng is tempted. What do you want? I need intelligence, information about your guild, and information about sacred force. Hearing this, Jiaheng still hesitates. An internal struggle begins. If she does not speak, she will certainly die. However, if she speaks, after getting out, she can simply distance herself from the guild and live in seclusion. Thinking of this, Jiaheng no longer hesitates and firmly grasps the lifeline I have thrown. There is a type of potion that allows one to use sacred skills simply by drinking it. Even mages like me without faith can use it. They call it miracle water. It was given to us by the people who signed the human trafficking contract with us. This potion is truly peculiar. If mages can use sacred force, that is indeed somewhat unfair. After all, mages have difficulty resisting sacred force. Having sacred force would compensate for that weakness. Our guild's warehouse should still have a few bottles remaining. Perhaps you can take them for research. This is everything I know. Hurry up and release me. I smile politely. Why should I let you go? Hearing this, Jiaheng is completely stunned, his brows furrowing tightly. Didn't I say, I'll only let you go if you give me a satisfactory answer? I appreciate you saying so much, but I'm not really satisfied. What I threw you was clearly a rotten rope, but you still grabbed it. Well, take some time to reflect on your mistake-filled life. Trash belongs in the trash bin after all. With that, I turn and walk away, leaving Jiaheng behind, helpless and raging in place. That evening, I share this information with everyone, and they all burst into laughter at what she did. During the conversation, Zexian proposes the idea of joining our team. I think for a moment. enrollment. A blood mage who uses blood should need frequent healing, which would earn me quite a few points. Wait, blood mages seem to have pretty strong recovery abilities, which means they wouldn't need a healer like me. What a useless guy. Sorry, we don't have any open spots for you. Zexion ignores me and turns his head toward Jix. Wait, if there are 4 people, we can register as an official team, right? Hearing this, Jix quickly waves his hands, indicating he's not actually a member of the team, and besides, it's time for him to head back since he's been away long enough. After saying goodbye to us, Jix leaves the tent to rest. After Mr. Jix leaves, it's time to get down to business. Something every dimension traveler must do. Information exchange. Zexion presents information about the Obsidian Magic Tower, which doesn't surprise me much since blood mages are highly valued by the Obsidian Magic Tower, so it's expected he'd have credentials. The information I present is that I found a way to return to Earth. At this, Zexion spits out his wine. He is completely unable to stay calm, shouting for me to explain everything from the beginning in detail. I feel somewhat helpless. You're really demanding. But before that, I want to ask you a question. Please tell me what happened on the day you were brought to the AZ continent. I'll tell you after you finish. Zexion becomes embarrassed by this question, quickly stating this is his privacy and he definitely can't share it, but I definitely have information you want to hear. However, you also need to answer one of my questions. It's about Jin Haozheng. How did someone like you, with a personality completely opposite to his, end up teaming up with him? I feel somewhat helpless. Since you want to hear it, fine. It all started from the day I first met Mr. Jin Haozheng. 3 years ago, I opened my eyes in an unfamiliar cave, wearing clothes that didn't belong to me, with dozens of other people who had been brought here beside me. This situation seemed like something I'd seen many times before. Many of those brought here not only adapted quickly to the situation, but even began to enjoy it, because this was the typical opening of a web novel. Everyone fantasized about making a name for themselves in another world. I was one of them, but this hope was quickly shattered. Everyone had their own unique skills, most of them combat skills or healing skills. Except mine was the most useless one, observational eye. Before everyone could study their skills' effects, countless indistinct-looking bats suddenly appeared nearby. Those with combat skills quickly adapted to fighting, while Mr. Jin Haozheng, like me without combat skills, could only take hits passively. At this critical moment, I acted in time, using a sharpened wooden stick to instantly kill the bat. This was my first encounter with Mr. Jin Haozheng. It's just that back then I was rather aloof, so I didn't pay attention to him. My eyes only on the monsters. I turned and left to examine the achievement I'd just received for my first monster kill. The system rewarded me with 2,000 points and an equipment confirmation ticket, and asked if I wanted to broadcast the achievement. Of course I was happy to do so, since it was a chance to show off. So everyone's status window received the same message at the same time. Congratulations to Mr. Jiang Zia for achieving the first achievement. Mr. Jiang Zia's message: is everyone asleep? Why so slow? This comment immediately sparked public outrage, with countless curses coming from all around. Meanwhile, I picked up my wooden stick and admired it. The rookie's chorus is truly delightful. After a while, the bat monsters were successfully repelled, though quite a few people were injured. I paid no attention, simply mocking these people lightly before turning to continue exploring my status window. The functions were clearly visible. Besides attributes and skills, the word roulette was particularly prominent. Without guessing, it was obvious this function was for drawing skills using points. Without hesitation, I immediately did 100 draw, spending all my savings of 2,000 points. Just as I fantasized that 100 draws should guarantee at least 10 skills, something unexpected happened. What I drew were either twigs or sand and other trivial things, having absolutely nothing to do with skills, not even counting as tools. I couldn't hold it in. Damn it, it's like spending $1 million to buy rotten wood. Whoever buys this gets scammed. Just at this moment, Mr. Jin Haozheng found me, wanting to thank me, but I was in no mood then, directly snapping, "What do you want, idiot?" Mr. Jin Haozheng was left bewildered by the outburst, trying to ease the awkwardness with a smile, but I mistook it as him mocking me. Damn, who could tolerate this? I grabbed his collar, shouting angrily, "You dare to laugh? Can't you see someone's about to die from anger? Are you hallucinating? I've never helped someone like you, so stop bothering me and get lost." Seeing the situation was bad, Jin Haozheng fled. Shortly after he left, the system displayed a notification: roulette function error, under maintenance. Points used will not be refunded. Seeing this message, I felt like the sky was falling. Endless rage drove me to punch out, and the window shattered on impact. After that, as we searched for an exit in the cave, several more waves of monsters came, and we successfully repelled them, leveling up. The system then assigned us our classes. My class was called Healer. Initially, I didn't pay attention to what the question mark meant until I checked the inherent skills I possessed. Only then did I fully understand. What the hell is this? A healer without healing skills? What am I supposed to do with incision? Did the fool who made this system never play games? I was extremely desperate then, feeling the system was targeting me specifically. Not only did it swallow my points, it gave me useless inherent skills. Not only that, earning points became a major problem. The system showed I had to earn points by healing others, not by killing monsters. What a catastrophic start, but I wasn't someone who could be defeated so easily. This would only make me stronger. If I didn't have healing skills, then I'd use modern medicine. As I expected, this method indeed worked. Just as I thought everything would return to normal, bad things happened again, one after another. Some people had already started forming factions and establishing their own groups. Of course, I was among those invited. Initially, when everyone heard I was a healer, they warmly welcomed me. But when I revealed I had no healing skills, everyone changed their attitude and began mocking me constantly. This was quite infuriating indeed. Mr. Jin Haozheng tried to speak up for me, but was also mocked by the group. Li Meian also came out to defend Jin Haozheng and me, but it was useless. The only response was cold ridicule. It was truly unpleasant. However, I was too lazy to argue with them. This kind of team team would have problems sooner or later, especially with that healer. This wasn't baseless talk but well-founded reasoning. As everyone knows, the larger the team with only one healer, the easier it is for conflicts to arise. After saying this, I turned and left. I'd given them good advice. Whether they listened or not was another matter. However, it wasn't that no one was willing to team up with me. That patient from before was quite willing. His inherent skill seemed to be food-related, able to determine what was edible and what wasn't. I used observational eye to take a look, and indeed it was true. They were all recovery items that just looked like mushrooms. The man said these mushrooms appeared out of nowhere, which made me realize things weren't that simple. Very likely, stronger monsters were about to appear. As I predicted, soon after, countless monsters indeed rushed out from the shadows, with average defense but incredibly fast speed. Many people were injured as a result. At first, the healer could still help with healing, but as time went on and more people got injured, the healer, due to excessive healing, suffered backlash and completely passed out. Without the healer's treatment, everyone was beaten and fled in disarray. As they ran, the path ahead was somehow blocked, completely cutting off their escape route. That's right, this was my doing. At that moment, I was leisurely lying in a hammock, sighing. See, this is what happens when you don't listen to me. Countless people died horribly at the monster's hands, all because of your arrogance. But I'm a kind healer, and I really can't bear to watch anymore. With that, I took out a pile of red and blue mushrooms and scattered them down. Everyone was initially confused, but after hearing me say these were recovery items, the way everyone looked at each other changed. The next second, everyone completely disregarded their team friendship and frantically scrambled for the items. On the other side, Li Meiyan and Jin Haozheng suddenly remembered something and opened their bags. Sure enough, there were red and blue mushrooms inside. Not long before, I had found Jin Haozheng and Li Meiyan asking why they helped me when they themselves had been abandoned. Was it really worth it? Especially Mr. Jin Haozheng, who had just been scolded by me not long ago. Jin Haozheng and Li Meiyan said these were two different things. Helping others doesn't require a reason. Their enthusiasm was incomprehensible to me, but I still tossed them the bags to show my gratitude. Back to the present, after eating the recovery mushrooms, everyone successfully killed all the monsters. The leader was very dissatisfied with my earlier actions and wanted to stab me with his sword, but I knocked him out with a single punch, and his dagger became my borrowed trophy. Then everyone continued forward, and finally we saw the light of victory, successfully exiting the cave and letting out joyful shouts. Having escaped the cave, I said goodbye to Mr. Jin Haozheng and the others. The next time I saw them was 8 months later. Many dimension travelers had adapted to this place to some degree and started stable lives. The roulette function was finally fixed. At least it actually produced skills now, though the probability was still terrible. Meanwhile, many dimension travelers had made names for themselves on the AZ continent. At that time, I was happily working as a bounty hunter, catching several wanted criminals every day with my superior skills. Suddenly one day, a man found me and handed me a commission with very generous compensation. I thought about it and gladly agreed. A few days later, I arrived at the village to search for clues. The local mercenary group's report stated the village death toll had reached a shocking 287 people. They said the monster destroying the village was called the Shadow Wolf, which loved to tear at prey and was an extremely terrifying monster. Speak of the devil, a black wolf suddenly appeared in everyone's view. I used observational eye to check its information, but it only displayed 2 words, Black Beast. This was truly strange. Normally, as long as it was a living creature, observational eye could detect it, but it couldn't detect this. Could it be that it wasn't a living creature? Before I could think further, everyone immediately launched an attack. Under pressure, the black wolf reluctantly counterattacked, but the attack method wasn't the tearing mentioned in the intel. Instead, it released ground spike attacks that didn't seem to cause substantial damage. What caught my curiosity was something else. Why did the black wolf speak? And it said I'm sorry, but everyone acted as if they couldn't hear it and continued to attack together. Did I mishear? Or was it speaking a language only I could understand? All these signs indicated something suspicious. Perhaps there was more to the village massacre than met the eye. To verify my thoughts, I began shouting in Korean through the forest, hoping for a response. I'm a dimension traveler. If you can hear this, come to the junction at Scanna Mountain Slope. I won't hurt you. Hearing my call, the black wolf slowly emerged from the bushes, immediately rolling over on its back, indicating those deaths weren't its doing. Looking at this scrawny dog before me, I could hardly compare it to that mighty wolf from earlier. But the facts were right in front of me, forcing me to believe it. After some conversation, I learned the village massacre indeed wasn't done by the black wolf. When he and his companion first arrived here, it was already a scene of carnage. They wanted to split up to search for survivors, but this played right into the culprit's hands. He was bitten on the neck, and then became this wolf. The word bitten caught my attention. When did I start? Right. From beginning to end, our clues all came from that one person, even the tearing. Haha, I see. You're the real culprit. On the other side, the culprit had already set its sights on the adventurers, subjugating the black wolf. Just as it was about to strike, I suddenly burst from the bushes, pressing my dagger against the culprit's mouth. I wanted to pierce it, but this thing was surprisingly tough. I pulled out the dagger and created distance, using observational eye to examine it. The system showed it had only devoured a very powerful piece of equipment to become like this. The culprit laughed loudly. So you found out, but so what? You 3 weaklings are definitely no match for me. Hearing this, I smiled lightly. I think you're mistaken. Did you forget? This is a group battle today. I don't think I'll lose. As soon as I finished speaking, a group of adventurers emerged from the bushes. Thus, the culprit's fate was predictable. It was beaten to death on the spot by the mob. After witnessing my maneuver, the black wolf expressed waves of admiration toward me. But when I turned around, a wisp of black smoke appeared out of nowhere. And when I opened my eyes again, the black wolf had transformed transformed into a familiar man. After that, Mr. Jin Haojing and I formed a temporary team, completing many bounty missions together and saving a great deal of money. Finally, on this day, I had saved enough money. It was time to handle the real business, which was to acquire a healing skill book. This was why I'd been a bounty hunter for so long. Of course, normally you couldn't buy skills through legitimate channels, but there were always some greedy people, like this priest Louis before me. I spent only 170 million gold coins to obtain the skill book from him. With it, I could finally say goodbye to physical healing. After obtaining the skill book, Mr. Jin Haojing and I went to the wilderness. Without much hesitation, I decisively tore it apart. Instantly, a blue light flashed on my body and gradually faded. Mr. Jin Haojing excitedly asked how I was. I replied calmly, "There's no notification of obtaining a skill. The scroll is very likely fake." Hearing this, Mr. Jin Haojing was shocked. "What? Aren't you angry?" I smiled faintly. "It's fine. I'm not angry." That evening, outside the Zemilai Order Temple, the gate knight sternly demanded the visitor to state his name. However, what greeted them was only my sandbag-sized fist. Another priest tried to stop me. How laughable. The temple walls are a bit dirty anyway. Let me use this rag to wipe them. At this moment, Louis was completely unaware of what was happening outside and was happily counting his money. The next second, the wall was smashed open, revealing my extremely cold face. "Tell me, why did you give me a fake scroll?" Priest Louis panicked, quickly insisting he had given a real scroll. Hearing this, I became furious. "Then why didn't I get the skill? Still making excuses. Should I send you to meet your god?" At this, Louis was frightened to tears. "The warehouse. I can take you to the church warehouse." A few minutes later, we arrived at the warehouse, which was filled with various skill books. I grabbed a scroll and tore it apart directly, not giving Louis any chance to react. This time was even worse. Not even a blue light appeared. Louis shouted, "The problem must be with you, not the scroll." Mr. Jin Haojing didn't believe it, and picked up a nearby scroll and tore it, and immediately a blue light appeared. The system also notified him he had obtained the skill Sacred Armor. Seeing this, Louis broke down, kneeling on the ground, gathering the scattered scrolls, finally muttering, "What kind of freak are you? Anyone with mana should be able to learn skills." Hearing this, I voiced my doubt. "So if someone has no mana, they can't use sacred skills?" Louis replied flatly, "Of course not. Damn it, this cursed system is playing me, giving me the healer class but no mana." Rage drove me to kick over the bookshelf in front of me. The bookshelf, due to a domino effect, crashed heavily into the wall. Unexpectedly, this wall concealed a secret. Behind it was a hidden chamber. Walking inside, a strong, foul odor hit me. Countless objects wrapped in barrier cloth lay quietly on the ground. A bad feeling arose in my heart. Lifting the cloth, desiccated corpses appeared before my eyes. These were formed by having their mana drained, something only dark magic could accomplish. Priest Louis was shocked at this sight. From his expression, he apparently didn't know the details. Suddenly, rustling sounds came from deep within the secret chamber. Without any hesitation, we walked straight in. There were two frail children shouting for us to save them. Hearing this, I quickly used my short sword to cut their ropes, then used observational eye to examine the other little boy's injuries. The system showed the boy's wounds contained both sacred force and dark mana. This meant the boy had been subjected to dual torture by both sacred force and dark mana. Seeing this, I completely lost my composure. Cursing furiously, these lunatics actually tortured children, with both sacred force and dark mana simultaneously. At these words, Mr. Jin Haojing's expression darkened dramatically, wishing he could tear the perpetrators apart. After all, Mr. Jin Haojing couldn't stand seeing children being abused. "Priest Louis, do you know anything about this?" Louis shook his head, indicating he had joined midway and had no idea such a room existed. However, he had heard that the higher-ups seemed to be conducting some project, something about coordination and fusion. The Zemilai Order was the 8th-ranked religious order on the AZ continent, operating with Ladaya as its headquarters. Their ideological slogan was coordination and fusion. Could these madmen be trying to fuse sacred force and dark mana together? That should be impossible. They were inherently opposing forces. Forcing them to merge would easily spiral out of control, ending up like those corpses. These people couldn't possibly not understand this. They were truly insane. If we hadn't stumbled upon this secret chamber by accident, this little boy would have likely become a corpse too. Thinking this, I began treatment. First, I needed to use a mana potion to draw out the dark mana, the process causing pain that made the little boy cry out. The sacred force remaining in his body reacted to the dark mana being extracted. It looked very painful, but he had to endure it. After all the dark mana was purified, I could apply sacred sealing powder over it. After treatment was complete, the little boy's condition indeed improved considerably. Finally, I just needed to wrap it with barrier cloth to prevent dark mana from invading again. Mr. Jin Haojing asked if we should sneak the children out. I smiled lightly. Why sneak away? They've done such things, so of course we need to stir up some chaos. Soon after, the entire Zemilai Order was thrown into complete turmoil. As for the instigator, of course it was this justice-minded people protecting me. Mr. Jin Haojing held the little boy, following closely behind me without daring to slack off. Just as I was having the time of my life, the Order's high priest finally appeared, attempting to stop me, and he was exactly who I was waiting for. One shot of sacred sealing powder hit precisely. Seeing the sacred force was mostly sealed, I grabbed his head. "Tell me, where are your Order's executives and high priests? If you don't talk, I don't mind leaving some indelible marks on your head." The man was thoroughly frightened, quickly shouting, "They're all in the chapel conducting coordination experiments." I smiled calmly, speaking slowly, "You really are a spineless fellow." With that, I knocked him out and hurriedly fled the scene. On the other side, inside the chapel, a group of people people seem to be conducting some ritual. Looking closely, I'm surprised to find that among this group, besides priests, there are also dark mages. They are forcibly injecting their mana into the body of a child on the altar. The child lets out agonizing screams, seemingly unable to endure any longer. However, the cult leader nearby pays no attention, ordering everyone to increase the intensity as long as the subject remains alive. Suddenly, several Sacred Force allergy bombs appear out of nowhere, and the moment they contact the Sacred Force, violent explosions erupt, blasting the priests who had no time to react. The cult leader is somewhat surprised by this scene and asks who has come. Through the smoke, I've already rescued the child from the altar, then speak unhurriedly. I am a righteous healer who has come to eliminate this corrupt order and heal the AZ continent. As soon as I finish speaking, 3 arrows formed of dark mana shoot straight toward me at high speed. To protect the child, I forcibly take this hit, and a mouthful of fresh blood spurts out. Then I hand the child over to Mr. Jin Haozheng. At this moment, the dark mage's second wave of attacks finishes charging and launches. But how could I fall for the same trick twice? I grab a nearby priest to use as a human shield, and the attack hits directly, leaving the priest bruised and battered. The enraged priest throws out a bottle of exorcism potion, and the sacred force it releases causes severe damage to the dark mage. The injured dark mage returns the favor in kind. Just like that, neither side will yield to the other, and they begin fighting among themselves. Watching this scene, my mood couldn't be more delighted. I am indeed pleased, but the cult leader behind me can no longer tolerate this. His expression changes dramatically, pulling out the sacred tome to judge me. In an instant, countless golden orbs of light spray out like raindrops. With agile footwork and positioning, I successfully dodge them. Mr. Jin Haozheng gets hit because he has to protect the child, but it doesn't seem to cause much damage, apparently due to the black robe he's wearing. The dark mage nearby isn't so fortunate and is instantly melted into bloody water. Did you see? This is Lord Zimalai's omnipotence, the power to fuse everything into one. Before he finishes speaking, Mr. Jin Haozheng interrupts with an angry rebuke. Cut the crap! What kind of trash god is that? Hearing someone blaspheme his deity, the cult leader completely loses control, directly shattering the stone above Mr. Jin Haozheng's head, attempting to crush him to death. In this critical moment, Mr. Jin Haozheng has no time to think and decisively pushes the children away, while he himself becomes trapped under the rubble. The cult leader laughs at this sight. How regrettable. What a tragically heroic sacrifice. Thinking about what is about to happen next, I can't help but laugh out loud. The next second, a black wolf bursts from the rubble and howls at the sky. Before the cult leader can react, Mr. Jin Haozheng has already appeared instantly before him, striking with one claw and sending the cult leader flying backward. After landing, the cult leader fiercely unleashes God's omnipotence, attempting to melt Mr. Jin Haozheng, but it causes him no damage whatsoever. So the cult leader's fate is predictable. He dies on the spot, pierced through the body by dark spikes. After finishing the battle, Mr. Jin Haozheng turns his gaze to the children nearby. I initially think he wants to continue protecting the children, but the next second, Mr. Jin Haozheng suddenly charges in the children's direction. This action stuns me. Has he gone berserk? With no time to think, I instinctively grab a nearby candlestick and hurl it forcefully. The candlestick indeed catches Mr. Jin Haozheng's attention, and he changes direction, striking with one palm and pinning me firmly against the wall. It seems the cult leader was a fake boss. My real opponent is Mr. Jin Haozheng.